excited to kick this off. I say this a lot, right? Y'all will hear me say we got a big update coming, and I've said that for a lot of updates, and they have been big. Compared to
the audio can't get any louder, boys.
Like you see, this isn't paper. A lot of times we have it would have killed
do this.
100,000 trees, and we're better than that. So we're excited to get in to talk about all the incredible things we have. We have a battle pass, a new god, a crossover event.
Now it's fucking crank
things happening that I think the best way to get into it is just to get into it. So let's kick off by talking about something that's a little different now. This is Smite year 10, not season 10. This is year 10 now, because we're changing the way that we address these kind of things. Ajax, if you want to get into it.
Yes, that's right. So we're calling this year 10, and that's because of a very special reason, that we are going to have multiple seasons throughout the year. So there are going to be 4 seasons throughout year 10, each with their own big gameplay updates, thematic changes, conquest changes, and more. The first season of the year is the season of monsters, which we're going to be kicking off today with 10-1. But we've been evaluating our release schedule. We've been talking to our community, looking at what we are excited about. And what that is more big game changes, more meta shifts more often throughout the year. So we won't have to wait all the way till mid-season and all the way till the new season. Now we're going to have year 10, and we're going to have multiple seasons throughout, each with their own exciting changes.
Yeah, there's just so much that we want to do to celebrate 10 years of Smite. That's the big 1-0, you know? We're here.
Double digits.
Yeah, and so we think that this format is going to be great because we are going to aim to provide larger and more exciting meta-shifting updates on kind of a quarterly rundown, you know? Obviously, this is a huge change, and so we'll let y'all know more about this as we move through the year and as we continue to, to make this into reality, but it's happening, and the Season of Monsters is the beginning of it, and I just couldn't be more excited about it.
Yeah, they're basically splitting it up into season by season to have major changes, I guess, each season
happening now. And
throughout a year.
That we're talking about
4 seasons in 1 year.
Brand new conquest map.
Hell yeah, we're doing it.
We're doing it.
That's right.
It's a little out of rotation. We wanted to move it up because, again, big 1-0.
Yeah.
And the map is incredible. I could sit here and talk about it all day, and we have enough changes to talk about it all day, but just talking isn't that enjoyable. let's get in and see the map as we talk about it. Yeah.
Well, you're going to get a theme from today. A lot of what is in this update is really
muted alerts for you guys.
Smite and what is Smite. So we've got this brand new map that is Greco-Roman themed. We've got Olympus, the mountain of Olympus, facing off against the
This is the solo lane, obviously.
Layer,
that's the totem of Ku
mythical
right there.
Cavern on the chaos side. And
the map is big,
we draw
boys.
A lot of
it's not small.
This map
it's
from
big.
Our older maps, so the season 2, 3, 4 map, or even the closed beta map. But what you'll see across this whole update and across the the God release and other things is that this really we're trying to really celebrate Smite and do things that are really fitting to the Smite game. So there's lots of call outs to old content, lots of old faces being brought back, a lot of exciting things across this map. And this map is just gorgeous, completely.
Look, notice how small this is and how much it flares out where it used to go straight.
Who is that? Yeah, that's new. That looks like some living environment right there. An angry environment, I think?
Coming right for Reddit's off.
Fire giant coming. That's sick. Instead of the meteor coming down, bro.
This new map, we're also going to have a brand new fire giant character model.
That's true, because y'all have seen God Surtr is coming to Smite.
The lanes are fatter, too, yeah.
But, with him leaving the fire giant pit, we needed somebody scary to come and replace him.
Bro, fire giant's going to yeah, you're going to lose your FPS. It's going to go to 0.
So we've got the first big beat of this map is the new fire giant. Important thing to note is that this conquest map is going to be a living conquest map, as it has been in our previous years. With each season, we're going to see big updates to the conquest map. We're going to see meaningful changes to the map's layout. So that means we want to see new pathing, new jungle paths, new lane shapes. Each season, that's going to change. We're going to see map-wide environment art updates. So we're going to have new themes for the future seasons. And we're going to have changes across the map to fit with those themes.
It's still fire giant,
also
from what I know.
New mechanics, new objectives, and balance changes for every season this year.
Yeah, which is entirely incredible. That is, with 4 season changes in year 10, that means...
Notice how many camps there are, by the way.
Breath of life for each of those.
Like neutral camps, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you have rotating camps on both sides of the map that rotate here and rotate here. On both sides. It's crazy.
So before we get into any of the specifics, you can just see here, looking at the mini map, the shape.
True.
The
Mid lane's
geometry, the
curved,
pathing.
so it looks smaller because it's
One of our
curved.
goals.
What the fuck?
Refresh.
I'm subbing. This is how high-res gets your money, dude. This is how high-res takes our fucking money. Bro, this is bullshit. Who runs an ad?
And
I'm subbing right now, you fucks. That's why high-res is fucking rich. I just had to sub and refresh, bro. Then he's got $5 so fast.
A full 360-degree combat encounter, as opposed to being backed up against the wall. That gives you a lot more strategic angles to defend and attack from.
Yeah.
Bro,
So a lot
fuck
of changes
you,
just in
high-res.
general, as well as you can see, the completely brand new art set from the ground up, everything redone in a
they've never
like,
run
more
an ad
serious, I'd say,
during patch notes
a
before.
little more realistic
That's fucked up.
tone. Really leaning into
They
that
just got
ancient
they just got
mythology
1,000
and
subs,
having a more
guaranteed.
architectured order side, as is paired with Mount Olympus, kind of getting into the more wild mythical beast side, which is kind of like the enemies of Olympus, led by Surtr and maybe some other characters we'll learn about later in the year.
Bro, look at how hard it is to see.
It's all kind of themed and tied together to that season of the month.
This jungle's nuts.
So, I mean, again, just an incredible amount of changes. Like, let me be clear. This is a completely new map. This isn't Conquest with a coat of paint. This is, they have redone the map to make it brand new for year 10. So there are so many changes to talk about that, again, let's just dive in. Where do you want to start?
Let's see. So Fire Giant was the first change. He's got a completely new character model, new position. His abilities are remaining the same. We wanted to
Everyone's getting ads on my stream.
That's just a very strong formula for Smite. It works really well. It's something we're open to looking into the future, but he's got the same attacks as players will be used to.
Got it.
There are some balance changes associated with him.
The map is not shorter. No.
Scaling is increasing over time, so you can tank
So-
in the late game.
Yeah.
We've had some.
So
discussion
from
about
here
the recent
to
map where
here,
he's
I think is the
able to take the late
same.
game, and he's
It's
also
this
gonna now
is longer.
take
This
less
is
damage from
longer.
critical strikes, which is
Like
very
the
important thing for
pathing
hunter
is
gunners.
longer.
True. A little less burst on those with those hunters. So, all right. So how about the pyro?
Yeah, we have a couple important mechanical changes to the Pyromancer. First of all, as you can see here, there is now no traditional mid harpies. They instead have a spawn point here at the Pyromancer spawn. So there are effectively some mid harpies in the early game.
Yeah.
But that actually gets repurposed into the Pyromancer pit, which is now moved out of the Fire Giant pit. So they're a little bit more separated. It's a little bit harder to ward.
That Fire Giant or the Pyro Pit is so weird.
That's also mirrored on the other side with the other mid-harpy camps that's going to turn into the oracles.
Got it.
So early game, instead of having more symmetrical mid harpies for the mid lane, you have a smaller mid harpy camp on the Oracle side and a bigger mid harpy camp that's worth more golden experience on the Pyromancer side. So you don't really want to just do that symmetrical clear anymore. You want to prioritize that Pyromancer side if you can clear that over your opponent, or you want to contest them at both of them and win those contests.
Yeah.
One of the main goals of this map was to make there be more opportunities for gaining your advantage in the early game and make those through unique objectives, not just direct snowballing.
Bro's getting mad that I'm running ads. This is what I do for a living. High-res makes this game for a living. Smell my balls.
Controlling a part of the map, putting in that effort instead of just.
There are so many camps to fight over. It's gonna be nuts to see where like all the action happens. And with the Gold Fury pit being different and Fire Giant pit being different,
All of these kind
changes everything.
New features showing up. One thing that was important were old features that were going to be taken away, because now starting with a whole new Conquest map,
of course,
it's important that we don't just keep building on and on. We just keep adding.
It was crazy timing. I didn't do that on purpose. It just happened.
Make it really hard to digest for each player, old and new, what exactly is going on. So for this Conquest map, we are going to be removing several different objectives.
The map is good. I'm telling you, when you're running around, it looks and feels right.
That doesn't mean we might not add anything.
I don't know how to explain it.
Just start with a strong foundation and build up from there. You're going to see a whole bunch of new stuff in this.
I was about to say, yeah, with all the seasonal changes. So good to know. Some things are definitely going away. The obelisks have been around for a while, but I'll be interested to see some.
I turned my mic down for you guys,
especially as we keep moving through the famous year 10. So I guess. We just walked by it in lane a little bit. Let's talk about those things floating in front of the towers. What were those? Look like shields.
Yeah, this is a new mechanic that's going to be present in all 3 lanes on the tier 1 towers. These are tower bastions. So these are positioned in a place that even melee characters could take them, and ranged characters can take them relatively safely outside the tower radius.
Yeah.
and they are a different way for you to gain advantage in your lane. So
No,
if
you can
you're-
only have one buff at a
lot of
time
times
other than
in
the
Smite
gold and the
Conquest, if
purple,
you
the
jungle
gold and
and
the
you
silver
push your
buff.
wave, your opponent would just kind of like
So
wait
this
you out or
buff
stand
and this
there,
buff
run
can
away.
all
So this just
stack
gives
with
you
one
another
other
thing
buff
you
on the
can
map.
do to
Speed buffs
gain
also
that
stack.
advantage in the lane. And if you destroy those bastions, you're going to significantly weaken the tower in that lane.
Okay, got it. So if they're, if it's early on and you don't really have the damage or the pressure to get in under that tower, you still have something that you can work on if you are providing more pressure in the lane.
Right, and this will be a way. So they're going to be providing the tower with additional damage mitigation. So those towers are going to be much harder to kill until you kill the bastions.
So
you don't wanna
these
kill those
bastions
first.
died very
Those are
quick
small
in our
gold
show
ones
match.
you
I
kill.
think
Correct.
It's not like you're just
Yeah,
doing
like,
that to weaken towers. You're
they
actually
die quick.
incentivized to push that
He is
advantage
level
to the
20,
lane,
this
that
level 1
50 gold,
tower. They're only on the level 1
utilize
towers.
that. For the 2 bastions, you're gonna get the 100 gold. They don't respawn or anything, so it's a one-time bonus. Weakening the towers.
I don't know the math on the starts
that
yet.
you
That's the
kind of
problem.
Express your skill in that lane against your opponents.
And a very interesting thing about them is they can be hit by abilities,
Yeah.
which was demonstrated here in the video. That is intended. So they're not so much towers themselves; they're more like
So
totems
2
or
camps will
jungle
give you
camps,
level
right?
2.
So they can be hit by
One big
all
camp.
sources of damage. Gives you a lot more
And a
ways to
small
attack
camp
them
will give you
from
level,
range.
almost
Jungler
level 2,
can
1
rotate
creep off,
through,
I think.
help you clear them, get a gold bonus for themselves and for you.
Got it.
Just some new lane dynamics.
That's awesome. And you mentioned this a second ago, the totem. I hear the totem.
So the towers have increased protections when
Yes,
those
the
bastions
totem
are
has
up.
been changed
When
as
the
well. We're now
bastions
just
die,
referring
the
to it
protections
as the
go
totem
away.
because it has
So
been
it's
re-arted
weaker.
to match the
So you
map's
want to
art
kill
style.
those always first.
Bye-bye, coup.
The god, the Hawaiian god Ku will be missed. So it's a very interesting, ornate, skeletal totem now.
Very spooky.
Has similar features as before. As you attack it, it takes damage and the meter goes up, and whoever reaches the top claims it first. But
Yeah.
important thing to note is that while you are in the area, it grants you a buff that gives you increased damage dealt to everything around you. To anything you deal, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So while you're in the area, you get a buff that makes you deal more damage to everyone. So, what does that mean? A lot more high risk,
10% more damage
between solo.
So if you're in there fighting,
no longer can you just kind of
anyone
ignore
in there
each
gets
other
the
and
damage
take some
bonus, by
splash
the way.
damage while you're fighting that totem. You'll be able to really put the hurting on each other in
Yeah.
that totem area.
If they're fighting it, you catch them from behind, you're really putting a wallop in. Like, they're noticing that they are losing health and debating if it's worth staying for the
And the
totem.
totem, as you can see, has been relocated into
Yeah,
the lane, so you can
Yeah.
even leverage that damage boost to help you clear wave or box your opponent. You can even
Got it.
you could stand in the totem range and intentionally not clear the totem to kind of leverage the damage boost and box them
Yeah.
out. Just as we said earlier, we're trying to add a lot more unique ways for skill expression in the early game for each lane. So mid lane has a completely new side harpy rotation and new objectives to worry about. Solo lane has this very different change to totem. And then
oh
another
yeah, I
change
didn't think
that's
about
here
that.
in the
Knee
solo
ult
lane
from the
also
solo
is
lane or
mirrored
new
over to the
ult
duo lane
from
is
inside that buff.
A new concept
Ooh.
of stacking buffs is what we're calling them.
Okay.
So there's a new contestable
I'm
stacking
taking this
buff
as a
here
fucking jungler, bro.
that
If I don't know you
kill
and your
this,
solo
you
lane
can
in my
actually
game, you
get
are not getting
buff,
this
and
buff.
it can stack with any other jungler.
10%
Sorry, I'm going a
cooldown
little off script here.
on
It was
this
just- It was
side.
right here in front
The
of
other
me.
one's a
Right.
shield.
It made a
We're
lot of
flowing.
sense.
We're
Yeah.
flowing through the map.
Stacks with my
It's-
speed,
it's
bro.
a
Good luck.
natural flow. We're all right. But the important thing to note is like this isn't classic conquest or onslaught. You can't just stack every jungle buff in the game, but you
Yeah.
can stack the stacking buffs.
Okay.
So traditional jungle buffs will still work as is. You can only have one of them, but
So you
the
can
two
have
contestable
a
ones,
buff,
so either the one
like
on the solo lane
speed,
or the
red,
duo lane
whatever,
can be stacked, and
silver,
you can have
gold,
both at the same time.
fire giant.
So what does the
You can have 4
stacking
buffs.
do? Is it just extend the duration of your buff, or what's going on?
And
there?
then you
It's
can
got
have
a
like
completely
3k
new effect.
pot,
The one on
pot
the
and
solo
red pot
lane
pop.
side is a cooldown reduction buff.
That's the silver buff.
There's no more enhanced.
Amount of cooldown reduction
I don't
that
think.
scales with you per level.
I'm pretty sure they removed
Obviously,
enhanced buffs,
there was
unless
a
I'm
cooldown
trolling.
component on the previous blue buff that's actually going to be shifted off onto the silver buff.
Right, so now solo laners aren't going to have that cooldown reduction for free. They're going to have to fight for it.
So like
Although
blue buff doesn't have
there is
cooldown on it
some other
anymore.
stuff going on later
Yeah.
that we're gonna come back to. So if you're listening to this and you're upset about that cooldown reduction, you think it's just contestable, just give us a little bit, maybe a few hours, and we'll get to Caleb.
Warrior fans will
Yeah,
be
Warriors
be
fans.
pleased.
No,
And
he
there's
has
also
no
one here
cooldown
over
on this
the
rat,
duo
dude.
lane. This one gives a shield when picked up and protections.
Got it. So kind of a good support pickup, maybe, to help you dive in frontline a little better. For some
Exactly.
Wait, his buff
So,
went away already?
The Gold Fury, which we're now positioned at,
Was it a
no
minute?
major changes to them.
Damn, that's a
It's still got the
short buff
rotation,
timer. Oh my
the
gosh, I
multiple
didn't
different
realize that.
Furies. The main change is the
only
shape
a
to the
1 minute
arena.
buff.
Yeah.
But we should go back to the Pyromancer now that that spawned. That was one we had
Blue
to,
is only mana,
we
yes.
had to delay briefly for the flow of the map.
All right. So what's going on with the Pyromancer then?
All right, so the Pyromancer has a brand new reward for defeating it, which, the speed buff, that's nice. It felt good, but we wanted to spice it up a little bit.
Me play
There's a lot of discussion
Paragon,
about how can we make this a little bit more
this
different.
buff is the same thing for Paragon.
And what we've got here now is the Runic Bomb, which can be picked up by anyone on the team who gets the last hit of the Pyromancer. It puts a new ability in your consumable slot.
Yeah, you can see it right there.
Oh, that's crazy.
And it then gives you a ground target area effect detonating bomb that you can place.
Doesn't hit gods.
Which does
not hit gods.
Physical damage and applies
Only towers.
a big knockup to God, or deals a significant amount of damage to structures.
Yeah, no damage
and
to gods.
debuffs their attack speed. So you can use this as a way to push the siege.
Bomb.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you can use it.
It's definitely potent.
Right, it does a big damage and then it slows the attack.
Like Prime
the attack
Underling.
speed. So you can use this bomb
Overprime.
even in the late game to help break through those difficult Phoenix pushes.
If you get knocked
can
up by
leverage it in
that,
the
you're a
early game
potato.
to
Like
get
you
a
have to
really
stand in
strong
it while it
push down the
charges.
lane.
You'll be fine.
Just
That's
a
a
very
god.
new dynamic from the Pyromancer.
It seems like it. And correct me if I'm wrong, too, but the towers and the Phoenixes have actually lost a little bit of health, haven't they?
Yeah, that's correct. Let's see. Where's my numbers here? So we did decrease the base max health of tier 1 towers and tier 2 towers.
There's 300
and
gods. They told us it
Phoenixes.
didn't do damage to gods.
All of them.
Maybe we put a
which
different
I guess
version.
for the tier 1s especially, they have that extra stat boost, so that makes sense. And it'll make sieging these a little easier. You can't turtle quite as hard.
Well, last season we did buff their damage output a good bit. We wanted to make them threatening, but we don't want them to just be sitting there too long through very long engagements.
Got it.
Sieging has always been something that a lot of players can struggle
It said it
with.
knocks up gods.
So as part
Yeah,
of
if it is
it's a
300,
good
that
tie-in to
wasn't
the
how it
Runic
was
Bomb.
for
we
us.
wanted to give more opportunities for ways to break through sieges and avoid stalemates.
Yeah.
The Enhanced Fire Giant being one of the most well-known
Phoenixes
ways
have
to do
2
that. That's
entrances
gonna still be
now.
on this map.
So like sieging is
But now
very different,
the
bro. It's
slightly
gonna be
decreased
so
tower
different.
health, Tower
This map
Bastions mechanic,
is
as well as
thick,
the Runic Bomb, be
dude.
additional ways to
It's
help your
curvy
siege.
as fuck.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's
The map
thick.
is just beautiful. I also saw a sea monster out there, so that's
Was there one?
yeah, no swimming, I guess. Not
Yeah, and those of you who remember the Season 2 map might remember the beach. A lot of people wanted the beach to come back. We have
It
this
looks so
amazing
good. It
does look so
statue
good.
of like a
Hey,
Greek
crowd
hero.
from there.
Oh, we should have played the Kepri skin for this part. Cue the music, yeah.
But yeah, cool. So all right, let's wander back into the jungle. So what are unleashed jungle camps?
Whew, this is a big one.
yeah,
This is a big one.
This is a big one,
All right,
Harrison.
we're diving in then.
Yeah, so what we've got here, we talked about the lanes and a lot of the objectives, but how about jungling? Or how about your gameplay moment to moment? How is that going to change in the new map? We wanted to
big.
find an interesting mechanical change that's going to affect everyone in every role.
Yeah.
What you can now do
Oh, look at that.
is you can pull jungle camps anywhere you want.
Anywhere you
Asterisks.
want.
There are a
Asterisks,
few disclaimers.
yeah.
Yes, side effects may include. So they will de-aggro after a certain amount of time if you get too far away from them or don't attack them.
Yeah.
They can be re-aggroed. You can see the details on that in the patch notes. They also, you cannot pull enemy jungle camps. You can't run into the enemy side and pull
Drag
all
it
their
back
camps
home.
back to your side.
Okay.
So
or
if
the
you
contestable ones as well.
right,
'cause
or the
that could be too
contestable
strong.
one. So only allied camps can you pull out
Got
of the
it.
location. But when pulled out of the location, you can use that to group camps up. You can use that to deliver buffs to your laners without them having
Yeah.
to go places.
Yeah.
It gives a lot of new.
if you
it
pull it into
gives
the tower,
what
you
we
get
see
no
mostly in our
gold.
playtesting. It gives junglers some really interesting ways to min-max their clear. If you can pull camps really effectively and clear them all together. It
Yeah,
gives
you can't pull
supports
enemy buffs to tower,
some,
sadly. I wish.
new
That was my dream.
roles, and then they can go pull buffs and deliver them to lanes.
That's crazy.
And the jungler
Honestly,
can
it's
also do
unlikely
as well.
that pulling
Also
buffs around
very
is super
curious to see
common
how these
outside
stuff
of
reviews
like
are gonna start fleshing
support
out.
pulling
There's
purple
so many different
or
ways.
support pulling red to the mid.
Yes,
to
and the
clear
initial
faster, but that's about it.
spawn order of operations is going to be listed in the patch notes, and the order of things is going to change. Right, we've got different things in different places. We've got speed buff. We get to all these, I guess, over time, but
It'll affect
the start of the
starts,
map
and
is definitely
it'll
gonna
have
change, and one
speed
of the ways
impact in the
that's
game.
gonna
Like you'll be able to
change
rotate
now,
faster as a
you can have
jungler because
different
you
players
should be able to keep moving.
collaborative elements of pulling their camps together, clearing together, and then going to their lane or whatever order they find to be most efficient. So
Yeah.
really excited to see people get into PTS and start trying to figure that puzzle out.
I think one of my favorite. I mean, there's so much too. There's so much nuance in the roaming jungle.
Of
camps
course,
and the,
yeah.
Unleashed ones, but
Bow speeds are faster than current speed. One speed is slower than current speed. So as a jungler, you will take both speeds.
Like, hey, I cleared it. I'm sorry you didn't get here in time. They can now bring it towards
The
you.
start
Yo,
will
they can at
probably
least meet
be
you halfway,
Exactly.
jungler mid
I'll
do
make-
red
I'll
speed
make
at the
some
same
every
time, and then
time,
jungler
some
goes
every
into
time.
Some
speed.
junglers still won't. They won't.
Oh, no.
100%.
And then
the
rotates
good
into
ones will be
duo
like,
rather
hey,
than
it's
solo.
by
That's my
your
guess.
Tower. You can just go back and get it when you want. Don't
Exactly.
worry about it.
Yeah.
So,
And there's a couple other specific rules to make sure that things stay balanced. So
technically, you can also
lane
pull
minions
red
and
to the
jungle
other
camps,
speed
the unleashed jungle
in
camps
the lane,
will ignore each other.
clear them
You
both,
can't
and
pull those
then
into
break
lanes to
off,
kind of,
which might be the strat too.
deny
I have two
lanes or
ideas of
slow
what
down
the start will
lanes
be.
or help you clear towers or anything like that. Towers will attack them though, so you could use that.
I
if
will
your
not be
jungle
delivering
clears
buffs to
especially
anybody. You can
not so
smell my
good.
balls.
But you will get a gold penalty for doing that, just like if you had a
Buffs still stay on the ground for a minute, I think, or 30 seconds.
last
Sorry.
hit that you missed.
Also, I was seeing something.
Say,
right
what's
off
going on
'cause,
here?
yeah,
Are you being
I got ahead of
pursued?
myself a little bit when I said roaming because this is the other feature that's there from.
There are roaming spawns, and I think there can be 3 at the same time.
Going to be moving around that camp to kind of give you a kind of a dynamic experience inside the jungle while those back harpies are down.
Oh, that's incredible. So you can literally just be roaming through on your clear and be like, oh, there's a harpy. I guess I'll just grab that while I'm here.
Yeah, see, you can have
so
3 up.
experimenting
I
with
think.
roaming camps is something we're really excited about. This is kind of the initial attempt at it, right? And
Oh, they
it's
changed
something
the
we
buff
could
spawn, the buff
definitely
time. That's
play
sick.
with as we go through the seasons in the future. Always something we've discussed. So these roaming harpies will spawn from the back harpy camp, and they will path around that camp in a scripted path. So you can predict where they're going to be. You can pay attention to the mini map. There as indicators on
Yep,
up
they
to
move on
3
the
of them
map.
can spawn, and the back harpy. So all of them can be spawned at once. You can actually
Little
sweep
white
through
like
and scoop
shields
up
or something.
6
Or
harpies
heart.
all
It
at
looks like
once
a
if
heart
you
almost.
plan it perfectly.
If you, there's, like you said, so much nuance to this. And one thing I want to double back to a little bit is, aren't the buff timers for those the like unleashed jungle camps? Isn't there some new rules?
Buffs stay
about
for
what those
30
buff
seconds if
timers
killed
look like?
outside the
Yeah,
standard
good
area.
point. Since you can move
And
them
move
into other
to the
locations now, we
area
wanted
the
to
buff
add some more
spawns
forgiving
for-
elements
from
there.
for-
So
I don't-
Super.
Oh,
yeah, now
So
buff
if you kill a
I mean,
camp, it drops on the
TLDR
ground for 30
is that buff
seconds,
camps will stay
despawns,
on
but
the ground
spawns again
longer.
in the camp
Which,
circle
how
for
many
90
everyone
seconds.
I
You
know
have 2
watching
minutes
the
to
show,
pick up the buff.
everyone has been 1 foot away from a jungle buff
that's
before
dope.
it goes away,
That happens,
right?
like, once a
So
day.
now it's going to be longer.
That's sick.
That's going to happen less.
Thank God.
But the important thing to note is that they will eventually relocate back to their spawn point if left there for too long.
Right.
So
because
Bro,
this
you know
is
they do that so you
unleashed
can't troll your
red buff camp,
teammates and
kill
pull their buff to the
far
other side of the
away
map.
from camp,
Kill it,
it's
and then they
stay there
can't
for a
pick it
small
up.
period of time, and then afterwards it'll actually relocate back to the normal red camp spot.
100%.
and still stay there for an even longer period of time.
This is
So
to
it's
stop
a very long
griefing.
time to pick that.
This
buff
is
up.
smart.
You're not gonna.
Got it.
You're generally not gonna.
I was
miss
smart
it
as fuck. Whoever was
entirely.
like, yo, we should
You
really
might have
do
to go
this.
back to the location or something like that, but you're not gonna miss it.
Yeah, I mean that's super handy.
Also,
It's
you
like
can't
said,
camp a
your
buff anymore,
your
boys.
jungler's like,
You can't
hey,
invade and
drag
just
it out to
stand
you,
there and
it
wait for it
drops
to
in the
despawn.
area, You're like, cool, I'll go get it. You start an engage. You don't get
Little
back
tricky.
there right away. This really gives you that leniency to be like, all right, cool, engage is over. I'm gonna go step back and get my buff. So super cool to hear.
Good job, Iris.
Oh, all right. Well, I mean, we got to keep going. We've talked about roaming camps. We've talked about stacking buffs. How about Cyclops and anything? Cool?
Oh.
I hear we got some
Yeah,
Cyclops.
Another throwback.
Another throwback.
One of my favorites. I'm sure our jungler here has passed 1 or 2 of them.
Send it,
Yeah,
Tally.
and someone probably
Yeah.
saw them.
Might have
People watching the
carried
show.
them.
So there are these treasure chests hidden in the jungle. Notice they don't have mini maps,
True.
but they do have a few set spawn locations, and they can spawn throughout the jungle. When you destroy one, you'll get a buffing area that gives you movement speed.
Huh.
So, and some gold.
Yeah.
Now, as you kill more of those, there might be a little surprise waiting for you.
Nice. What good timing.
I know,
That's
right?
perfect.
So on the third one that you destroy, a Cyclops rogue will ambush you, who's also going for the gold.
so
will ambush you
cool.
and attack you out of the chest. And these are Cyclops characters that were, old characters that
Yeah.
used to be on the map a long time ago. We wanted to, like I said, we tried to find some ways to hide some old Easter eggs and some fun stuff from the early days of Smite. So the Cyclops character will pop out of the chest and will chase you and fight you, and then therefore he'll be worth a little bit more than the normal one, and you can reposition that buffing area
Yeah.
to be in a more convenient location.
Yeah.
So we're treasure hunting.
I was about to say, yeah, it's literally a treasure hunt because they're hidden around the map. So that's cool, though. You got a little somebody else is treasure hunting alongside you and isn't happy that you're doing better than them.
I was gonna say the one last spin on this as well is that this is not just a conquest mode feature. The rogues are gonna be appearing on multiple of the different game maps.
Now the other maps are smaller, so they're going to be easier to find.
I
Which
told
is okay.
you
we
the
actually placed
pathing
them in
right
what we thought
here
were pretty,
is pass into the
obvious
tower.
locations,
So if this
locations
tower's
you're
up, you
really
can't
likely
path
to
through
path
here.
by during a normal jungle
really
rotation.
Yeah.
Mid
And
lane is
the
different.
Other maps that are smaller, more open.
I tried to
they'll
kill
be very
Double J in the
obvious, right? So
in
they're
the show
essentially
match,
just a new
and I ran
contestable
into him
mechanic
there,
for
and
those
he ran
other
into the
maps.
tower. I
And
was
in
like,
those
this
other
is the
maps, it's also
fucking
pretty
tower.
interesting
Like,
because
what the
that
hell?
Speed buff could be really valuable in those other maps because you have a lot more players in a lot closer area that can use it, right? So you can run into it more frequently. If you manage to, get it in arena, your whole team pretty much has that effect very often.
Yeah.
Whereas
you
in
can dash
Conquest,
through
it's going to
it.
be used more by your support, your jungler who's rotating, maybe someone's trying to get back to base.
This map is
ganks,
very,
right.
very good.
Exactly.
Dude.
So
There's
it's a
still
little bit
Invader's
more,
Curse, by the way.
specific in its application in Conquest, but in the other game modes, it can be a very big.
This map is what I've been
team-wide
asking
effect.
for
That's super
at
cool.
least the
As
last 2
treasure
years.
hunt continues,
Like
we've talked
exactly
about
what I was hoping for.
mid-harpies and
I swear
back-harpies,
Hi-Res
but what
listens
about
to
some
me,
of the
but
buffs,
but
just
doesn't
in
say
general?
they hear
What
me.
changes have come to the buffs across the map beyond just their timers and being able to drag them around?
Let's see. So we do have a couple changes to buffs. The purple buff is no longer going to be have the effect that makes you immune or hit into minions
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Minion aggro components.
Yeah, so it's no longer going to have that. It is still going to have a dot damage that it applies to you as its special ability effect.
Yeah.
Global ults, I think will be good,
it
but I don't
is
think they'll
now
be
gonna
that
be
much
more
better.
focused on being
Maybe
a
at
hunter
the
buff as
initial
well. So
start
we've
before people
changed
really
it
learn the map.
Back to the purple buff from the void buff. The mini map icon is now a sword.
Yeah, I don't know if
instead
they
of a shield,
listen to me for this, but
and
this
the
is
buff
what
has,
exactly what I've been
now
asking
It's
for.
going to have 10%
To a T.
attack speed and
Buff
increased
changes,
magical basic
everything.
attack damage and physical basic attack damage. So it is really more of a specific hunter buff.
So purple has no more pen on it.
Similar visuals because it's still the
Right.
purple buff, purple monster, and love, but it is a very different design, more designed for hunters.
Got it.
Especially, with the green buff's existence nowadays.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Oh, we've got a treasure chest.
Oh, let's see.
Will the Cyclops Rogue be in this one?
This was
No.
the second one.
Was it? No, you have to take 3 on the same side.
Where are we right now? There. Okay, right.
There
Oh, we can't find them.
We've been invading a lot of
Okay.
them.
Oh, okay.
So
There we go. That's the second one on
On
this
the side. So
side.
it's based on the side. That's good to know, though.
And if you notice as well, which we saw at the beginning, they're actually symmetrically opposite on each team. So that way, there's not one, you can actually kind of tell where the enemy's one is if you found yours, but also 2, it doesn't feel like a kind of a disadvantage that one is like in a more favorable location versus the other.
Got it.
right, Order and
Or
Chaos
bought
always
Glad
have the same
Shield.
number of
Nah,
them,
there's no
same
more
spots.
power and defense on items.
Cool, cool.
On the
Let's
same
continue
item.
down the buff path. So what
So
about
power is what determines
red
whether an
buff?
item is
that
physical or
any changes to
magical.
red buff?
There are no defense items that have
Red
power
buff
on them.
is gonna be decreased health. That's an important one. So there's a lot of balance changes as
Yeah.
people will read in the patch notes. We're not going to go over every single one
Got it.
line by line. There's a lot of small changes. The short explanation is that new map, different number of camps
Different
and
stats
spaced
and
out in
camps.
different places. So in general, we wanted to keep kind of the total golden experience pacing on this map feeling pretty similar to the way it was
Got
last
it.
year, but it's very
Basically, they couldn't
it's very
balance
different in
items
its
like Glad Shield and
allocation
Void
across
Shield,
the map.
and they knew it.
So in order to
They were
balance
either
that, there's
insanely OP
small
or shit.
changes to the golden XP rewards of a lot
instead
of
of balancing
different
it,
jungle camps,
change it.
as well as the lane minions, things like that. Because
Surtr
in
is
general,
a
things are
warrior.
a little bit more spread out, a little bit harder.
And apparently,
to
he's
get, actually.
fucking OP.
So
I was
things
told,
are
do
generally
not
worth
play
a
him in the
little bit more.
jungle.
And
He
we've
will
also
not
done
be the
some very
same.
key
Play him in solo.
buffs and nerfs to specific, damage outputs and health. So like one of the ones that is important here is the
But I'm playing
buff
him in the
holder
jungle.
of the
Don't
red
get- don't
buff
get it
is
twisted.
getting decreased health. Help make sure mages can clear it without taking too much damage from that a special ability, which also wait, or did we already nerf that? That we already nerfed that once, right? I don't think that's getting nerfed again. The
Yeah.
berserk ability when that red buff is at low health.
Yeah, that did hurt.
That's already been nerfed, but we're nerfing the total health of it a little bit more.
Got it. So with a lot of these buffs, like you said, if you want all of the information, check the update notes. That'll have, because things have changed, health, experience, gold, the number of monsters in a camp. A lot of that's cool, but you can read that on the notes. I think another big notable change with the buff camps is actually the speed buff, right? That definitely had a change as to where it was split into 2 camps. There's 2 speed buffs now, right?
2 full-size
That is
speed buffs.
correct.
Okay, so why 2 speed buffs?
So
instead of
junglers
just
can get that extra farm we've been missing, bro.
More speed.
more
And because speed has been ass.
Hadn't thought about that. I'm sorry I asked.
I think
You
what
are
also-
faster than current speed
absolutely, that's
with this
it's
speed
definitely going to
buff.
be important is more speed,
Yeah,
but
it's
also
more
just
speed.
putting on both sides.
Bigger
of the
map, you need more speed.
Kind of now changes the onus for the assassin, the jungler to, well, not always assassin, right? The jungler to kind of choose which route they want to take, right? They can prioritize the left one or the right one first, and then kind of stack up and go for their other speed buff, or kind of change the buff time that you're going to get it. And that way, it's not always going to be deterministic that the jungler is going to be focusing one side of the map always, because that happens to be where their speed buff is.
Got it.
Now it's going to be a little bit more of a difference. It's going to be harder to read the enemy jungler, and you can now change your own play patterns. to fit your own desires.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Smart
Or even to match
change.
the role of the character
Hi-Rez
you're playing. That makes
fucking
sense.
did a good
It
job,
could be
bro.
like, well, I'm playing somebody who's a little more. I'm playing an assassin, so I'd prefer to start on this side for an early gank and for easier clear of these camps. As to where if you're playing somebody a little tankier, more of a warrior, you'd start on the other side because that gives you the chance to interfere with the. It just I like that, a different ebb and flow, and kind of makes you unreadable, especially as we kick off through PTS in the beginning of the season.
I think
Before
solos
learning
that have
the parts.
early clear
So
will
this
have a
buff is
very
no longer gonna have
serious
a crowd control
advantage.
function on it, but it is going to
Because if it's the start, I think that's gonna
we
be
have another chest. Let's see.
being able to.
There
That's
he
the
is.
third one on the
They
other
found
side.
him.
We spawned the Cyclops thief. that
This
you
is
can
definitely
have
the
anywhere you
coolest
want.
looking Cyclops, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
It's Not the
Being
only
able
reason
to
why we
clear
designed the
a
beginning of
small
this game.
camp and a
that
big
was really
camp at
cool.
the
So
same
now you've
time
got
at
the
level
speed
1
buff
will be
location
massive.
right by your lane there.
Oh, okay.
And
so
that'll
you can
persist
kinda-
for a while.
Roman
You can go back
camps
and
drop
use it
ward
anytime.
with the
That's really
eye.
cool. You can drag it to
I think the
location.
eye only
That's
drops on
awesome.
big
So
creeps, and I don't
then
think
we've
those are
talked about
considered big
so much
creeps.
with this map. Obviously, there's a lot of numbers. There are a lot of
But I
things
could be
that have
wrong.
changed. And
There is a lot of
scaling
numbers on
I don't
those
think I
notes.
am.
We
Yeah.
wanted to make sure we provided everything for documentation reasons and for people to analyze fully. But yeah, we're not going to talk about all that right now.
Yeah, it would take us. This would be a 7-hour event. We'd have to have a break and popcorn and just a whole thing. So if you want to see all of that, make sure to check out those update notes. Because
Bro, if anyone else tweeted that-
Go for some popcorn.
But
If anyone else tweeted
you will see everything. You can see how the lane minions.
So
are
that little
scaling
circle
now
gives you
every 3
movement
minutes
speed
or whatever. Like
when
all
you
the
pass through
information
it.
is there.
So you
But
can
before
rotate
we
around the
leave
map
this
faster.
Map, is there anything else that y'all would like to highlight or anything else that you'd want to say?
Let's see, a couple more small changes. Green buff has been changed in its location. It's
So
very
Julio was
close
banned
to
for saying he was going to
mid
bomb
lane now.
someone's
It's
house.
also no longer.
And fine, okay, he said his chat told him to
freezing,
tweet.
ally buffs
There's
that
a
they
bomb
have.
on the map
So you
now.
can see
Where's
that's kind of
Julio?
a theme for a lot of these different jungle camps. We've lost the AI aggro component. We've lost the freezing component. We've lost the cooldown on blue, but that was shifted between the silver, and we've got the green buffs.
A lot of give and take.
A lot of give and take.
For
Yeah.
various specific reasons.
If
Also,
I
we have the
tweeted
True
that, I'd got
character
roasted for
holding
it.
the green buff now too, which is very appropriate and a very cool character.
Very cool character.
We also have the blue buff, as we called out a little bit earlier when we were talking about the solo lane. Blue buff is no longer going to give cooldown reduction, just mana.
Yeah.
So that's going to make that contestable buff especially valuable. It's going to make warrior builds have to consider their changes, and when we get to later in the patch, we'll talk more about that.
Yeah, it also has an aggro component so that when you do hit an enemy god, you also regen some of your mana. So it's kind of like a little spiced up a little bit.
Now, as y'all continue talking, one more thing I want to see as y'all put in the final notes is, can we see the fountains? I'm sure the fountains changed in this. I want to see the 2 fountains.
Oh, the
Have we not
bases.
been to the bases?
I don't
just
think
feel
we
like-
have.
The bases are a huge environmental change. I'm
small
glad you called them
bases,
out.
bro,
They're
small.
interior
They're
spaces
sick.
now.
You're in a building.
Dude,
And they're high
they're
enough up that any
sick.
flying god is not going to get in the way, which that's one of the reasons why we picked Ratatoskr as our guide to the map, because it's also very
is
lore
fucking
fitting and
sick.
because he has some of the
like
best
that,
air
yeah.
control.
Like, look at
and
how,
we can really
like,
take our time and appreciate
Well,
it.
like, I don't know, just
But
open, but
those
also
bases
close
have
everything is.
interior structures now. It feels so cool to
Oh,
enter into the
man.
enemy's base.
Oh.
It's
Some of these details I haven't even
so
noted. That's
much
beautiful.
intricate
crazy.
artistic detail. Yeah, the statues of Argus called out.
I actually didn't notice.
Wait, I didn't even. Is Allied still on the map?
Statues of our new
What
frog
is-
friend.
What?
That
You
is
go away
so
for holiday
cool.
and suddenly everything just like, wow.
Yeah,
Yes,
I know. Right?
shout out to the DKO crew. They have a frog friend. We have
Oh.
really cool windows into the
Yeah,
floor,
like
glass
looks
floors.
Big,
that you
feels
can see
small. It does
through.
not feel small. Trust me, I've actually played the map.
Environment team absolutely killing it.
Always
Yeah.
knocking it out of the park. I mean, again, this is an entirely.
I
new
already
map.
know what
Yeah,
level
let's
I
switch
am.
over and see if we can sneak into the
From
other side.
we logged
real
in on
quick,
PTS,
but
so I know what
it's-
level I am.
it's
You
just-
can do it.
Oh, I know Ratatoskr can.
We
Sneaky
still have the
little
base
squirrel.
gates. Yeah, that's good to note. Glad we
But
can-
yeah, and I like how the base gates. I saw this earlier, but the base gates obviously reflect the side of the map they're on. On that side, they're more built. They're established. They're regal, and on this side, they're a little more like big stone slabs
Oh,
that are
man.
just sliding
So
out
the
of the way.
interior of the chaos space is the
did
mythical
increase the count
beast
level.
cave. As you can see that.
No, I'm not
giant
max
skull
level,
on the
bro.
top,
It's-
and then
Ominous.
more.
I'm
Like
pretty
skulls
sure
and
the
bones
XP
in
gain,
here.
like I think it takes years
and
to
an
level up.
amber fossilized floor,
Oh,
and
yeah.
some
I've been
updates
level
to the
160
chaos
since like
component.
season 2.
He was he was very
And
regal.
I'm not
and
higher than
proper
level
in his
300.
Tiamat base, and he's gone a little bit more feral and
Oh, I love
dark
it.
Oh yeah.
to match his new base.
And then yeah, the amber skull below the floor. That's incredible. Oh man.
Yeah, the bases. I'm glad we saved those for last because they're really like
Yeah,
the.
I think there was only 2 people
there's so
level
much
higher
cool
level
stuff
than me
on
in the
this
show
map.
match.
The solo lane.
And no one, I
exterior
think, was over
space
level
and dual lane
300.
exterior space. The lava fields and the beach are beautiful. The order and chaos space, though, probably my favorite part of the whole map. Like, gives you
Yeah,
such.
I don't think you
feel
can
when
hit level
spawn into your
2000
base when
unless
you leave
you're
it out
fucking
into
just
the
playing
jungle and
only
out to
this
your
game
lane
for your
to
whole
fight,
life.
and when you're sieging And it's just gorgeous.
And it, like you said at the very beginning, kind of harkens back to like what season 0, like the oldest
Closed
of the
beta
map.
was the
Closed
only
beta,
ones you could go
There's
inside.
a chance
Yeah, it was
I played
back
on a
in closed
version of the
beta, which a lot-
BTS that isn't the final version, so that
Which a
could
lot
be
of people
wrong,
might
but
have
I'm telling
forgotten
you,
about,
I
too,
was
but
like
we had
level,
the
I think I was level
classic conquest
280
event
when I
this
logged
year,
in
so
on
little reminder,
on the
but
test
yeah,
server.
overall just feels and looks really cool. We have new tower,
283
which you
or
might have
something,
noticed
I
these are
think.
completely new models.
Really, I was 244.
Man, just, again, the amount
somewhere
of
in there.
changes, it's a book. It's a phone book. You're really going to have to sit there and read through it. So, obviously, though, make sure to
No,
queue
I don't
in,
think you could
especially
hit
in
max level
PTS.
tally.
Queue in and just walk around the map. Take
I
it
think
all
it's
in,
impossible.
soak in the sights, play Apollo and fly around the map as much
I
as
like
you
these
can.
towers.
Just super exciting stuff. Well, yeah, is there anything else before we exit the
Hog
new
is
console?
gone.
One
There
really
is no more
important
hog in the
balance
game,
change. There's a couple
correct.
other small things about respawn timers and base doors. We can read about those in the patch notes. And
Got it.
the initial timer, we lengthened a little bit of the time at the beginning of the match so people have time to prepare on the new map.
Cool.
But an really important thing to note is that Hand of the Gods.
Am I excited to play
consumable
with Switch
is gonna
players?
be
I'm
removed.
excited to play against Switch players, so I can
This
have
was
150
causing some
kills.
contention at the pro level about being mandatory and forcing very linear strategies that required you to go certain places, certain times. It just really conflicted with a lot of our goals with unleashed camps and opening up the starts and creating a lot more flexibility and more skill expression. So that item's gone.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
And with Invader's Curse as well, we have like more mechanisms to make sure that you feel safer on your side of the map.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, cool.
We
I
could talk
think
about
it's
the stats
very
all
easy
day
to
and find
when you're
more
getting shit on.
interesting
It's very
details.
easy to
There was
farm and
there
keep
was some
up.
callbacks to old assets
So I
hidden
think
across the map.
that you're
There's
gonna see a lot
mythological
more
details and callbacks to,
F7, like,
community
keep
and
the
to
game going, let me farm
throughout the
type
map. So
shit.
really going to be excited to see people explore that on their own. But
Yeah,
Because
for
we were
those of
getting
you who have
crushed.
been
It was
here- who have
16
been
to
here
2
for
in
a
the show
long
match,
ride,
and I
you know,
was the same
tweet
level.
at us.
I was
Take
like fine
screenshots
farming.
and compare and show us all these secrets that you find. Because
And I didn't go Golden Blade, so I could've been farming even better.
10 years of an incredible game with an incredible community, and it's just the beginning of what we have to talk about today. So super excited.
There's a
for
lot
it,
of
but
items gone, boys.
unfortunately, We gotta keep moving. There's so
40
many things.
and we have
New
way more.
items,
We
I
have
think,
way more stuff to
40
talk
items
about.
gone.
And a lot of
Stuff.
stuff that's really exciting. So I mean, I'm excited to get into this next section.
All right, cool. Well, I mean, how about we move on to the next section then? We got some ranked stuff coming up. So what do we got in the world of ranked stuff we got to talk about?
Well, we have one really big rank change.
One really big rank change. All right,
We have
what is
more rank changes, but one that's really big, and that is that all ranked modes are going to be full crossplay
it?
in year 10.
I am gonna
They're also gonna be
fuck
hard
on some
reset,
console
which
players,
is
dude.
very
I can't
important.
wait to just
I think
just eat your
a
tears.
lot of
Just
the friction
fucking.
in crossplay. I
can't wait to hear 'em hitting the ground.
People of different skills, different play styles.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
But with a hard
The
reset,
GM
everyone
console
starts
players
at
are gonna
the
come in,
same
bro.
starting point,
Oh,
right?
they're gonna get
so
the
from day one
fucking hands.
of 10-1 ranked, you can have console players and PC players playing together, playing against each other on every team.
That's crazy.
And we'll see who can rise to the top.
all the way, yeah.
Maybe some players who are used to being masters might have a harder time getting there in the new season. Maybe they will prove us wrong, and the console players shall reign
Hey, you
supreme.
ninja.
Yeah.
Really, anything is possible.
I mean, that's just huge. So
Yeah.
super excited to see that.
So some important additional notes about that. I
Yeah.
don't want to undermine how big of a change this is, right?
Yeah,
we know it's
no,
very
please,
important.
continue.
So we've got a lot of advocates on the Olympians squad, as well as from influencers and other pro players who are interested in this. It really expands the overall matchmaking pool of ranked by a huge amount.
Yeah.
That's so
The
important.
console ranked scene is
Yeah, but
large.
PC with a controller, you're
So
still playing against
that
controller
gives
players,
more
my guy.
players the
You're in the
opportunity
controller
to play
pool.
with the best of the best if they can get their MMR up high enough to play with them.
Yeah.
It
There's
also
no
gives
more
a larger casual
different
pool of
queues.
players to
Everyone's in
make
the
sure
same
those
queue.
matches are as close
You're
as
on a
possible.
controller, you're in my fucking
And
queue.
as they play, the MMR system will shake things out, move people to their appropriate places. So a lot of big effects that can have. And this is just I think something we've been wanting for a while.
Yeah.
We've been wanting it internally, but we wanted to make sure we did it the right way at the right time.
I think GM on
and
Switch this year.
this seemed to
Yeah,
be the
buddy.
way that it all lined up.
I mean, year 10 is the big kickoff. It's so many things. We're just
They're
going for it,
doing
you know.
everything
we
this
wanna
year
show
that
more
I
than
have
anything that we're
talked about
appreciative
for the
of
last
10
2
years
years.
that we've had so
Every
far,
single
that
thing.
it's only the beginning.
It's
It
like-
only gets bigger and bigger from here, really.
So
I was in
then
meetings
the
with them or
other
something.
change is the God leaderboards. So
Yeah.
people have had a hard time acquiring those top level borders. And we've done some tinkering with the formula and the system and the numbers and things like that. And it was difficult to get that to balance out for all the different gods some that get tons of play.
You're
some
still
that get much
recording
less
though,
play,
Deja? Yeah,
different
buddy.
modes. There was a lot of variability there. So we've kind of adjusted this system to be a lot more consistent. And that is just that based on your leaderboard position, that's what border you're going to get. So if you're
Okay.
the top 10 Thor player in the game, you're going to have a Master's border.
Got it.
No matter where your rank is at, no matter what your individual Thor MMR is, you're going to get that Master's border. And this is going to update dynamically. So if you're not
Oh,
playing
they're
that God for a while,
fixing this
people-
shit.
Start
pass
playing
you,
fast,
you can get bumped down,
Got
right?
it.
So you have to be at the top for
Gotta
the
fight for
Masters,
it.
in that middle for the Diamond, the bottom of the leaderboard for Platinum.
making
and every
it
player who
more
just
serious.
meets the requirement gets that gold border. So even if you can't make it on the leaderboard, you can still earn that gold border, which you could show off in other. You could show off your console or your conquest ranked border in normal conquest.
Got it.
So you can say, I'm a ranked player.
Yeah,
big
I
deal,
flex. You know, it's-
Like
I'm just here to practice.
Was it, right?
Clumsy's genuine laugh at that, like little
Yeah,
cheeky
that was
impression
pure
I did,
joy.
whatever. Yeah, so that's just something for everyone to go out and achieve.
Yeah.
because we wanted to have a skill expression part of it. But we also wanted something that just everyone could go out.
Oh,
and
I
achieve.
cannot wait
Awesome.
to play,
Good
dude.
to hear it. Well, the only other thing
Yeah,
in the
fucking
ranked
wait.
area is that there are obviously ranked quest rewards, and you can read all about those on the patch notes. But if you're playing and winning games, and they're there on the bottom of the screen, you'll be winning rewards. So play to win, earn some cool rewards along the way, have a good time with it.
Also, as we have been doing now, the ranked skin will be available immediately.
Yeah, right away. So
Nice.
if you hit the requirement to earn the ranked skin, which is the Berserker Rama skin, then you got it right away.
A little shout out to the season 2 ranked was Berserker Uller.
Right, yeah.
So another little nostalgia, Berserker
little
Rama for
throwback.
Dandy,
for
I think
your time.
Dandy
Cool.
Yeah.
All
He's
right,
learning to
let's move on
communicate
into some
with
normal
while being
game
comfortable.
mode changes. How about it? So it looks like there's a lot of stuff, starting with the way the queue systems are working. It looks like.
Yeah, this is another big one. So
big one.
we are changing normal queues back to be non-timed queues. Ranked
Okay.
queues will remain timed queues. So what that means is that these queues will no longer have a specific time for how long they're going to be.
The countdown
You're just
clock,
going to
got
queue
it.
them, and they're going to count up.
Got
And
it.
they'll pop
I don't
whenever
know how I
they're
feel
ready.
about the non-ranked
And
part.
you will need to
was
accept
about to clap.
that queue pop. You won't be able to just decline for free.
Yeah.
Like you used to be in the current mode. A lot of people will be familiar with the system from
From
some
the past,
earlier years
yeah.
of Smite. The main advantages of this system, there's two. One is that multi-queue will get to return, which I know a lot of
really
people are
nice.
excited about. So you
Yeah.
can queue for many modes at once and let the matchmaker sort it out where you want to go.
That's cool.
The other change that's really important.
Clumsy,
about
by
this
the way,
is
on
it
the
gives
right
us a
is
lot
one of
more
my vlog
flexibility in what we can
that I was
do with
talking to
our
the dev.
matchmaking.
yeah.
Time queues had a lot of
He's
advantages.
the old homie.
I mean, they were nice because they're very consistent, but that also makes them very rigid. Time queues
Bro,
did
I
not
might
have a
not
lot
get
of flexibility
sniped.
for how we can match players together, how we want to do things. Time queues were when the queue pops, we make the best match we can.
Yep.
And if we make a bad match, we could say, well,
think about
we
this.
did our best.
Oh
It's-
my
time was up,
God.
and that's all we got. But with this type of matchmaking,
You
we
fucks
can
might not be
really
able to snipe me as
spend a lot more
easily.
time, and we are going to spend a good bit of time this year
So
making
happy.
engineering level changes to that matchmaking system to continually update and experiment on this. So the important thing to note is that this is going to be ongoing.
I
This
will
is something
never
we're gonna
use
be adjusting
multi-queue, by the
throughout
way.
year. This is something that for the first
But
week
you all
of
can use it.
10-1
Have
might
your
be
fun.
even different from week 2 or
Yeah.
10-2, etc. We want to test this, see how things go, and we're going to be very open with community, with their feedback. Maybe timed queues come back at some point.
Yeah,
and
dude,
maybe there's
at
a
that
better
show match,
combination
all I
way
did
things
was wanted to try the new
do
shit.
that, but we really wanted in year 10 to actually be able to make more changes to how the matchmaking system works.
Yeah.
And in the very rigid timed queue system, we really can't do that. It's just a linear list of top to bottom.
Ranked is
at
still
the time.
time, but ranked
No way
once
to
I,
extend a little bit
once
of
I'm
time.
higher
Oh, we have
ranked,
9 of 10
the
masters.
shitters can't get in my
Wait
game
a little
anyway.
longer. Nope, time
Not
queues
good
don't do
enough.
that, right?
Yeah. Right.
You
It's
either
done.
wait the whole thing or you go.
Yeah.
So we have a lot more flexibility with the system. I'm really excited to see what we can do.
Awesome. Just an incredible amount of changes, honestly. I mean, the map is huge, the ranked mode, the queues, so many things, and we're just at the beginning of the show. We still have so much to talk about. And I'm actually joined here now by a familiar face, Titan Clumsy, and another familiar face who just wasn't here a second ago, Titan Lermy. So welcome aboard. So,
Hey.
I mean, we have more stuff to talk about. Balance is not over yet, and we're going to dive right into it, starting with some brand new additions to the item world, shard relics. So, take it away.
Yeah, so this
No,
we
no
keep saying
items
there's so
yet.
much going into this year.
There is.
I'm not going to keep going the preamble of what
These
what
are
we just
cool,
went through,
but be
items,
aware, I
there's
think they
so
hype 'em
much
up a
going
little
on
too
in the
much.
world of the gameplay,
Yeah.
what's going to be happening in Smite. One of the biggest new things coming up are, like you said, shard relics. So
Yeah.
what are shard relics? You may have heard a similar term before, the vision shard, right? That's
Yeah.
the kind of free
You
relic
start
shard that
with
you
it,
got at the beginning.
Forget to throw a ward.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
You kind of got that for safety. But now we're kind of expanding on that system. So we have what are called shard relics. And these are basically different alternatives to the vision shard. So there's going to be 4 new shard
I
relics.
just got the
that you
best
can now
message
choose
I
from
ever
at
could
the
get in my
start of the
life.
game. So 4 new ones still have
I'm gonna
vision
say
shard, that's still gonna
anything
be one of the,
other than I'll probably be streaming the game.
and just like
all
Vision
night.
Shard, you will now be able to have these from the beginning of the game, and then
I won't say
upgrade
anything
them
else.
again
I'm
at
not allowed
level
to.
12.
Okay, that's cool.
And all of these shards are based off of the Season of Monsters, of course, which is what we're starting with. So you'll notice a little bit of a theming here. That we've got some monster parts, things that you might go and collect if you've slain a giant beast or something of that like. So
I didn't say anything. I should be streaming all night. That's all I'm saying.
All of these shard relics,
Without
kind of
stopping.
almost other than Vision Shard, like we said, the monster theme, they're also designed to have kind of mini relic power plays, right? They have a very similar goal in the sense that they're kind of 3-second buff debuff duration. And they have the same 120-second cooldowns. So we wanted to see what players can kind of do with one main relic that they can choose out, still just like normal. And then these little mini skill expression plays that you can do up to level 12. And then we're obviously definitely intentionally designed them to be replaceable later on. In fact, you'll see that there's a lot of similarities between these shard relics and maybe some of the stronger
I hit the lotto, baby. You right?
Okay, cool. I mean,
I'm so happy.
Do you want to go through them?
Let's get started.
Let's start off. Obviously, we know about Vision, so it's the same thing. But how about a Horn Shard? There's a new one.
Yep. So Horn Shard. This is going to be your non-ultimate ability cooldowns are going to be reduced every
so
few
remember,
ticks.
these
up
are
to 3
actives.
seconds. So kind of like that.
They're early game actives that you replace at level 12.
Now you're kind of getting those mini.
This is instead of Vision Shard. They're a 3-minute cooldown use.
Cool. All right. So
they're very, very good.
How about that?
But they're on 3-minute
Claw's a really
cooldowns.
fun one. Claw is bonus
sorry,
power.
2-minute cooldowns. I thought they were on 3-minute. My bad.
So
they're a little better than I thought.
Very, very small scaling component, mostly to kind of differentiate this one from a later shard that we're going to be talking about. But this one is really, really fun.
Vision Shard gets replaced by this, or you could have Vision Shard if you want. These are insane though. Wait till you see the one I use in the show match.
Got a little bit of lifesteal and ability lifesteal.
Yeah.
You could also just use it to kind of sustain yourself back a little bit if you just want to stay in lane for one more greedy play, right? You can go and use that. Also, just as a caveat, because we kind of didn't mention it, them being relics and items, they're going to be in all game modes. This is not just a conquest.
Exactly.
All game
New
modes.
gameplay for
No
all
one will get Vision. There will be no early Vision on the map. So being a jungler is beautiful.
Shard in here.
Yeah, so Wing Shard.
This is what I was using.
Quite simple. Movement speed, attack speed.
Makes sense.
Kind of like the
40% attack speed, 15% movement speed.
Later
on someone like Mercury.
Just the movement speed, attack speed. A lot more attack speed than movement speed because we know how valuable that can be.
Yeah.
Cool, and it's looking like the last of the new ones is a Carapace Shard.
Yes,
shell.
now this one is really, really fun to get on support specifically because this is, you activate
This
it,
is sick too.
and then you have the next 3 seconds to attack an enemy with a basic attack. And whoever you hit, their protections get stolen away and given to you. So not only are you making someone weaker, but you're also getting stronger.
The dive shard, all right.
So it's the most unique one.
Yeah,
kind
these
of
get
out of the
replaced at
other
12
ones.
minutes with a real
The
active. You're
Vision
not going
Shard,
to keep
but it's also
these.
kind of got that Sunder gameplay.
They're not
right? So
3-second buffs too short.
Component to
It's
get
way
a
too
buff
short.
for yourself.
Cool. Well, those are the brand new shards, which I'm really excited. Again, just another way for. We're seeing it so many times. I'm getting overloaded with information, right? Because we're seeing so many ways for players to get in and express themselves.
That's what it's about.
Their
Skill
play
expression.
style. So I think that's really cool because, yeah, as somebody who plays a lot of Guardians, I'm going to be hopping in there like, all right, 120 seconds has passed or whatever. I can dive now.
And absolutely. And talking about the game modes thing, I think what's important there is that you can still get Vision Shard if you want to just be careful, ward your lane and stuff like that. But Vision Shard's also not that useful in the other game modes. Right?
Yeah,
if you're in Arena and you have Vision Shard, sure, you can go ahead and use it. You can finally get that one warded stat at the end of the game, right? But now with these other Shard relics, you can make a little bit more interesting power plays.
Exactly. Yeah. And like you said, Vision Shard is still useful. If I know I'm playing against aggro in the jungle, well, I may still get Vision Shard.
The important thing is if you don't get Vision Shards in Conquest, buy wards. Just buy wards.
Yeah, just buy wards.
Just buy wards. So, all right. Next up, it looks like there are some items that are going away in this season.
Yeah, it's like, let me get my water out because there's a whole bunch.
There's a whole bunch.
Yeah, pay attention to this, boys.
Yeah, because it's been a long run. We've had a lot of new items and a lot of items, and with the beginning of the season, some items are seeing the curbs. So.
So
let's get into
a little bit of a preamble for this one.
All right.
Is the item store is changing quite heavily.
Oh yeah.
Quite heavily.
We've seen a lot of feedback. We're 10 years in. We've done a lot of things to the item store. This is going to be a pretty heavy shakeup. When we were evaluating how we wanted to do that shakeup, one of the important things is we didn't want to just constantly add new items. So sure, we've done some reworks and stuff in the past. Maybe we've even deleted a few items. But if we're going to just
probably not alpha,
if we want to keep going with Smite,
it's based on high-res's API, and the API is probably down because of this.
Stuff that could be for casual players as well, or even for invested players.
Prepping for next season.
Growing the passive text as we tend to do. But we'll get to that in a little bit as well. So one important thing is we wanted to reduce the kind of the item store bloat. What we kind of can call, and we're going to choose opportune places with for many different reasons that we chose these items, but if you like some of the effects that are being removed, you might see them on other items. You might see them come back again.
Yeah.
That's not to say they're going to be permanently removed forever, but we
Wind
wanted to
Demon
start
Tree
with a
is
new
gone.
baseline, just like we talked about for the Conquest map.
Yeah.
We're starting with a new foundation. We're doing that here.
Gotta refresh. Call it spring cleaning if you have to.
I think the helmet tree. There's so many trees that were just gone and
pull
moved.
some stuff out, but I know we say it like every single show, and we mean it every single show. We're listening to y'all, so we're gonna make these changes. We're proud of them. We think they're gonna be awesome. You might not agree with all of them. Tell us the ones you love.
Just because these items are gone, these trees are gone, that doesn't mean their passives aren't
y'all's
on a
feedback
new
is
item
what-
and a
is
new
what
tree.
drives us towards making these game-changing, great changes. So. The word change is getting garbled. So let's get into the items being removed. Let's start it off. What are we losing?
So there are 2 entire item trees that are being removed: the Imperial Helmet Tree and the Enchanted Buckler Tree.
Got it.
We can
Yeah,
get
one
into
time
that
you
a little
can.
bit as well on the patch notes as well. If you read alongside, we wanted to really reinforce tree identity, so we've relisted kind
If
of
you
the goals for
if
each
you
of the
don't
trees.
come back
But
this
specifically
season
talking about the
and
removed
you
items,
like Smite at
we
any
go
point in
to
your
each of
life,
these. We're
you're
talking about the
fucking
Imperial
trolling.
Helmet Tree, so Celestial Legion Helm.
Got it.
Unfortunately, that's going to be removed.
Bye-bye.
This is gonna be Smite's best season
Jade
since season
Emperor's
2.
Crown, again, going along the entire tree, and Tyrannical Plate Helm, although you're going to see a little bit of a callback to that one again. I'm not sure Celestial Legion Helm or Jade Emperor's Crown if we have any favorites here, but some people
I
really
have to
like...
be a little bit biased, The Jade Emperor can't build his crown anymore.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
true,
you're wrong,
that's
true.
true.
We
Darwini.
might need to address that, yeah.
Man, we're just missing hats now. All right.
Shifter Shields, that's one that we always kind of toe the line on, what's strong and what's not. That one's going to be removed.
Yeah.
Void
There's a
Shield,
lot of items that are gone.
Runic Shield also, that's going to be gone. We're going to see different ways of kind of enhancing on magical protections and kind
Got
of
it.
combating
There's
those
some new
characters.
mage
So some
items
of
that are
these themes,
fucking
again,
cracked.
might
There's
come
some new
back.
physical or not physical, new defense items that are cracked.
Anchile, Ansile,
One of those.
Anchile, I'm
Ansile,
gonna
that's fine.
get annihilated, but it's one of those 3 or 4 or 5. That one's going to be removed. Void Stones, similar kind of vein as Void Shield.
Got
Some
it.
of these, we chose some of these items that'll have a little bit passive effects that have kind of not really worked out for us. Some hybrid items, and we're going to get to that in a second, so don't want to jump
yeah.
the gun too much.
Keep working on it, yeah.
Stone of Fall, again, in kind of that same tree with the Void Stone. Now we're going to shift gears a little bit. Ring of Hecate. That's going to be, I know it's kind of one of the more newer ones you could say, but with whether it's Bancroft or the Glyph, we've kind of seen that one not as valued as it used to be, and we're going to see some new options maybe coming in.
Got it.
Book of the
Spoiler.
Dead, that one's actually going to be removed. Stone Cutting Sword, I think this was one that was a little bit, I know some people really liked it. Its effects was honestly either going to be kind of penetration based, so you can get that kind of option elsewhere.
Yeah.
And again, allows us to reintroduce or add new items to flesh out the stores in more interesting ways. So
Got
I want
it.
to readdress
A lot
that.
of items
point.
are gone.
Yeah.
Blackthorn Hammer, so we're talking about the hybrid items again.
Yeah.
The Sledge, now that one was a tough one because we
That's a
still
shame.
love the idea of the Sledge.
By
Right?
the Sledge.
I know we're gonna, F's in chat for the Sledge, but
True.
Bulwark of Hope.
Oh yeah, Stone
is gonna
Cutting
be
Sword is
removed.
gone.
Hide of the Urchin. This one's interesting as well because Hide
Yeah.
of the Urchin was one of the best items in the game, but it's also one that people just didn't want to buy, and it was extremely
Yeah.
variant based on obviously kills and assists.
Very difficult
So-
to get that item fully stacked in
Yeah.
your normal conquest game.
And if you're playing any arena and you're some sort of tankier character and you didn't grow this, you're objectively making the wrong decision. But it's not really the most
Yeah.
fun one to
Yeah.
do. So again, making sure we incentivize fun gameplay. Witchblade, that one's going to be removed. Hide of the Nemean Lion in the 10th iteration.
Like I
of it
said,
also be removed.
just because the items are
Ichabod,
gone
another
doesn't
fun
mean their
item, but you're gonna see
stats aren't
some
somewhere
nonsense
else.
coming later on, so don't be
Remember
upset
that.
about that. Shadow Steel
Just 'cause an
Shuriken,
item's gone
is
doesn't
also
mean
gonna be
its
removed.
stats
We're gonna
aren't
see
on a
some,
different item in a
Notion
different
Step
tree.
And also alongside of these, so that's the last of the tier 3 items.
Yeah.
40
Alongside
items
those,
removed.
there's
That
gonna be
doesn't
many
mean there's
tier 2
40
items that have been
brand new
removed that are, kind
stats,
of connected
passives,
to
everything
these tier 3
items.
that weren't
Just
relevant anymore.
And
Yeah.
that may all sound
New
very
shit.
scary. Like, that's like half the item.
That's a lot of
store,
items.
right?
a lot of
We were
items.
joking about it. That's
That's
a lot.
like 20 plus tier 2s and 1s.
But again, remember, we've got some more stuff to talk about here in that new items are coming, changes to old
Reworked
items are
items,
coming
yeah.
as well. So, it's not going to feel so empty. Don't worry. We got you.
Yeah, I think we're kind of getting right into it.
Oh,
So
man.
it's gonna be the first category because we kind of
I
broke
agree,
this
Mama.
down into
It's
categories.
unrealistic that
Yeah.
40
Hybrid
brand
items.
new
We talked
stat
about
and
that a little
everything
bit. We
item, new
talked about the
passives.
shields,
There's
we
no
talked
way.
about the hammers. We talked about the stones and the crowns a little bit. One big goal that's going to be going into this, year 10 season.
Yeah, the
season
big
1
1-0.
is the idea of these hybrid items. Hybrid items have historically always kind of been problem points.
Yeah.
Whether they're the tier 2 versions from before or the
Bye-bye.
current tier 3s. Where
Lincoln would be
they
like,
have
bye-bye.
a mix between power,
more.
offensive stats, and defensive stats. I
Yeah.
mean, that's what makes them hybrid
You
items.
can do all
And
gone, too. I'll
they
get
were
him to come
either
do it.
priced
All
or
gone.
statted accordingly to really purchase them kind of early on into the games. But that also made them really, really tough to balance.
Hybrid
honestly,
gone,
because that's
boys.
what-
Of course.
what this is all about. You tend to see this in the solo lane if you're going to be talking about Conquest or for Warriors and Guardians. But with that design space, we found it to be very difficult to find when they're going to be healthy, when they're not going to be healthy. And I think a lot of you guys in chat and home playing Smite, you know which kinds of items we're talking about. They were always really tough, whether it's the Glad Shields, whether it's the stones against the crowns. So now we're going to be having to
ranked
choose.
reset. Everyone's at 1500 MMR.
Choosing between power on these
Everyone's at the
hybrid
exact
items,
same
'cause they're no longer
place.
any hybrid items. You could just say they're basically
Start from
removed. It's
zero,
gonna be
basically, but it's
defensive
1500.
or offensive options. You know,
The
you're no
ranked
longer
reset.
going to have power and protections on the same
one
item
thing.
anymore.
Got
That's
it.
just not happening.
That's huge.
Hybrid gone,
So
bitches.
with that in mind,
Let's
we've got
get in.
the,
We have so many changes. Yeah, let's
the
start talking about
stone
individual
rework.
cases.
So you want to go into this one, Larry? We'll talk about the stones.
Yeah, let's start this. Actually, let's go a little bit more overarching here for a second. So because power is not sharing protections anymore.
Oh yeah, there's
There's
an
a
interesting
lot
note
of
here
a
too.
lot of switch ups that can happen. So if you're thinking the shields, the stones, they can be bought by any class.
Right.
Any class, physical or magical. So you could have Glad Shield Guardians. You could have
a really good point.
stone items on your warriors. It could be any of them. So that's the first very important thing that we should talk about here is that your build potential is open.
Remember,
much
items
wider.
were
a lot of
or for those of you in the
class
solo
based
lane
based
and
on their
support
power they had on them,
Yep,
like physical or
absolutely.
magical.
So the first
that
one
doesn't
of these
exist
being,
anymore. They're not
Stone
on
of
defense
Binding.
items.
You know, we talked about the different hybrid items. We talked about, you know, this one specifically was the last tier 2. Again, another design space that is a little bit. I know people almost ask for tier 2s to come back. It's not an easy place to go, especially like we talked about for hybrid items. You have to price them accordingly if they're either hyper efficient or just not bought at all. So Stone of Binding is going to be brought into a tier 3. It's going to be building off of Sage's Stone. And Druid Stone and Sage's Stone are going to be getting.
Hard flip, you will play with high level players
and yeah,
for the first like
so for Stone of
couple
Binding,
weeks or month.
it's not going to be getting a massively different passive. It's effectively still the same thing. It's just going to be scaling with your per level.
Remember, the pool of players for rank now is triple.
Yeah, as we continue, I'm going to be the
We have
broken
3
record
times the
here and
amount of
say
people playing
there are
rank
a lot
now.
of numbers with this new
3
season.
times.
I know that
might
the
not
update
play the
notes
same
are
people over and
terrifying
over and
because
over and
you
over and
could,
over.
You could like
Probably
unlock your
won't.
mouse's scroll wheel, flick it down, and then go make a pizza before it would finish getting to the bottom. But like, if you want the numbers, they are all there. You can follow along with us and get the numbers because they'll be on the bottom of the screen
40
as best they
fizz,
can. We're
40
not going to
magical,
talk about
250
every single
HP.
number because we don't want. You know, we wouldn't want to be here.
It is
till
a
we're
tier 3
50,
item.
So, just
Successfully
gonna be
an
the
enemy
broken
god with the
record
crowd
there for a
control ability
second.
will
But yeah,
place a debuff on them,
let's keep
reducing their
moving on.
physical
We got
magical
some
protections
shields
by
to talk about
5,
next, and
plus
then,
1 per level.
hybrid or not hybrid
So we go up to
realm.
25.
So what about the shields? Yeah.
Yeah, let's
25
start talking
protections
about
just
them. I guess
gone.
best place to start would be which one do you want to start with?
So Gladiator Shield. I think we're going like we're skipping a little bit, but Gladiator Shield's the
Yeah.
one that's really you know
Okay.
been a problem point again.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Because
So
there's tier 1s and 2s as well, but we're gonna get the T3s.
yeah, the important thing to talk about here is Gladiator Shield. So this is basically the same. It's getting a little
These
bit of a
stats
caveat
are- those
here, 'cause
stats are
again,
good as fuck,
We're opening
by the
this
way.
up to a whole new realm of Smite characters being able to purchase Glad Shield.
Yeah.
So one thing that we
It's a
have
lot of
added to
HP
this
5.
is the ability to any consecutive hits that you do with this are going to have decreased damage. So your characters like your King Arthurs, your spammy characters, like the first thing that pops into my mind when I
This
think
is
about
key.
Glad Shield
Listen
and
to
Guardian
this.
is cardio.
True.
You will be able to do a lot of spamming here, but again, remember, every consecutive hit that you're doing with this is going down quite a bit.
Yeah. All right.
Yep. And
Blue Stone and Glad
that
Shield
clause there, the
do
subsequent
not
damage
just keep
reduction
ramping
we
up
mentioned
damage.
before with Soul Reaver. You also will be seeing this added to several other items.
This item is still
like
very
Crusher
good.
in the Bluestone tree.
Got
It's
it.
the same kind of idea. What we're doing with Glad Shield, it's just been hyper efficient for some of the characters with multiple abilities, and
Yeah.
it was kind of leading to be a little bit unfair. But going back a step now, I kind of threw you guys for a loop. We did that one first. I apologize, that's on me. But we have obviously the round shield and tower shield are going to be reworked their stats.
Yeah.
Berserker shield being the other shield here.
Yeah.
That's going to be getting a small shift as well. But the important thing here is it's no longer to be class restricted.
Yeah.
Because I think hunters as well were
Not
restricted
able to
away
buy
from
this,
that one.
Yeah, but not
And now with the big thing here is less
I'm
about the
interested in
passive.
this
We did get a
passive. I
little
don't
bit of
remember
change.
this
Glad
passive.
Shield, that one's probably more important than the Berserker Shield, but the fact that they no longer have power. That's
that's
what's
right.
really going to be important.
Oh, yeah,
here,
the
because if
procs
you're
are now
buying
at 50%
Glad Shield or Berserker
instead of
Shield
30
for
or
its
whatever they
power
used to
and
be.
hybrid stats in current Season 9.
So
Now
you're
you have to make a
brawl,
really big
bro.
choice.
You get
have to choose
tanky and
between
start attacking
the passive
fast
and the
as
protections
fuck.
and the utility stats it can give you, or an
Berserker
actual power
Shield
item.
Yeah.
and
So I
Aussie
feel like
on certain
we revisit
gods
this 3
could
times,
be
the most important part
a
is
nutty combo.
if you want to build hybrid, if you want to be both damaging.
Like hybrid
offensive
or
and
long Shen
defensive
jungle
in
might
your
still be
stats.
really
You
good.
now need to get a defensive item, which this is classified as
Your
now.
power
Yeah,
spikes
and
ultra
an
low.
offensive item.
Exactly.
Which, you know, I like seeing before in some of the games where there's in the SPL, we started seeing some chalks with Transcendence, right? That's
Yeah.
the kind of gameplay that we're talking about.
Okay.
Is you get an offensive item, and it doesn't have to be Transcendence, but it could be whatever you may
Yeah,
want,
whatever
and
you
you
feels
get
best.
the defensive items to kind of round out
Exactly.
your stats.
Yeah.
Got it.
So that's the important stuff there with the shields. Going into
Bro,
the next category of items.
this is like
or,
Christmas
well,
for
same
me, bro.
category, another tree.
Yeah, another
This
tree.
is like
Just these
Christmas, my birthday,
Ooh, boy.
fucking
I love
everything
the
in
hammer
one.
so
yeah,
much.
you do. Specifically this one.
Yeah, so Frostbound Hammer is getting a little bit of a change because again, it does have to do with that hybrid playstyle. So this one will actually have power, but again, to kind of go back to our point, items can have power and health, just not power and prots. Those two things
Got it.
gotta be staying separate here.
Exactly.
So this has power and health, and then MP5 and HP5, of course, and you'll see that kind of theme throughout the hammer tree.
New season
But
drops
we've
on
also made
Tuesday.
A nice change to the passive
This one's
here.
passive. It's a little
But I
bit
might be
different.
playing
little
it
bit
sooner
different.
than you would
Yeah.
think.
So how this works now is instead of getting that slow effect on every single auto that you're doing, you're going to get a bigger slow effect. And it also will happen in an AoE.
Yeah.
But it's got an internal cooldown, so it can't
Oh.
happen too often. But when it does happen, then you've got the opportunity to go crazy with it.
I
Yep,
did
so we're
not
looking
know.
at
Wait,
the
that
hybrid
seems
items.
kind of
We wanted to
bad.
make those stat shifts, and we said, Frostbound's kind of one that's not been as fun. You might see another item come
Am I
in,
trolling or is
a little
Frostbound
later
bad
on. Took this opportunity, and similar, we're here with Runeforge, the other hammer. Again, it's got the power, no protection like that, has a little bit of health, the HP5 and MP5. But its passive effect is
Maybe
going to be
I'm wrong.
different.
We'll
so
see.
it's still playing with the hard
Can't
CC
say.
effects that it kind of was before, but now it's actually going to be creating a field on hard CC that
Yeah.
increases the damage enemies inside that field take
Yes.
from anyone on your team.
This effect is so much
That's
fun
crazy.
too on characters like Tyr, on people that can really hold you still in this Runeforge proc. You're gonna be having a lot of fun because that's really the whole goal with this item. Is you want to pick a character or a team comp that can really keep those people in the area, so you can do that extra damage to them. Because if
Yeah.
they're stuck in there, they're not having a fun
Yeah,
time.
they're hurt.
They're gonna be in pain.
And to revisit the goals again from the beginning, we wanted to remove and replace a lot and rework a lot of the items that were a
Yeah.
little bit more passive, a little bit more boring, you could say, and to create these new, more active gameplay moments. That's the
Yep.
goal for a lot of these reworked items and for new passives coming in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when you see the effects on the ground and things
That
like
might
that. You'll
be
have
really
that clear
OP.
go button of, okay, I see the actual visual that this has happened. Now I know that we should fight right now.
Yeah, there's a circle. I want to fight in that circle.
Fight in the
So,
circle.
You'll notice we winced when the word boring came out. It's because as game designers, that word scares us because you just don't want your stuff to be boring. So if
well,
you say
it's
that word
either boring or too complicated, right? So-
yeah, right. So like we want everything to be fun, but it's just funny, it's like a thing you don't even think about. You're like, if it's boring. So anyway, all right. So there's one more item
the
here for
final
the
one,
hybrid.
This is more of a shift. So
Yeah.
with the tree changes from before, Katakea's shield didn't have a home. It's
Yeah,
now going to be
bye-bye.
brought into the hammer tree. So it is now going to be
News
Katakea's.
club.
You
Look
use it
at
to bonk.
The
Yeah.
Noosh.
stats are going to be shifted, but the passive is unchanged.
Yep.
Cool. So yeah, it's just a new tree, a new little home. So that does it for hybrid. But now we're into a kind of a hot ticket area. How about some anti-heal?
Oh, yeah, here we go.
Some
Ooh.
anti-heal, some no healthy
This
stuff.
is a lot.
Second
of fun.
category of items, the anti-heal items.
I didn't look at all these
There's
items.
been multiple ways of addressing these,
interested
and
in
I'm
this.
not going to have a massive preamble on every single one of them. Basically, we
Yeah.
want them to be more fun. How about that?
How about that?
We want
Oh,
them
I
to
do
be more
remember.
fun.
They told us about
Anti-heal
this. I lied.
feels more like
This
a
is
stack.
sick.
And now each one of these anti-heal items is going to be getting an actual
Yeah.
passive. With that in mind,
Anti-heal's just an extra
because
stat
we're
now.
basically adding power and we're not doing like massive rework shifts like we were for the other items,
Yeah.
they're likely going to be either getting stat shifts or nerfs in other ways to make up for the fact that they're going to just be getting a new gameplay effect.
Exactly.
So mostly
Got
it's
it.
increased costs to make them more in line. So the first one, Divine Ruin. So again, a little bit of a cost increase and a whole new passive. The passive is your next successful damage ability actually triggers a chain lightning effect with an internal cooldown. So kind of like a magical
300
Odysseus
more
spell
gold, 350
effect.
more
Yeah,
gold.
with an
A little
internal cooldown,
Yeah.
so you've got to have to play around
You gotta
that.
wait
And
for
the
it.
best part about this is that lightning applies Divine Ruin.
Yeah.
So for those
Yay.
characters
That's a
who have
lot
a
of
bit
extra
tougher time
damage.
applying it, thinking like your Noxes or your Scyllas, if you hit one person and they're
It's
close to other
basically
people,
like
they are also
AoE
getting Divine
poly
Ruin.
off of an
Yep.
ability.
So
Nice.
it's pretty interesting passive because it helps the AoE mages who are already doing well
Playing
with
with
AoE
this,
kind of
bro?
spread that around, or it helps the mages that don't have good AoE kind of
AoE,
actually
yeah.
splash into that cleave damage a little
Yeah.
bit.
Nice, awesome. So it looks like next up we have Brawler's Beat Stick as well.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's fun too.
Ooh.
So Brawler's Speed Stick is now getting an additional passive, like we said. And so how this works is if you are near
I have
an
not seen
enemy, so you participate in the killer assist when
Yeah.
when they die, they leave behind this glowing red field where if you're
This is
inside it,
weird.
you get increased power.
That is weird.
That's just cool.
Yeah.
I think they
So,
went
again,
for
stay in the
really
circle.
light
Stay in the
passes
circle.
on this, by the way.
The circles
You
are
can tell
good
these
in this
passes
game.
are
It's
not
the
meant to be
ending ones.
broken.
Yeah, if it's not your red circle, then maybe not so much. But a lot of fighting in circles is gonna happen. So it's kind of like a draw circle around the important fight area. So cool. So we keep going. Toxic Blade getting some changes as well.
Toxic Blade, historically an item that's honestly pretty decent, just with an effect that was
Oh,
kind
I don't
of
know
hit
what
or
they had to
miss.
have done something
Anti-heal's
crazy
good,
to
you can
this.
get anti-heal in other ways. But now it's getting something else with it
There's
too,
no more
right? So
Shadow
its costs
Steel.
are going to be increased, its stats are going to be decreased quite a bit, especially with the attack speed. But that's because we were talking about items that were removed. This one's kind of
it's
getting that
Ickable.
Ickable passive back a little bit.
Oh,
It's not quite the
shit.
same, but your enemies hit will still have the basic
Wait,
attack healing reduction.
stats
Or
on it are kinda
basic attacks
shit.
will still provide the healing reduction as normal,
Yeah.
but you'll also going to be
Am I
kind of
trolling or are
reducing
these
their
stats
attack
kinda
speed and
ass?
gaining it for yourself. Again,
Exactly.
a little bit of that homage.
Yeah, a
to it.
little stealage.
Hold
so.
on.
Yeah.
Hold on, hold on, hold on.
Pestilence next on the docket.
Now this one is going to be a little bit different from the others in that it
don't know how I feel about that.
doesn't have really that much of a flashy effect, right? This is
Okay.
more so
little
your
quieter.
one-stop shop for all anti-heal. And one really important thing to talk about is that Pestilence and Contagion have kind of been interchangeable for a long
Pestilence
time,
is
right?
way better.
So we're trying to give these two items a bit of unique identity for themselves, and that's particularly what Pestilence is going to be good at, is if you need a lot of anti-heal, you're playing as 2, 3, 4, their whole team has healers and meds, this is the item that you want to go for
Yeah.
because
That's
it
weird.
now applies even more anti-heal. When
That's
you
a
get
really
hit,
good item.
You are applying additional anti-heal to the people that hit you.
Wait,
Yep,
that's
and while
a
it's not
sick-ass
the most
item.
flashy gameplay gimmick,
That
it also
that
kind
passive
of
is
requires
nuts.
you to do something a little bit more active, or it's
just
got a
a- it's
gameplay
just
purpose
200
of-
extra damage
It's when you
from a
get
support.
hit, they're getting more anti-soul. You want to kind
Yeah.
of position yourself in ways where you're actually causing them to hit you
Yeah,
more.
what if you
or if
mystical
you're
mail
choosing to hit you,
in
they're
this?
getting a bigger penalty for it.
Yeah, if you're right
Oh,
up in their
shit.
face and they're hitting you just
Bro,
because you're
support's
the
about to
first
be
thing in front of
popping
them,
off.
then they're suffering for it. It's a
Exactly.
positioning game.
Yep.
So cool. Well, I think that's the last one on the anti-heal docket.
Yeah,
we
we-
got some Contagion
We
too.
talked about Contagion, but
A
we
little
also have
Oh,
it
that's
has a new
true.
passive as well.
That's true, it does.
Like
I'm sorry,
Lemmy
I
mentioned,
jumped the
though,
gun.
they are still going to have that shared aura effect. So if you do buy
Okay,
both,
aura
the
effect.
auras are not going to be stacking.
Exactly.
That's
Yep.
staying the same.
It's been there.
But the new passive for Contagion is going to be when you're hit by hard crowd control. So now you're on the receiving end, unlike
Yeah.
Runeforge where you're dealing hard crowd control.
Mm-hmm.
The enemy will actually receive like a ticking aura that's going to be hitting their allies. So you get hit by hard crowd control, they receive a debuff that's going to be hurting their own allies. Kind of like they're the source of your mystical mail almost.
Yeah, okay.
They've got the Contagion, you might say.
They've got
They
the
have
Contagion.
the contagion. Okay. I'm glad I didn't jump over that then. That's cool. That's kind of cool, actually. Yeah. They start to poke you, and you're like, but are you really? You're poking yourself. So, all right.
think that's a
So
good-
remember what I
one of
said
the
a
better
second ago? Yeah,
passes
now
out
we're
of all
there.
those
So
item changes.
we still have more reworked items, though. More things that are changing.
Yeah.
So moving into some of those, what's happening with Winged Blade? It's getting some changes.
Ooh, this one is really, really fun. So as you'll see, we have a lot of new
I like
effects
fun.
coming to the various reworked items.
Yeah.
But Wingblade is one of those that in this particular tree, anti-slow is still very strong. However, with a lot of these items getting stronger slows, we wanted to be sure that the counter option was really good as well. So Wingblade now is going to pulse out in an AoE when you get hit by a
Okay,
slow.
cool.
So you and anyone in that AoE are then
This is
immune to
OP.
slows and get sped up.
Broken.
Easy
Same effect,
peasy.
just
a little
in
bit more of a
bigger area.
team use case there.
Fucking
Yeah, so
So
broken.
yeah, this is a new category of like it's not the anti-heal.
Yeah,
it's,
we're out
it's,
of
it's not the
anti-heal
hybrid
now.
items.
No
it's just
anti-heal.
fun new reworks for effects that might have been a little bit too linear before.
Yeah, things that we're trying to bring some life into. Moving next on to Gem of Isolation.
Another one of your favorite items.
Oh,
Matt.
yes.
Go ahead.
I
What's
love
this one
this
doing?
one. So this is very similar to Frostbound Hammer in that this is no longer the constant apply,
Mm-hmm.
but it is the stronger application, but with an internal cooldown of it doesn't
I
happen
don't know if
all the
Gem of
time, but when
Iso is
it
good,
does,
boys.
it's pretty good.
Yeah, when you're getting it off, you're really going for it. So, cool. So how about Spectral Armor? What's going on there?
Yeah, so spectral armor, it's kind of like the anti-heal items, but it's got a counteracting effect for something that they're doing, right? So instead, you're still going to be getting the reduced bonus damage from physical crits, but
Yeah.
now when you're hit by a critical strike, you and your allies will actually take even less bonus damage from
Yep.
further critical strikes.
Yeah,
That'll kind of stack.
Spectral Armor is going to counter a lot
Another
of.
cool fun change.
It also like helps
Builds.
mitigate having to purchase multiple spectral armors for one team.
Yeah.
You gotta
Yeah.
provide at least a mini version of that effect for allies that
That's
are
why
needed.
Yeah,
someone asked
so
me
if
if Mercury is
you're
going to be
positioning
OP.
right in the
I'm
team
not
fight with the
sure.
Spectral
I'm not
Armor,
sold.
Everybody's getting that anti-crit effect, so you really got to watch where you're standing. But it's a really fun balance to play as a tank
don't think
character
ADCs will
where
build crit.
you want to stay near your
I'd be
allies, but
surprised.
you don't want to stand too near that they're getting hit. But you also have to stand close enough to the enemies where they're
Yeah.
hitting you and they're critting you. It's really fun to be
yeah.
positioning as a tank.
And
in
don't forget the
Season
circles.
10.
Yeah.
Ozzy's
so
too
there's
good.
the
So we got
circles, there's
circles.
the
Some of these other
allies.
items
So,
are too
Lots of
good.
stuff.
so far the year of watch where you're standing. So next up we have looks like some stat changes. These are going to be primarily stat based, starting with Demon Blade.
Yeah, so this is a little bit more similar to the
This is
Cade's
Wind
Club
Demon.
change, where it's
Okay.
kind of like based on the items the trees that have been removed.
This is Wind Demon.
These
Yeah.
items
It's
need to
now
find
in the
new
Deathbringer
homes.
tree.
Yeah, or they've been
filling the gap.
restatted.
Same stats, pretty much,
Shadow
slightly
Stone
different.
Shuriken was removed. We didn't want to just we found a new design space for Wind Demon. It is now going to be called Demon Blade, and it's going to be on the short sword tree.
Yep. I mean, you can't really build a shuriken out of a sword.
Right,
so-
exactly. It didn't
I
make
mean-
sense for it to be the previous name in art.
Listen, if
But,
one of the points is just a lot longer than the others, it's kind of a sword. It just has a really bad handle.
I mean, it's got
so.
really sick new art too.
It
so
does, it does.
I'm excited to be using that. It's got an edgy
But
name too. So
Some of these,
that's
the
nice.
stats might change, but the passives for all of these should be unchanged. So
Got
it's
it.
mostly kind of just reorganization of these items.
Yeah,
Got it.
specifically for Demon Blade, though, it did receive a bit of a nerf in that
It
it
did,
no
that's
longer
true.
provides movement speed on the passive, but everything else is exactly the same.
Got it. And worth noting, that we do have cool new art. If some of it happens to be a little different in PTS or in game, that's because some of it's still getting a brush up here and there because we have really talented artists that like their stuff to look as amazing as possible. So
And it
if-
does look good.
Yeah, a lot of these are finished, but if you happen to be like, that looks a little different than I remember, then good on you for remembering. And yeah, it's because our artists are just really cool and always working. They're absolute artists.
Our goats.
So, truly goat. So next up, Breastplate of Regrowth, which was formerly a shield, wasn't it?
Yeah, throwback to that. This is now over in the breastplate tree, so you're
Okay.
building it from silver breastplate. Does the exact same thing. It's just in the breastplate tree now, and it's got new art. Look
Cool.
at that.
It's shiny.
I love it.
I love it. I agree. So, continuing down the same tree, we have Lotus Sickle.
Yeah, this is a cool one.
That's cool, yeah.
We were like debating which way to go. Then we heard this like terminology, and we're like, yeah, let's just roll with it.
Let's just
So,
roll.
Lotus
The
Crown,
name is good enough.
Helmetry, all that business. That's all gone.
art is
It's
dope.
now going to
Hats.
be moved to the Ancient Blade tree, building off of Adventurer's Blade, and it is now a sick sickle.
It's
Sick
so
sickle.
cool looking. I mean, crown's nice,
But you could have a sickle.
but yeah,
Yeah,
you can have
but
a
with a
sickle. I mean, why wouldn't
sickle.
you?
Super cool. And yeah, again, the art is just, I love seeing all this new art. It brings life into some of these. I mean, these are new items. Some of them are very similar to old items, but it makes it really feel new when you get that new art
Right.
for it. So
And you see it in the tree. It's like I haven't seen that before.
yeah, you're like,
oh wait, I know
"Ooh,
that.
Need me some of them stats. All right, so next up, Cleric's Cloak coming in. This looks like a tier 2, I believe.
Yeah, so this one's going to be really interesting. So Cleric's Cloak, that
Cooldown?
entire kind of tier
Yo,
2 path,
that tier 2 item
that's
was
gonna
so
be
ass
changing
before.
because
That's
we're going to
sick.
actually be removing the health and adding cooldown reduction as a primary
That's
stat
cool.
for that tree.
Cool.
Oh,
So
I
in
remember
order
the
to do
health,
that,
though.
Cleric's
Still
Cloak
sick.
needed stat rework. It's getting a little bit more protections, but the health is removed for that cooldown reduction, and that's also
Wait,
going to be leading
so
to
that
the
item is
tier 3
getting
item of
cooldown.
Magi's Cloak.
Magi's
So
Cloak.
Magi's Cloak is going to be getting the increased protections as well, but removing the whole bunch of that health and adding cooldown reduction instead. And of course,
Okay.
the glyphs are also going to be equally effective.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll grow up into
Okay.
those tier 4, I guess you'd call it,
Yeah.
the glyphs.
So again, kind of reinforcing our tree identities and spicing
Yeah.
things up, making sure that if you want the stats in mind that you kind of want to go for, here are the places to go for.
Yep.
Got it. And it looks like we have one last little, kind of a whole tree of stat changes here, moving from the Morning Star, which is a tier 1, up to the Hydra's Star, and then all the way to Hydra's Lament.
Yep,
So,
similar as before. That tree was kind of an identity was mana base, and while MP5 is kind of there, the Hydra's start like that. There's already MP5 kind of with the Hydra's Lament tree
Yeah.
a little bit. So we're just actually changing that stat from MP5 to mana.
Yep, it
Okay.
has a lot more synergy now with the Transcendence tree, just in general. So, if you do want to buy Hydras and Transcendence, it's a little bit better together now.
yeah,
Yeah,
they
a
got
little
a
more
pairing. All right, so
I
we've
love
we've
these
talked a lot of
changes, bro.
rework. We've talked a lot
Ooh,
of
it's fine.
deleting. This part, you can see how excited they got. This
One's
part
back out.
is really exciting. We got new items, not
Brand new
reworked
ones.
with pretty new art, not like brand
Still new. We're still pretty new art though.
These items are
I mean, no,
crazy.
it is still pretty new
Items
art,
are
but like
fucking nuts.
brand new everything. So we're gonna dive right in with the very first new item, the Cyclopean Ring.
Yeah.
so-
So
exactly the same.
all right, I'll take this
Go,
one.
yeah, you
On
go
it,
ahead.
go for
Because it gives me a little bit of time for that tiny clumsy preamble, which is again, some of these there were items that were removed.
Yeah.
Some of these some of those were removed for specific reasons and allowed us to bring new design spaces into them. So Hakate was removed. Cyclopean Ring enters the field, and this is a new ADC ring, obviously being building off of the Emerald Ring
Yeah.
and Enchanted Ring tree. It's actually going to have a new stat of cooldown reduction. Again, we wanted to find new ways of. Okay, stat itself isn't new, but the stat for that tree
Yeah.
is new, right? It's like they didn't have ADC mages didn't really have the option for cooldown reduction before. Now they have a little splash of that with the Cyclopean Ring.
Got it.
And again, new item. unique passive. The passive will be your basic attacks against an enemy god.
These items are
extra
sick.
bonus magical damage based on the enemy's maximum health. So that means if you're going to be hitting tankier characters, you're going to be dealing actually
items are
more
nuts.
bonus damage towards them.
Yeah.
Now, the other interesting thing here
Look at that
is
number.
that it does have an ICD. But the ICD
Look at that number.
is further reduced the more successful basic attacks you deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
you
if
auto
you're really
somebody,
laying it out, you're
it's
gonna take
it's
that
kids.
cooldown
It's for
and-
8%.
deal
to be
more damage
successful.
Then you
to
auto
maximum health.
3 more times. It reduces
So
the
land
cooldown to
auto
4
attacks.
seconds
Got
or
it.
2
Sure,
seconds,
I'll do
and
that.
then
Can't be
it
that
pops again. So if you're
Yeah, I'm sure
like
it can't be.
a low,
So next
like
up,
if you're
the
Ao
Tablet
Kwong,
of Destinies.
Oh,
if you're
I am
Ao Kwong
so
with
excited for
attack
this one.
speed,
Learn me, please.
it's over.
Well, this is going to be
Ao
in
Kwong
the
is gonna
book tree.
fucking
So we have
pop
Book of
with
Thought,
this patch, bro.
Necronomicons, and this is a
Freya?
brand new way to stack items. We have never seen a stacking item like this before. So, how this works
Ao
is
Kwong's gonna
that
proc that 3
to
times.
get stacks on Tablet of Destinies, you need to hit enemies with abilities. And so you can only ever gain 1 stack every 2 seconds, but this also has a separate trigger where you can only get them once per god per ability as well. So, keeping that in mind, this item goes up to 50 stacks, and for each stack that you get, you deal true damage to enemy gods based
Yeah.
on a percentage of your max mana. So,
Cool.
more stacks, more damage. More mana, even more damage.
Yeah.
Give me 1
So
second.
while
My
there used to be a
brother-in-law's here.
Book of the Dead in this kind of spot that was kind of playing on that max mana synergy for defensive stats, which we found again pretty hard to balance because
Yeah.
you know it was either too strong or too weak. Now you've got an offensive option instead. Again, playing off of that mana stat.
Yeah.
Exactly.
See, where I'm from, that kind of stacking, we call that playing the mini game, and that's like the greatest thing ever. Because you're like,
Mini
all right,
games are so fun.
yeah, you're like, I'm already in here, I'm already doing it, but like, I gotta land all these abilities because that's how I'm gonna get my stacks. So,
Yeah.
absolutely love that. Look forward to that. So next up, we have the bladed boomerang. Now, I'm a
this
boomerang
one's fun
fan.
too.
So,
Yeah.
how about the bladed boomerang?
So this is going to be a new crit item. And you can kind of, maybe you can't tell, but with the idea of this boomerang going on, the most important thing here, of course, is the passive. And the passive
Yeah.
is when you next base attack an enemy, you'll actually spawn a deployable, kind of taking the idea from like the earrings that were, utilized, like manticores and stuff.
Yeah.
And if you pick up that deployable, you'll actually gain movement speed and more crit chance. So, and this also, the duration lasts long enough so that you can actually get more of these effects the more you're kind of picking up. So you can stack
Got
this
it.
effect up with the more boomerang pickups you gain.
Got
yeah,
it.
The,
So if
the
you're really-
loop of it is just so much fun too, because you'll hit someone with your boomerang, and then it comes on back to you and lands on the ground, and then you go pick it up. But like Clumsy said, the whole idea is for you to keep these stacked up,
Yeah.
and that movement speed and all of that other extra stuff is going to be helping you to get to wherever they land, depending on how the randomness ends up on the ground. But
It is
Yeah.
a short-term loop, though, so you're not getting this buff
Yeah.
for like 30 seconds or like that. The ICD is also pretty short
It's very
to keep
short.
that gameplay
Yeah.
mechanic kind of sustained. Also, the fun thing here is that it's pretty, while it is going to be coming back to you, the boomerang deployable, it's not like going to be perfectly at your feet. It's going to have a little bit of a variance kind of in between you and the enemy that you hit. But if you're a melee character, you're going to be collecting that boomerang right to your face. So you
Right.
get like a little bit of an added bonus for that.
boomerang to the faces, you might say.
Awesome.
I just love the mental games that come with this too, especially
Yeah.
as a hunter in lane of, am I gonna go for my boomerang? Am I not? Which way am I gonna go? You never know.
Yeah, you
so
bait out
playing,
the ability
playing the
because they're
mental
like,
game.
I see a circle they're gonna go for, and then they use an ability, and you're over here, and you're like, haha.
Yeah, you
So,
thought.
I'm just imagining I hadn't even thought about that on a melee character. Like with a hunter, it's like boomerang, and then with the hunter, it's like
Yeah, exactly. You're just holding on to that boomerang. You're not
Yeah,
throwing
you
it,
gotta
right?
let
You're
it go.
smacking them
Item?
with it.
It has
Yeah,
a blade
it's yours,
Yeah,
it's
it's
fine.
fine.
One like
Yeah,
Arachne,
so that's a great
Kali,
mental image I'm gonna
Mercury.
carry with me
Might
in the year, Jen.
replace.
So next
Going
up,
Haitian.
Shadow Drinker. That's a nice
Ooh,
edgy name.
oh yeah. And the art on this one is so sick
is
too.
cool.
Oh
It
my
is.
gosh.
This is the item I
Super
built.
Cool.
So
This is
this
the one
is
I
going
won in the
into
new in
katana
that show
tree
match.
with your other katana items
No,
like
kind of
your
replacing
item
that
is
stone cutting
fucking
sword slot. a
sick.
little
Yeah.
bit.
This is the coolest
And
item
the
in
fun
the whole
part about
patch.
this one is again towards that passive is if you get a kill on an enemy, you will be going invisible for the next few seconds. And so this invisibility is kind of treated like your Morrigan stealth, where if you do anything, if you take a basic attack, if you have ability, you get hit by anything, you are instantly broken out of the stealth.
it.
But you also, in addition to this, get a movement speed buff. So
30%
think of it
movement speed is
that,
a lot.
you're getting the stealth and the movement speed. You can be broken out of the stealth. The movement speed will stay on you the whole time.
Okay, so it's a good
This
like
will be
get
very
in,
good
secure the
for
objective,
pentakills, by the way.
hopefully get out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Because you will catch that next person that much
cool,
fucking
cool.
faster.
So we drank the shadows. Now we got the Dawnbreaker.
Hey, yeah, these are great to
Oh,
put
yeah.
back
Yeah.
together. All right, so with the next two items, so a little bit of a spoiler there too. We wanted to play around with a little bit more utility effects based
Yeah, like
on the
Thanatos will
trigger, kind of like the
insta-stealth out of his
Arthurian trigger
execute.
of using
Yeah.
your ultimate. So Dawnbringer, Yeah, when your ultimate ability is finished casting, you actually gain protections and movement speed based on
Nice.
how many enemy gods are nearby you when you've done that. So kind of, again, playing with the active component of gaining a utility effect, but you want to specifically position yourself inside the enemy team or as close to as many enemies as you can.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So this is a great item for if you're diving into an engagement. All the enemies are there. You get that off, and then all of a sudden, max benefits, max battling. I
Yeah,
guess.
you're
can't
feeling
update
tanky,
Smite
you're
Source
feeling
until the
fast,
patch goes
you
live.
are about to go crazy.
Because it
You are
updates with
in
Smite's
there.
website,
All right.
which
Cool,
won't change
cool.
till
So
Tuesday.
that is Dawnbringer. Next
But
up,
I'm gonna put out
still
videos.
going, still more new items. Absolution.
This one has been so fun to play test. I can't even tell you the amount of times where I have been playing support, and I wanted to pick this one up as soon as I can. Well, obviously,
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot of more fun items coming up for the early game. This one's a great one towards the team fight stage.
okay.
So what this item does is, like you said earlier with your Arthurian trigger, after you finish your ultimate, you pulse out a CC cleanse aura that cleanses people for a very short duration.
Yeah.
So it's basically shorter beads
Excuse
for
me?
everybody around you. So,
Got
for
it.
instance, I've been playing Atlas, and I throw my Atlas ult out to get people going, and then cleanse everybody of Ares ult or something.
Yeah.
It's just so fun to
Wow.
have that level of control as a support to do these very fun supporty things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't
What?
wait to see people go crazy with this one, to be honest. This has such a fun, like, skill cap level, and especially that team play that comes alongside it. Supports are gonna go even crazier than they already have been.
I was about to say, I can already
Bro,
see it,
Ares would
you
be
know,
fu-
especially
no,
in like professional
Ares with
play,
this item would be
high level
sick.
play where it's like, oh, what an incredible ult, CC the whole team. Then the support comes in, whoa, what an incredible ult, no
There's gonna be a
CC,
lot-
fight
a
is
lot of
turned.
shit.
So it's gonna provide for a lot of
Characters
sway. And I
that
think that's
pull
really good.
back
Yeah, I can't
shit
wait to see
into their
clips of that on the
team.
Pro
Oh
League,
yeah,
honestly.
that's gonna be. Y'all are gonna take that and run with it. So after Absolution, we're moving on to an Abyssal Stone, not a Void Stone.
Yeah,
Abyssal Stone.
And you hit the nail on the head. We're playing around with that stone tree again.
Yeah.
Again, no power, right? These are just going to be the defensive stats. So I wanted to readdress that for the hammers and the other things that we're talking about. We're looking at the stats as well.
Got
It's
it.
Pretty important. But Abyssal Stone, passive here, successful ability damage to an enemy god, actually will debuff them with
Okay.
negative cooldown reduction.
That's a
Never
fucking
been
OP
seen
item.
before.
Yeah,
crazy,
Here's
right,
some
guys?
time.
So yeah,
Fun
this is
support,
something that we
that's
kind
your
of
new
played
I'm
around
a
with the
fucking
idea of, and
asshole
we found
item.
This to be an opportune time to try and kind of test
This
the
is
waters
the
with this.
I don't want you to
it's-
have fun
The way this works
item.
is that when you hit the enemy, you apply this debuff to them. It's not going to be doing anything to any abilities that's currently on cooldown for them. It's going to be any new abilities that do while that debuff is there. So, for
Got
example,
it.
I hit you. You
This is
then
a
use your
dickhead
ultimate.
item.
Your ultimate now has a 20% longer cooldown than it would have had normally.
Anti-fun
That's
item.
crazy.
Or any of your other abilities.
yeah,
as
any
well.
of your
Really
other abilities.
But that's like the best case scenario.
Yeah.
Now again, similar to Bladed Boomerang in a way, this is a shorter loop where the debuff duration and the ICDs are kind of shorter to make you like able to kind of play around with the spectrum of multiple people in a team fight.
Yeah. Okay. That's crazy. I can only imagine. You hit me with it. I'm like, haha, you barely hurt me. I throw my ult out, especially as a guardian, one of those really long cooldowns, and then I'm like, why? That's 10 seconds longer than it should be. So that's really cool. So next up we have. Oh man, I just lost all my words. We have
Archdruid's Fury.
Yeah, Archdruid Spirit. I touched the button and I
Ooh.
messed everything up.
This one's so
I
much
think this is
fun.
the item they told me was OP.
Right.
Wait.
So,
Oh, no,
this
this-
is an aggressive item for your supports or your solo
Yeah,
lanes
I was
that
told this is
are
OP.
planning to take a lot of damage, but they also want to deal some back in return. So,
Take it back a little bit. All right.
how the passive on this one works is for every 5% of damage that you take, you'll gain a stack. And then when
Okay.
you're ready to be rid of your stacks, which you can have a max of 6, you just got to walk up to someone, drop a basic attack, and they'll be taking
Kinda
a
smack 'em in
lot
the
of
face.
damage.
Someone
back.
told me
Just
that
give
an
them
Achilles had this item and hit them for
You're
1,200.
hitting with Carapace Shard as well,
Yeah,
and they're really feeling
wow,
the
yeah, they're gonna be.
I don't know how true it is. They said they got stunned and then auto for
True that.
1,200.
All right. So
don't know.
the next item, just got one name item here. We have Phalanx.
Ooh.
pain. Yeah, so Phalanx again, similar to
Because it's
how
your
Toxic Blade
maximum
kind of
health.
absorbed a passive from another.
Yeah.
So if you
we've
got
always
5k
found the
HP,
design space and the kind of niche opportunity, the Tyrannical Plate Helm, to be really interesting and something that we can kind
Yeah.
of play around with a little bit more. So we're bringing that in here a little bit with Phalanx. So passive, yeah. Now when you're basic attacked by an enemy god, your friendly minions will be gaining a similar buff as before of attack speed and some protection. So now the more you're basic attack, the more you're positioning yourself well, the more your minions are gonna be like gunning at that guy
Yeah.
with increased vigor.
Your homie's
Yeah.
got you back in the lane.
Exactly.
This
Always
is
over
especially
tanks,
fun
yeah.
in solo lane as like kind of a basic attack warrior counter. Like if your Bellona's trying to swing through the whole lane, King Arthur is trying to use his cleave autos. Well, you stand in one. Not only are you making your minions stronger, but you can do the classic, I'm gonna get the aggro for all your minions, group them all up, smack them together, and my minions are taking even less damage because you've hit me.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah, that's a lot
So,
of
yeah,
protections
a
for
lot of good
minions.
trade potential. All right. And I love the name. Phalanx is just such a cool name. I don't know how else to say
And
that.
it's
His
a shield
items,
tree.
people are going
And
to be
it's
able
a
to theory
shield
craft
tree.
a lot.
So
guys,
next
a
up,
lot.
the prophetic cloak, which this one I think evolves too. So yeah, let's get
This
into
one's
that.
broken.
Yeah, so
Period.
prophetic cloak.
Broken.
This one's really interesting. Obviously, it's being.
This is not interesting. This is a fucking broken item.
This was kind of designed because while we understand as that Gauntlet of Thieves is kind of a strong design space, it's kind of hard to dethrone the king in a way. We've seen that a little bit with Mail of Renewal in the past, and it's not necessarily that we want to remove it as an
This
option.
is like a
We kind
starter
of just wanted
item,
to give it
like
an
a first
actual
item after
competitor.
the starter.
So
that you
prophetic
would build
cloak,
on supports.
It's actually going to be very interesting where you can damage different types of classes of gods, and based on the one that you damage, you're going to be gaining protections as an aura.
So when you hit a physical
for
god,
that
you get a
class. If I
physical
hit
stack
you
of
and you're
defense.
playing a
Hit a
hunter,
magical
I'm gonna
god,
be gaining an aura of
magical stack
physical
of defense.
Okay.
protections for myself and my team.
Yeah.
Now, if I then go over to the mid lane, or if you're playing arena and you're hitting multiple
hit the
people,
mid lane,
and
yeah.
you go and hit a mage, you're going to be gaining a stacking magical aura.
Oh, that's crazy.
Once
So
It's
it's a
fully
stacking aura
stacked.
based on the class of enemy that you
And you have 300 protections,
for
you get 10%
protections. And
mitigations
when
at all
when you get
times.
to full max stacks, I think it's what 15 each. You actually then get evolved prophetic cloak, which is going to
Okay.
be having those physical protections as a stat and as an aura. And it'll be gaining a completely different
Just wait,
effect where if you have
it's not over.
a certain amount of protections as a whole, you
Yeah.
actually gain bonus damage mitigation.
Dang.
So the more
When you have
protections you
600
the more
protections,
mitigation you gain.
you get 20%
That's cool. Yeah,
mitigations
that's-
at all times.
That's a lot of stats, and I like the way that works too because it's situational. You know, if you're in that solo lane, you're like, all right, damage is coming from a physical attacker. I'm gonna hit that person, get this aura, and then we have a better chance of winning this trade, winning this fight. So
Yep.
again,
20%
a lot of what I'm seeing and what I'm
mitigations,
loving is skill
20%
expression and how you
cooldown,
get to pick and choose when you're fighting and
55
what
of each
stats you have for
protections.
these environments, and showing off what you're best at. You know.
This one's also really interesting because there's also designed downsides as well. Where if you're versing like a very heavy magical based team, or 4 or 5 or 4 or 5 physical based team,
Yeah.
this may not be the best option because then you're stacking up on like a dual stat, or if they have 5 of one stat completely, then you
This
literally can't
item,
evolve this
as
item
long as
because
you can
will
get
not
it
be able to gain,
stacked,
True.
it's
stacks
going to be
of both.
fucking
I'm
sick.
just
so-
imagining like a hyper physical damage team, and the
You're gonna
tank
be
gets in front.
tanky,
That's
dudes.
magical damage. You
Tanky.
hit them, you get reduced magic damage, and the rest of their team is physical, and you're like, good for the stacks. The buff means nothing.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. Gotta
super
be
cool.
planning when you get this one and planning who you're attacking too. This is
Yeah.
great at really dictating, your rotations as well. Because like Clumsy was saying, if you need to go and get some magical stacks, time to go to mid.
Time to wander. Yeah.
Yeah, it's time to start roaming the map.
All right. Looks like we have one new item. There's a lot of items,
There's a
right?
lot.
So the Cannoneers.
It's total defense,
Cuirass?
so physical
Cuirass?
and magical
Yeah.
added together.
That's a word I don't use very often
Including
in my
base
day-to-day
defense.
life. So
I don't
pronounce
have one
it
of
right
these at
for me.
home.
Yeah, no, not often.
So this item is.
I know when BTS
kind
is
of
supposed to be up,
another
and my only
alternative
hint
to Thieves,
is
but this is
I
more
won't be. I'll
along
be
the
streaming all
lines
night.
of-
It's very early game.
My stream's not
focused.
going
Very,
anywhere.
very early game focused, but
I'll be
it's
up.
really great at funneling your carry. So this is basically designed for supports. It's very hard to
Here's
use. this in
another
the
new
solo
item
because
that's
of its
good
passive.
early.
And let's get into that.
Talk
so,
about it.
every few seconds, you're able to instantly kill a lane minion. Not jungle minions, not jungle bosses, lane
Just the
minions.
lane minions. Got it.
Very, very clear about that. This is for the lane only. So you do kill this, and then if there is an ally within your range, they're gonna get bonus gold. So you
from
might
my
be thinking,
understanding,
well,
the reason
I
there's
don't
tons
want
of
the
new
last hits.
tank
This case,
items
you
for
do,
solo and
because you're
support
giving them
is
a
because
ton
those
of
are the
gold.
two roles
it.
that
And in
were
addition to
either
that, when you blow up that minion, well, like I said, it blows
complained
up.
about
it
and
deals
too easy to
damage
play,
to enemy
or
minions
complained about
in a
and
small
too hard to
aura.
play.
So it's
People
setting
didn't
up
like
for
support.
last hits too. So
People
not
did
only
like solo.
are you funneling gold,
Easy
but you are
solo,
getting
hard
your
support.
carry extra last hits too if they're able to get those extra hits on those minions that
Yeah.
have been brought lower.
Wow. Yeah, that's just a lot of benefits. That's a lot of good.
These items are cool.
Good support benefits too, because like
Very
you said, the
interested to see what people
explosion,
can come up with.
the extra gold. I just love that. That's another way to
Exactly.
contribute to your laner while you're still hanging out in lane.
Yeah, and the
so.
explosion is not intended to kill those minions because again, it's a little bit counterintuitive. Don't get me wrong, because generally you want the sustain from not getting the last hits.
Yeah.
But setting up the last hits for your ally and granting them extra gold, being able to do that and min-max this kind of passive and how often it's up is going to be really, really crucial to getting your hyper carry ADC, whether that's your Artemis, your Freya, whoever it might be. that's a really, really keen strategy for those characters that need gold to get going.
Yeah, and I mean, I can already see the use cases of this because, like, you've won a good trade, you got to get back, you want to crash the wave. This will help you get them ready for last hits. Your person last hits, the wave is cleared faster. You're going back quicker. You're able to. It's just it lets you have your foot on that lead, and it lets you take another step up. So.
Exactly.
If you don't want to think about the min max too much, you just pick this up.
Yeah,
and
if you
you're clearing
instantly kill the
wave a little
brute,
bit faster.
you clear the wave
So
way
that way, if you have
faster.
like a
There you
hunter
go.
with low clear or whatever, maybe, or your guardian with low clear,
Brute has a lot
you're
of
now
health.
just being a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah. Gebs of the world rejoice.
Hooray! So cool, and that is gonna do it for the new items. We still got we still got some items, a little bit of general balance left because.
Yeah, the previous categories we've gone through the hybrid items, we've gone through all the like the reworked items, the stat shifts, we've gone through the new items. That's like the whole bunch of like one big pass. Now it's kind of just like general balance.
Yeah,
right?
the stuff you can see.
Now we're
I don't
just
know
talking
any
about
god
normal
changes.
patch stuff.
I didn't listen to any god
regards to,
changes,
you know,
by the way.
your
I don't.
intent.
This is
Yeah,
all
so
gonna be
and we're gonna
if
kick
there
that
are
off
any.
with some starter items. So it looks like the first of them is the Archmage gem.
Yeah, so I think we can breeze through these a little bit faster,
Go
not just the
for it.
starters items, just in general, because these are just general buffs and nerfs that
dive
they're
into
not
it
going
then,
to be too
Clumsy.
crazy. So starter items, we saw a lot of mage changes before, or whether it's the hunters that are a little bit more prevalent in the mages, Sands of Time getting buffed, Archmage's gem and as a whole just wasn't really as strong. So small buffs there, it's going to be gaining some more damage.
Yep.
Easy peasy.
Cool. And then so a lot of the starter item changes, like you said. I mean, a lot of starter item changes. So let's just keep going down the list.
Yeah, so I guess on top of that one, Gem of Focus.
Yeah.
As an upgrade, it'll be gaining a little bit more increased movement speed and a little bit more damage, but we're going to be losing on that mitigation.
Yep. So
Yeah.
not super great for your tanky characters, your spammy characters anymore. It's still really good to keep that extra damage going.
Yeah.
But you're just not going to be as survivable anymore.
Yeah, not
That helps
quite as
push it
alive.
away from like the bruiser lineup as
Yeah,
well that we
exactly.
saw. But
Got
there's a
it.
whole bunch of changes coming into year 10.
Yeah.
True that,
That's
a lot
not
of
the
them.
only starter item change we've got coming.
Yeah, so after Gem of Focus, we have Bluestone Pendant.
Yes. So the biggest change here is one that we referenced a little bit earlier with Glad Shield, where this will be getting that damage after.
The subsequent damage.
Subsequent damage.
Bluestone is a
That's
good
the word
poke
I was
item.
looking
It's
for.
not as good as like an
reduction.
Arthur
The
or
important thing here to note as well,
like
'cause I did the
spammy
math
god
on
type
these,
item.
is some of these numbers look like they're massive buffs because they need, the damage component themselves needs to be increased at least a little bit if the subsequent damage is going to be reduced by a
Yeah.
lot. Because if you are not someone who has a lot of abilities, you're going to be, if we didn't actually buff the numbers, you're going to just be severely hurt by this.
Yes.
And even then, even with that in mind, even with the increased damage numbers, it's still going to be slightly worse than it was before.
Yeah, this just levels the playing field for the characters that have a million abilities, like King Arthur, and those that
true.
have 4, like our boy Sun Wukong.
Got it.
And specifically for Bluestones as well, because they're a little bit more unique than Glad Shields, that they had a dot effect. There's no the actual amount of stacks is going to be reduced to just 1. So it's no longer going to be stacking up to twice. It's just the 1 stack, a little
Just the
bit
one
more
time.
similar to the others.
Yep.
Got it. Because, moving on to that, we have Corrupted Bluestone and Bluestone Brooch, both
Both
in line.
effectively the exact same
Yep.
thing.
Got it.
Subsequent damage reduction. Damage numbers look a lot higher, but it's also no longer stacking.
Easy
Fuck
peasy.
Bluestone,
All right,
bro.
so
I
how
hope
about the
it's dead.
Warding Sigil? What's going on with that one?
Oh, this one is going to be very fun. So Warding Sigil, ever since we introduced starter items, it's been a little bit difficult to see this guy get any play in Conquest, which is always a little bit sad to see. So this is going to give a little
What
bit of
the
sustain
fuck? It
now for each
heals
stack
now?
of dampening that you get. So you get protections and you get healing for 1%
What?
of your max health over those next few seconds.
Nice. And does that carry into Sigil of the Old
You're just
Guard,
healing
or
for
how's that
2% of your
changing?
health.
Yeah, so we are also
you're getting hit.
bringing those up, I do believe.
Bro,
Yeah,
Soul
so
Lane about to be
as well. You'll
tanky
be
as
kind of a similar
fuck.
change
Yeah,
there.
similar level, but
Got it.
again, upgraded.
Yeah,
This is
obviously
the level
upgraded.
20 version of it.
Everyone's
so
Of
gonna be
course.
building
All right.
a
anti-heal,
bit
dude.
extra there.
So continuing to dive forward, Sundering Axe. What's happening there?
Just like so many different things going on. I'm just like, make
Oh,
sure I'm
yeah.
on the right page.
I get ya.
Sundering Axe, this one's going to just be a small buff to the current health steal.
Okay.
But the interesting one
Yeah.
coming up is the Axe of Animosity.
Get into it.
So this used to be Hero's Axe.
Yeah,
and
it was
Yep.
changed.
If you can tell by the name change, it's now going to be the Axe of Animosity because there's going to be kind of like a passive swap coming up.
Oh
Got it.
no!
Which we'll get into the next one. So the Animosity effect is now going to live on what used to be Hero's Axe. So now it's going to be in the Warrior's
No.
Axe tree. Because of that, there's going to be a little bit of stat reduction with the protections being reduced
Got
for
it.
what is now Axe of Animosity. But it
No
will now be dealing
way!
the
Bro,
Animosity effect. So the passive will
Bologna's
your
gonna be
basic
nuts
attack
with
deal bonus
fucking
damage
Berserker.
equal to a percentage of your maximum health to enemies and structures. So again,
Bro,
Animosity
what?
was a little bit of an odd spot for kind of like
Ama,
this very aggressive effect, but on a
Bologna.
support starter item.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
it makes a lot more sense for those to be swapped. So you're going to be gaining. I guess in the next one you're gonna Animosity is now changed to Heroism.
Some
Because
things up attack,
Animosity
yeah.
no longer exists. Now we need that new starter item, which was previously the
Cyrus.
Hero's Axe passive.
Oh
So
my
those ones are
god,
basically just
Urlog,
doing a
Shen may be in this all. I don't know,
So, yeah,
bro. Holy
switch
shit.
heroism from animosity
No
and then
way.
an axe of animosity. Got it. Read the patch notes. So continuing to move on. What about Warflag? Warflag's getting some.
Animosity now has.
Yes, this is so
Animosity's gonna be good
exciting.
for fucking
Warflag
supports.
has had a little bit of trouble in Conquest. It's been
Animosity's gonna be
insane
well,
in modes
hero-
like
heroism
Arena
now is gonna be
and
so
Assault,
good for
wherever
supports.
it's kind of lined up in front of you and ready to get a hit to get those gold triggers. But we're changing the gold trigger to make it a little
Okay.
bit more effective in all of the modes. Equally, you might say. So we're kind of taking a little bit from the other starter items in the support role specifically and making it so that whenever you are getting that killer assist that would normally just give you that attack speed and movement speed,
Got
it's
it.
also now going to give you that gold trigger. But again, this item is different from Sentinels and different from Benevolence in that the sustain is a lot less because you are getting these extra aggressive stats in the attack speed and movement speed. So it still has that very applicable gold that you do want
Yeah,
as a
of course.
support. But now you're having those extra aggressive stats, and by all means, movement speed, attack speed, really, really helpful,
Always
especially in the early
important.
game.
And how does that transfer into War Banner? Is that
Yeah, so it's a very similar kind of transfer where this is getting gold per 5 instead
Okay.
of that extra effect. You're just going to get a very consistent flow of gold in instead of having to, once again, play around that old basic
the
attack
old
trigger.
mechanic. Got it. All right. Cool. So we're kind of out of the starter realm, it looks like,
Ooh.
because we're moving on to
Interesting.
Erendite getting a bit
Extra
of a buff.
gold.
Yep. So these are honestly a little bit almost. Well, I was gonna say it's gonna be easier.
I
to
didn't know
explain
about
than
this.
I
What
saw
the
tonight. So, maybe not. Erendite needs a buff. It's getting a buff.
Oh, I'm about
Boom.
to one-shot
Easy
somebody with
peasy.
Mercury again.
Erendite. Next up, little more complicated. Aussie getting a shift a little bit.
Aussie's
Right,
broken.
So Aussie,
this isn't a shift.
So we're
this is
shifting this item to
broken.
be a little bit more of a high power, high lifesteal item, but it's going to be losing the penetration to balance that. And you're going to see a little bit of these pen shifts.
This
coming
item's
up
gonna be
in several
broken,
of the
bro.
items coming up.
This
in
item is
list.
nuts.
So Aussie, we're going to be decreasing
the
the cost
pen.
again, a little bit more of
That
an
item's
early
nuts.
game option,
Yeah.
increasing the power by double, so it's going to go to 25
That's
to
a lot of
50.
power.
That's a lot of
Increasing
power.
the lifesteal a little bit. Decreasing the attack speed, so obviously a lot of stat shifts, but you're completely losing.
I'm telling
that
you,
physical
anti-heal is
penetration,
gonna be
so
core in
one of
this
the reasons
fucking
why
meta.
that power is double.
Anti-heal is
Yeah,
gonna
so
be a must.
this would
in this
typically
meta.
be the second item that you'd see in those kind of Transcendence Power Hunter builds. And so we kind of wanted to give it a little bit more of a lend to that build by giving it some extra power. Now it's a little bit in more of that space where if you want to deal a lot of
Yeah, they
damage
made
with
it
your
cheaper.
abilities,
Yeah.
you're
I-
having a
I
better
don't know
time of
why.
doing that because you've got that extra power for your scaling.
Makes sense. So the next one on the list, Atalanta's Bow, also kind of a shift.
Oh yeah, this is a lot.
changed
of changes here
Atalanta's
for Atalanta's.
again?
This item
Yeah.
has been a little over the place, in the past couple of years with crit chance, no crit chance. So we've got no more crit chance.
Wait, is it the same passive?
And now we are just going to a little bit more power, a little bit more attack speed, and we're decreasing the COD a little bit. It's also cost.
It's also,
sorry.
yeah, it's removing
no
lifesteal too.
Yeah,
Ooh.
Two
But-
whole stats being removed.
but
Yeah, it's a lot.
it has 10% physical penetration now.
Exactly.
So,
So a pen option, yeah.
yep, this is now more focused into that little bit of
Is this to replace
lifesteal build that you
XT
see
or,
where it's a little
like,
bit easier to
Silver
get
Branch?
into this percentage pen
What's
with
the passive? Is it the
extra
same
bit
passive?
of
That's what
attack
matters
speed and
here.
power that you're getting. Nice little splash
I feel
there.
like that passive is
Just a
ass.
splash.
Little splash.
Speaking of little splashes, Bloodforge also
Yeah, it's the
getting
same passive.
a pretty straightforward
Yeah.
buff.
Oh.
Pretty
This one's
straightforward.
fun.
It's going to be getting that cost decrease. It's a little too high cost for what it
Hmm?
was providing.
What
but
is
also a little bit of that
happening,
movement
bro? I
speed
don't know what to build
increase
on
as well.
Mercury.
Just got honestly an item that just
Why not read through it
might
instead?
be
Because this does better on
undervalued.
YouTube.
You
Yeah.
want to just like give it a little bit of a flavor, fun buff, so that people pick it up a little bit more often.
Yeah, just a little
Yeah.
more love.
Before it was a little bit of a luxury item. Now it's at least a little bit more affordable.
Got it. All right, so the Crusher also having quite the list of
Ooh.
changes, more shifting.
Yeah, this one's very, very cool. So previously in the Maestry, there was only 1% pen option.
Yeah.
But we decided that we'd like to open it up to another one for different kinds of characters. Because Titan's Bane's really good on a particular subset of characters
Yeah.
that's slamming all their abilities down at once and just being done. Whereas Crusher is a little bit more for those, not necessarily spammy characters, but characters that have a lot of abilities coming out over time. So Crusher is still going to be keeping the general vibe of how it works. It's going to be getting that subsequent hit
Exactly.
that we talked
Yep.
about
Yeah,
before.
there it is.
But
There
we
it
are
is.
changing the penetration to be percentage.
And because of that, like that shift, it's no longer flat. We're also kind of shifting it to be more of like a late game
Yeah.
option because it didn't
Exactly.
really make sense for it to be percent pen in early game. That those two generally don't go
That
as
makes
close to
sense.
hand in hand. So it's going to be gaining a lot more. So it's like the cost is going to be nerfed, or it's going to be gaining a lot more of a cost price. But it's also going to be gaining a lot more power. It's going to be gaining some more attack speed as well.
40% from the passive, by the way. That's
Yep.
a lot.
That is
It's
a
a lot
lot,
more
a lot.
passive. And because of the percent pen, we're going to see this kind of a mirror shift. It's going to be off of the Warrior's Bane item instead of where it was previously.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
We'll see this mirror as
across
well.
the
in
street.
mages too.
Yeah.
So,
and moving
Crusher
forward
OP?
again,
Give me the
Dominance
breakdown,
also,
quick.
also kind of a shift, a little smaller of a shift it looks like, but still some shifting.
There was no
Yeah,
flat
so
pen
I
on
had to
Crusher
give this
anymore?
one a little
Oh,
bit more of
shit.
an identity, right? Between
Attack
this and
speed.
Silver Branch, it was
What?
kind of hard to decide, do I go this one or
What
do
are
I
they
go that
doing?
one?
There's so much
So
attack
this one
speed.
is getting a little bit of love towards that hunter
Oh,
direction.
this
It's
is
getting
pure
attack
auto
speed,
attack,
and
bro.
it's
This is
basically
sick.
shifting the penetration
like a
away
Rama
from
item.
just being in the base, so it's not really as helpful
This is a
on
fucking
those
Rama item.
characters that aren't really using
There's
their basic
40%
attacks. This
pen
is
on
now
Crusher?
moving it from the just general stat to the
What?
passive. So
Gotcha.
your basic attacks doing more penetration, but you're
How
not
much
having
pen on
it on your
Crusher?
regular normal abilities.
And now I'm going to complicate things a lot further. I was like staring at the patch notes for a while, or the show flow for a little while, because I was trying to figure out where it is. Silver Branch Bow. I feel
Crusher,
like
okay,
we'll
these
move
items
that up.
are
I'm gonna
nuts,
skip
dude.
that
This is
'cause
gonna be
it's somewhere
so
else. Silver Branch
fun.
Bow exists in the same realm as a lot of these pen options. So I
Oh,
wanted to make sure we
10% pen
address
on
that.
Crusher. Okay, thank you.
It's going to be actually losing from 20% to 10% of its physical penetration, and that's also a lot of the reason why we're seeing these shifts,
Increased
not just
base
on dominance.
power? They
but
want you to
also,
go
like we said, on
2
Atalantis
or
as
3%
well. They want
pen
to
items, it looks
spread
like.
out that percent pen from Silver Branch, which is historically just kind of.
They
been
want
a
you
little bit
building
too strong,
multiple items, or to
and
be able
move
to
that
build a
along
starter
to
like
some of these different items.
like
Yeah.
So I
Bumba
wanted to
Spear.
address that one too.
It's not that kind of catch-all that you just buy in every build, even if you're not making use of the passive. Now you really have to say, okay, am I going to actually use this
Yeah, do I
passive to make
need
it
it?
worth it? Do
Yeah,
I need it, or will I just
exactly.
go buy
Yeah.
new dominance
Because
instead?
the passive
Either
as
way.
well is quite strong. Like we
Oh,
want to
yeah.
make sure that that kind of shines.
They're not even taking away your pen options, though. They're giving
got
you
it.
a
Instead
shit
of just,
ton of them.
I need the stats, the passives, whatever.
Exactly.
So, got it. So the next shift, Devourer's Gauntlet, has a ton of changes to it. If you want to get
Ton
into
of
it.
changes.
Ton of
Yeah.
It's
changes.
getting an increased cost. We want to
Nerf.
just kind of make sure that Transcendence and
What?
Dev Gloves kind of live in a more competitive design space. Dev Gloves, a little bit too cheap. Gonna go increased.
Yeah,
Gotta go
100
a little bit.
changes, one for each coin. All right, next up, Emperor's Armor.
There's
also
like
getting a
15%
shift.
pen items
Yeah,
now.
so this has been one of the most MVP valuable items across the board for
I think this
support, just
item's gonna
because
be
it's had
really important,
a humongous
for
value in
sieging.
the passive
Yeah.
and the stats by itself. So it's going to be going up in cost, but in addition to that, the passive is actually going to be getting a little bit stronger on the offensive end.
Exactly.
Got
So
it.
a little bit easier for you to die,
They
but you're
removed a
gonna
lot
have
of
to pay a
flat pen in
little
this
bit more
patch,
for those
right?
stats now because they're pretty good.
They're pretty nice. So you got to pay. a
Wait, is
premium
there
for
any
good
flat
things.
pen?
Oh, yeah.
Mail of Renewal also getting a
A
shift.
little bit of shift there. We saw, like we talked about with Gauntlet of Thebes, I had a little bit of some time there in the sun where it was kind of living as a competitor there. Now we're going to be decreasing the cost a little bit.
They removed, like,
increasing the
every
health,
flat pen except for
and
Gauntlet
the
of Thieves.
HP5, but also in turn
And
we're going to
Mage.
decrease the protection. So
Yep.
kind of leaning in on the health and the HP5 as the stats that are kind of premier for that item, and then decreasing the protection.
Oh, yeah, they
to
added
make
Shadow
space for some
Drinker,
of the other
true,
items.
true.
This shift also kind of lives in line with the kind
There's
of
way
tree
less.
identity that we were talking about before. Just making
Yeah.
sure that this is a little bit more emphasized on the stats that would make sense for it.
Yep.
Yeah, that falls in line with the identity of its tree. Okay,
Exactly.
cool. So then we have Midgardian Mail. Look like it's
a
getting a
weird
little bit of change too.
change.
Yeah, so as you'll have noticed previously, Witchblade out the door, Nemean Line
Bye-bye.
out the door. So in turn, we gotta make sure that our Hunter counter item is a little bit more applicable here. So
Yeah.
we're just giving it a little bit more prot. So when you do buy it, now you know exactly which one you should be buying at any given point because there's only one option now. So it's really
Yeah.
a lot less complicated, a lot less like min-maxing what the stats are. But in addition to that, Midgard is just a little bit stronger now.
A little stronger. And then Oni Hunter's Garb, also a little bit of a shift.
A little bit of shift there. Going to be decreasing the health just by 50, but in turn, we're going to be increasing the passive. Again, leaning away from the stats, making sure the passive is a little more
Yep.
in the limelight.
Got it. So Rage, getting a little bit more of a
Yeah,
buff.
that sounds
Yeah.
interesting.
Rage time.
This one's super fun because Rage is kind of like an all or nothing item, right? Where
Yeah.
you don't really want this if it's not stacked, but if it is fully stacked, you're having a great time. But to give it a little bit more of a nice smooth curve to where you get to that top point, we're giving it power every time that you stack it.
Yo.
Yep. So
this is a
you're
weird.
going to gain 5
like,
physical power.
I
per
have to
stack.
interrupt
We're
this
also
just because we're
gonna be
doing it now. I'll
decreasing
forget.
how many stacks it is at the top end, so it doesn't feel as.
I'm gonna link
rough,
something.
like
Go
the
report
variance
this guy for
between
me.
having some
I'm gonna
stacks
put
and
it on
having
here.
All the stacks. So it's just going to be.
This
going
guy said
from
he was
5
gonna
to 4.
shoot me when I
And
go to
then,
Atlanta. So if you go report
Evolved Rage
this,
is also
that would
going
be
to hit
dope.
with that too. So it's going to be the same exact critical
That's
strike
not
chance
cool.
at the end, but you're going to be increasing in your
link
physical
it.
power.
Okay.
Go-
yeah, a
go
little extra
report that
swing in
real
that,
fast, that'd be
in the
dope.
Rage item.
Yep.
So Rod of Tahuti, also a little bit of a buff, also nice and simple.
Yeah, we're just kind of gear shifting here straight away back to mages from
Yeah,
from
another
Rage.
I've been
hard
harassing the
shift,
whole
yeah.
community the last
Okay,
weekend.
here
the
we are
entire
now
community.
in Mageland. Rod of Tahuti, just too expensive for what it was offering in our minds. So we're bringing it down a little bit. This also does reflect upon the glyphs as well, so they are additionally
patch notes,
that
just- I had to
overall
say that
price
now, I
that you would
forget.
be going to get either the two up there, also going down just a bit.
Awesome, and we talked about this one a little earlier, but Silver Branch Bow having that shift.
That'll
So
Yep.
live in
yeah,
Hunter
we'll move
Land.
forward with that. Spear of the Magus shift back into Mage World.
Yeah, exactly. So this is kind of mirroring the shift we saw on the Hunter side.
Yeah.
So now we have Spear of the Magus, which is going to be building off the spell focus tree because its flat pen is going to be turning into percent pen.
Yep.
Got it. Easy peasy. Oh, all right, and it looks like we have one more, and that's the
This is the
Sphinx's
fun one.
Bauble getting a buff.
Oh yeah, so Sphinx's Bauble has been in and out of the meta. It's very close to being viable right
Yeah.
now, and in some very specific builds. So we just want it to be a little bit more worth its price, make it a little bit easier to get into.
course.
It still is almost 100% a luxury item. Don't go buying this first item because it is going to make it a little bit worse for
Yeah.
you. But we want to still lean into its full power mage potential, so we're giving it more power and dropping the price a little bit. So
Awesome.
Some
try it out.
items
I
sound
promise
like
you,
elves,
it's
but
really
to be
not
honest,
that bad. It's not that far off.
Pick it up.
I don't
throw
know
some
if we
Give it
can
a
really
shot.
It's pretty
process
good.
it.
Have some
Yeah, I
fun.
would say it's pretty
On the
good.
right characters. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, don't be buying.
Yeah, I was
every
gonna say like,
character.
yeah, this is not a unanimous but it's in every game.
Yeah. So
All the characters that can really use their cooldowns. Like I'm
Exactly.
thinking like Nuwa. Oh my god, can you imagine the ults going off that fast? Yeah, it's much better now.
all right. So that was items. We've did it. We made it to the end
I
of
swapped
items.
between water and something else because I'm just like, you know what, we've got another big category.
we
coming
got
up.
one. So we still got more balance for those of you. If you're following along the patch notes, awesome. There's been a lot of stuff we've gone over. We have a little more balance to go through. We have gods now. But like with the items, there's some standard balance in there because, of course, we're always tweaking things. But we got to start with something new. This
No,
is year
that's not
10.
a
It's
mod
big
in
1-0.
here, dude. You
So
just
we
put
got
it
some
in
new
his
stuff to talk
bio, just
about
shit talk
for the
people.
gods on the battleground.
Including
And let's
me.
get into it with some class bonuses.
I am still using
Yeah,
gamer
so
stuff.
this is
Yep.
in a completely new,
These
mechanic,
class
new
bonuses are
feature, new
sick.
Yeah.
system almost, right? Similar to how shards were an item-based gameplay feature that affects all game modes, class
Thank you guys,
bonuses
by
is
the
going
way.
to be affecting
These
all gods.
changes
all the
are
time,
beautiful,
all
dude.
game modes.
All of
Yep.
Smite.
So what these really are is that you've got your 5 classes,
Yeah.
warriors, mages, guardians, hunters, assassins. Did I get that right? It's like just making sure. And each of these
I get you.
classes, I mean, as simple as it sounds, are going to be gaining their own bonuses. It's basically kind of stats, usually that are either
Okay.
there at the base or gaining per level.
Yeah.
That are kind of the goal for these are to lean in on the identity of what these classes are for.
This is
and,
legit new
you know,
Smite.
Just play
Like-
a little bit more.
like,
into
this
that.
is
So,
new
it'll be a
fucking
good,
Smite,
better example when we
finally.
go for the first one.
Yeah,
So
start
warriors.
getting into it.
Everything
Warriors
is
are gonna be
new
gaining
or
5
updated
flat,
or refreshed.
cooldown reduction, as well as 0.25% per level. So
Got
that's
it.
going to be
This
scaling
is
from
kinda Smite
5%
too,
at
to be
level 1,
honest.
so the flat, all the way to 10%
In a
at
way,
level 20.
just
Yeah.
A lot of these, I don't want to go too far into when things are linked to each other, but obviously, if you remember from the Conquest discussion, if you were there for that, blue buff lost its cooldown reduction.
Yeah.
It was some of that was on the silver buff, but this is just one way of playing around with, what do warriors want? What kind of specializes you as a warrior bruiser instead of like a guardian bruiser? Is we want you to play around with your abilities a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
You can be kind of more basic attack focused. You can be more ability focused, but warriors as a whole want to exert their pressure in the lane.
5%
whether
at
it's
level
Conquest
1, and
or
so
still exert your
that's
pressure
why
everywhere else on the
Blue's
battlefield.
Blue
buff
If you're in a
doesn't
different
have,
game mode. So you're now
cooldown
going to be
anymore.
gaining flat cooldown reduction as well as some scaling to level 20.
Yep.
Nice. I mean, next up we have assassins. What are their bonuses going to
Yeah,
be?
so let's get into that. So over
What do assassins
over the
want,
years,
right?
over the years, we've had this kind of. No, I won't say it's a problem, right? Because we love to see class flexibility. We love to see people trying
Yeah.
different characters in different places. But one thing that we wanted to try and establish with this is to say these
Bro,
characters
you mages
are,
are
meant to be the
about
best
to
at
get
this specific
fucking
role, this specific
blasted by
task.
true
Yeah.
So
damage
assassins,
assassins.
their task is to go and gank people,
Yeah,
right?
deal damage.
So
Okay.
Killer machine.
they're killing machines.
Yeah. Whoa.
So
Yeah, this is the
what
flat
do
pen.
assassins want? They want flat pens. They want to get it going early.
What they want.
So
Give it to
It's
them.
what they asked for.
we're going to be giving
They
them
wrote a letter.
5 plus 0.25 per level physical penetration. So this will be 5 at level 1, and then at level 20, it'll end up at 10.
Beautiful. Next up, we have mages. And what are the mages? What do they write a letter
They want
for?
a
What
lot
do
of
Mages want damage.
They want mages
Whether it's
want
for
to
killing
deal
people or
damage.
killing
Dude, Arachne
NPCs
should
or whatever
be
mages.
Clearing the
they
wave,
want damage.
whatever. They
So-
want damage.
We're gonna see a little bit of kind of a mirrored effect here, or kind of like a yin and yang effect here for the mages and the hunters.
Yeah.
So I want to say mention
Mages
that
get
a little
power.
bit. Mages
So
are
you
getting a
just
little bit more damage up
scale
front,
up.
so you'll see that they're based a little bit more, and hunters are going to be gaining something for a little bit later for the late game. So
Got
we
it.
want to make sure that this is one mechanism
I
of
did not see the
balance
range
that allows us to
change.
say, like, hey, we know his season 9 mages have kind of been pushed out of the spotlight, whether it's in mid or whatever mode you might be playing, but specifically as well in the SPL, we saw a lot of double hunters going on, and one of the reasons why was because the lane pressure they exert. Right,
power
so we wanted
on
to say,
stacks?
hey,
Oh,
mages,
fuck.
we want to make sure that they're a little bit stronger in the early game.
Rage might be OP.
especially
Right off the
compared
bat.
to hunters.
Got it.
At least in what they're good for.
Yeah.
So mages are going to be gaining 20 bonus magical power, which is some more than some
Nah, I'm
tier
not playing
ones.
Overprime anymore.
As well as just one
was
per
Smite
level.
doing
so
this,
it scales
dude.
from 20 all the way to 40.
Smite
20
literally
early game
just-
is a lot.
That's a
40
lot.
late game,
Yeah.
not as much.
Demolished
Got it.
every
All right,
other
another
third-person
good
MOBA
change,
with this
though.
patch.
So, what are my Guardians getting? What did they want?
Well, Guardians are the best at tanking. They're really
That's
good
true.
at getting in the front line and disrupting a lot, but they're also really good at absorbing CC. So
Yeah.
to kind of go alongside that, they're getting base crowd control reduction. So they're going to start with 10, and they're going to get plus 0.5% per level. So they're going to
Nice.
start at 10% CCR at level 1 and end at 20% CCR at level 20.
Well, as a Guardian player, I've learned there are no problems I could not stop with my face. So I like that.
Exactly.
And,
I mean,
yeah.
some of the items have a very
That's a
similar
lot of
vibe, right?
Yeah.
You know what? The goal is for them to hit my face. So let's just make that.
Yeah,
a
let's just
thing.
get in there.
Right.
You're
So
getting rewarded for getting hit this time.
it's my favorite.
And
So.
it's a lot of stats. Crowd control reduction is one of those stats that may not seem very exciting at first,
Yeah.
but it provides you a lot of passive benefits. And 10% base going to 20%, that's almost, you could say, it's a
Yeah,
lot
I'm
more
pretty
of a
sure
stat
these
than some of
affect the
these other
caps,
classes
if I'm
that
not
are,
mistaken. Like, you're not
looking
going to go over
Yeah.
Yes,
cooldown
just the
cap
overall
and shit on
power of
warriors.
being able to avoid CC chains just in general, especially as the Guardian, whose whole point is to really take these for their more squishier characters.
I've been telling you
It's so
guys,
helpful to have
these
this chat
changes
just
are
ready to
fucking
go.
nuts.
And it also,
I don't
like,
think everyone
leads you
really
away from,
believed
like,
it was
feeling
this
that if
this
there's ever a
serious. It's
time
pretty
where you
fucking
wanted
serious.
beads, you can now maybe move towards this
Yeah.
another
If you
20%
ever loved
CCR
Smite
option or
and got
10%,
bored or
builds
something
up that
with it,
CCR to its cap, and then go for a
There's
completely different route.
no
yeah, then
chance
diversify
you're
the build.
bored
Continue
coming
to show
back and playing.
expression by using other items. Stuff I love. I'm excited about it. So last class, hunters. What are the hunters getting?
So hunters, we were talking about that yin yang
Yeah,
effect
with the
between
mages, yeah.
So mages got a little bit more early. Hunters are actually getting nothing.
CCR
Flat.
caps
Well, they're
quarter.
getting a little bit. Okay. They're getting
Bye.
a little bit of a flat, but it's
Oh,
honestly
boy.
it's increased basic attack damage over time. So they're going to be getting 0.5% per level increased damage on specifically their basic attacks. That means they're going to be scaling from 100% basic attack damage
Yeah.
to 110%. That might not sound like a lot. That is a whole
It's a
bunch,
lot.
Yeah, that's a
especially when you
lot.
It's a
factor like
lot.
crits and all the power they can be getting. But it's also just for their basic attacks, not for their abilities. And that leaves
Got it.
kind of the last round out, the ending speech for this the class bonuses. As a
Late
whole.
game, that's kinda
We
like
talked a little bit about the
50 to
nuances
100
between
extra
them.
damage
One thing
on
that's important is
non-crit.
we definitely understand
lot.
on the design team that there's people that are going to go, hey, what about the classes that kind of transcend roles, right?
Yeah.
What about the ADC mages that are going to be getting bonus magical power, which they might like, but maybe they wanted to increase basic attack scaling. As I mentioned in the beginning, we want to kind of focus these classes with these stats in mind, but that doesn't mean we want to ignore the fact that there are kind of these subclasses.
Yeah, that
Well,
they
you
can
haven't even
shift
seen the
around.
new
Yeah.
god
Exactly.
yet.
So whether it's mage assassins or whether bruiser guardians, whatever it may be,
Yeah.
you're going to see a little bit more nuanced shifts maybe in their god balance specifically if you want to play around with that. But these class bonuses are a little bit more focused.
Yes.
Got it.
So we're going to be keeping a close eye on those characters that do transcend their classes. But just in case, we want to make sure that this is going well at the beginning. And then, if we need to adjust them further, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, always looking for y'all's feedback. If y'all like, man, mages do slap though, then let us know and we'll keep an eye on it. So,
Of course.
looks like besides just the classes, there are also a couple overall stat changes happening, starting with some magical protections, it looks like.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. So we were looking at, as a whole, what's going on with all the different
Yeah.
classes, the different stats. And one of those things that we noticed is there's always been this kind of flat amounts of magical protections that all these characters have had. And it's always
course,
I didn't
yeah.
know about
been the
this
same
either.
as well for all the classes.
Yeah.
This was a time to evaluate whether that was necessary. So as you can see here, it's actually quite simple. We're going to be decreasing what was 38.4
Everyone is literally so much
Very
squishier,
magical
bro.
protections for all of the classes, which is very unlike physical protections, by
Yeah.
the way, to be a little bit more
They're reverting
incentivized for, or not
a big
incentivized,
portion of
categorized
that- of
between each
9.5.
classes. So
Yeah.
the squishy classes, mages, hunters, assassins, are going to be going all the way to 30 magical protections. Warriors a little bit more than that at 32. Guardians the most because they're the tank is
Guardians.
leaning in on that at 35. Still all lower than 38.4
That's
from
fucking
before.
crazy.
And to make up for that,
I did
they're
not
gonna
know
be
about this
gaining,
at all.
magical
Like, this- me
protections
hyping
per
up the
level
game,
from
I didn't know about
1.2,
this.
which is what they were all at, to 1.6, so that they're scaling at least to go a
Yep.
little bit higher.
Got it. And that makes sense though, especially for some of the squishier classes, because a normal person with a bow and arrow it makes sense they get hurt a little more than a person with rocks for
Can't
skin.
level 1
So-
invade. There's still
Yeah, that just makes
Invader's
sense.
Curse.
So, but what about base attack power, which is also getting a little shifted, but it looks like just for one class.
Right. So hunters specifically, again, playing on the fact that they were a
Fuck
little
you,
bit
hunter
too
bitches.
strong in the early game.
Yeah.
You guys
we
auto
talked
for
about
too
how
much damage
they
at level
didn't really get a
fucking
shift
2,
for
you
the early
fucks.
game, except for like increased strength. We still
Yeah.
want to make sure that there's going to be a difference between the
I was
hunters and
told,
the mages specifically.
Like
Their
early game you get
beginning of
autoed for like
basic attack power
58, and
decreased
now
by
it's gonna
5,
be autoed for like
which
40.
honestly will probably matter the most around like level 1s through 3.
Yeah,
After
that
that,
early
every
game.
item that you
Like
get
when you
is
get
gonna
your
Yeah,
level
it'll
2,
be
quite a bit.
pretty
yeah.
close to the
Yeah,
same.
it'll
It's
vanish.
really talking about that specifically the early game difference between
Hunters were
hunters
too
and
good
mages.
early
Yeah,
for
to
no
help bring
reason
the
when you're
mages a little
supposed to be
back in the
bad.
spotlight.
Exactly.
So, cool. Well, that's it for the
supposed to
crazy
clear.
out-of-pocket changes. We still have some general balance we got to talk
Oh,
about,
yes.
though. Starting with the nerfs. So, Ishtar getting the first nerf. I'm sorry.
You got this.
Yeah,
Oh,
all
yeah.
you. Haha.
Thank
So
God.
Ishtar has been an amazing release. We
Oh, yeah.
have loved seeing her get a bunch of pro play. We love seeing her in ranked. All of those stats have been really great to see.
Yeah.
However, she is definitely showing up a little bit too much, you might say. Although she loves being in the spotlight, don't get me wrong, she's
Oh, yeah.
gonna take a step down for a little bit. So first thing we're doing is we're taking the flat damage from strike shot down. So this is the AoE lob shot that you'll be seeing from imbue arrows. This
Yeah.
one is going down just a little bit in base damage. And then Blades of Retribution, that awesome ultimate with the swords. Each subsequent hit of that sword is now going to be doing a little bit less damage, but we're still staying at that upper limit of 80% reduction. So swords are not doing less than 20% damage, but each individual one that you hit in addition to the first is going to be doing less.
This
now.
is
got So,
It's an initial
following
nerf
that,
without an
Lancelot,
over-nerf.
a little bit of nerf as well.
And
Why
I
don't you
completely
take that
love-
one,
Yeah,
huh?
no, exactly. Like, let me
is
go back to
surprising.
make sure because I completely just missed where it was. But I don't know what this one is in general. So Lancelot, also an amazing release. Also a little bit too
Very
strong,
good.
right? Is that
No
like the
bias.
key word?
I love that they have tablets
synonyms there.
and real mics
He-
on
he
the
actually-
couch.
We saw him in the SPL quite a bit.
Yeah.
But when we were looking in regards to his stats, it's kind of like the upper ranks level. It's his band stats, right? The
Yeah.
frustration against him that's a little bit too strong. He's overperforming, but not by a wide margin. So we wanted to hit him with a couple
I
of
think
like
at a
damage
low
nerfs
level,
to
he
just
must
make
be
sure that
just
he falls in
fucking
line.
Yeah, to
cracked.
bring
He's
him
not
back in a
too
little
oppressive
bit.
in his assassin, especially with this new map coming up. We have to be very careful with that too.
True.
You know, he's got his horse. He's going to be moving around that
A lot of
battlefield.
good
His
rolling.
horse is
quite quickly.
amazing.
Exactly.
So good.
So, piercing thrust is going to be decreasing the physical power scaling by 5%, but that can, of course, happen twice.
Double
so
pro,
it's
yeah,
overall
that's
10% if you do get the 2 hits.
That makes
And then the
sense.
ultimate is base damage. It was just hitting a little bit too hard before you had any items online. So we're going to be decreasing the base damage across
Yep.
the board.
Got it. Next on the nerf list, Thor getting a little bit of nerf, and Villadon.
Yeah, so Thor has been really amazing ever since he got that change to
True.
his wall. So since then, you know, he has had an increase of damage, obviously. So we
Yeah.
got to take it back a little bit from somewhere, right? So that somewhere is going to be that arc damage on Anvil of Dawn. So we just want to
Really?
make sure that if you are getting comboed by him,
It
that
won't
one shot
affect the
potential that
game at
Thor
all.
has, if he does hit
Nah.
you with the full combo,
This
it's
won't
not gonna
affect
be
Thor
as
at all, I
strong. You know,
promise
you're going
you.
to have a little bit more wiggle room
They
there to
did
get
this
time to beat
to
an
shut
Aegis
people up.
before.
They're like, Thor's
you
OP.
just smash
Yeah, he's
oblivion
not
out of the
completely
hammer.
This changes nothing.
So, all right, one more nerf to talk about in God World, and that is Vulcan getting a little bit of a nerf.
Right, so Vulcan got the little bit changed to backfire before. You
Yeah.
know, it's something we stick by. It's something that we have seen him perform to like great success.
What? Yeah.
And one thing that the extra movement,
Damn.
the extra kind of ability to maneuver on the
That
battlefield.
cooldown change
has
to
shown us
backfire
that his
is a
damage
really big
is now a
deal.
little
1
bit too
second
high
is
for
a
him.
really big deal in
Up
that,
there.
that ability.
So backfire, we're going to be decreasing the magical power scaling by 10%, and we're also increasing that cooldown just by 1 second flat. Just with that little extra maneuverability, we want to just tone him down, specifically with backfire.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, so that does it for nerfs. We are now into the god buffs area, seeing which gods are getting a little stronger with this update, starting with Achilles getting a little bit of a buff.
Yes, so Achilles has been in and out of the meta every so often. He's really good against very tanky characters that he can
Yeah.
execute, of course. But when it comes to most other matchups, he does struggle quite a bit. And a lot of that has to do with his clear, because his clear is very dependent on enemy positioning. So I wanted to give a little bit of love to Shield of Achilles, specifically in that clear department. So
What?
lane minions only, not jungle
The
minions, will be
fuck?
taking
Only.
extra damage
Are
from
they
this ability, of course,
smoking?
respecting the inner and outer cones of a shield. So you'll be able to clear a little bit better with this one, so more consistent across the board. And then Radiant Glory, which is in general your sustain option for Achilles, is going down in cooldown by 1 second.
is a
and this is
very
just gonna help him have a
scary
little bit of
change. This is
extra
not a good
sustain
change.
to exist in the laning phase.
Yeah, to
If
continue
you don't
to be
remember when
awesome,
Achilles
awesome.
is meta,
Artemis next up,
he's
Scary Bear.
fucking
getting a little
unstoppable
less-
'cause
no,
his 2 is
I
broken.
said the wrong person. Oh no.
No, sorry.
You caught me.
I was just like, wait a second. I immediately thought like Tuskins, like
Scary Boar, that's what I said. Shut
Yeah,
up. All right.
exactly.
What's going on?
Although a lot of this is going to be focused away from the LT this time because we know that LT is really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
But going off that one, Transgressor's Fate, kind of one that like limited. That's the traps, the first ability for Artemis.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit more limiting than we would like.
What?
You know, it's been historically 3 for a long time, but we think it's time for it to be gaining an increased number count. So it's going to
Cool.
be going to 3 on the battlefield at a time
What?
to 4. So you can kind of position them a little bit more
So
for safety
excited.
if you want that to do that, or at least keep one in the bank for if you want to be aggressive.
Especially
Yeah.
with those pathing changes in the jungle, you can now
What?
cover up a lot more space with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was going to say, big new
This
map, a
changes
lot of area you
nothing.
got to cover.
And then
that it?
suppress the insolent. That's going to be the third
Is there
ability.
gonna be a-
just gaining a little bit more damage because whether it's with the 9.5
3
changes from
changes,
before, or just where
okay,
she's
it
with
helps.
The other hunters,
Yeah.
she still struggles.
that's
quite
the
a
scaling
bit
too?
to compete
Alright,
in lane.
hopefully that
Once she
helps.
gets
Hopefully
past
that's
that
enough
box
clear.
phase, she's golden.
Yeah, good to
so
go.
just helping a little bit more with that minion damage.
Yep.
Awesome. Next up, Bacchus. A little bit of a buff on him.
Ooh.
Oh, that's
this
spicy.
is a big
Spicy
one.
Bacchus buff.
All right, so let's start
What
with Chug.
the
Chug is
fuck?
a buffing ability, right? But now it's also a healing ability, a self-healing ability, you might say. Anytime you take a drink, you're feeling good, right? You're
Yeah.
feeling
If you go
It makes
a little
sense.
bit
full power,
higher on
cool
the
that
drunk
Bacchus
meter,
for a
and
video.
now
I can
you're
heal for
also
like
feeling a little
300
bit
every
healthier,
like
too.
2 seconds.
Yeah.
In that way,
absolutely.
so he's got a little bit of extra sustain in the lane now that he's able
Well,
to
his belly flop is on a
chug
40
his
second
wine
cooldown.
and receive its healing benefits.
Oh, Bog is about to be cracked.
Also, in addition to that,
Wait, he can
belly
proc.
flop
What's it called?
Is
Shield of
going
Regrowth.
down in cooldown from 16 to 14
Bro,
to
you're
now be
never
14
outrunning a
seconds at all ranks,
Bacchus.
because we want to make sure that people are knowing that leveling your 3 is the way to go, because that's got that extra minion damage.
Yeah.
And this kind of solidifies like,
Oh, I'm
hey, I
playing
want that
Bacchus
extra
in the
minion
jungle,
damage.
boys.
I don't
It's
really
all
want
over.
to, have to worry about making that decision between do I want more flops or do I want better clear. Now you can have better clear and have better flops.
And still have the flops. Nice. Like it a lot. Super cool. Next up, also, like,
That's
sustain in
crazy.
the lane just sounds like a catchphrase that I want to use for something.
Yeah,
Get that sustain in the lane. All right. So next up, we have Bakasura getting a bit of a buff.
Bakasura, yeah.
Someone
I mean,
called this.
kind of like skill variants almost to like
Yeah.
an epitome. Bakasura is kind of one of those characters that you either love or you hate because it's just really hard to play.
Or are bad
so
at.
just playing around like that, one wants to make
Shit,
sure
those
you've
are
got
really
some
good
fun
changes.
buffs.
Yeah.
So that eat minion, it has that active cooldown reduction.
This is so you can fight
component to it.
over
We're
and
just gonna make
over
that
and
2
over and
seconds
over and
flat
over
at
with
all
your ult.
ranks.
Okay.
Letting them kind of gain that effect a little bit more in the early game when before it was kind of more pushed towards the late game when he already has cooldown reduction.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna play with that a little bit more early. Regurgitate also that ultimate. It's going to be increase the slow from that deployable area. It's got a pretty good size, but when people are still in it, like they just leave still a little bit too quickly. So
Yeah.
now it's going to be.
Well,
they're
they
gonna be a little bit
didn't
slower
buff
for a little
Circuit. I'm
longer,
actually sad, or
specifically in the
changed
early
Circuit
stages.
at least.
Yep.
Awesome. Fenrir, another assassin out here.
Oh,
getting
this
some
is OP.
buffs.
I saw. I
Yeah,
heard
this
this
one's going to be
OP.
really fun because Fenrir is one of those
Fun
characters
Fenrir.
where you can build him in all sorts of ways, and it just kind of works, right?
Yeah.
So we're giving him a little bit more flexibility, even beyond what he already could do, by giving Seething Hal attack speed, 25% to be exact, at all ranks
What the
when
fuck?
using Seething Hal. So that's another bonus that you get when using that one. But also for Brutalize, we want to make sure that he's not
What?
just
Where
walking
did that come
into
from?
destruction by jumping onto someone with Brutalize. So making him just a little bit tankier, going
Bro,
from 1.5 pros
Fenrir
to
with
2
his
per
2 proc
level,
can auto for like
is gonna just help
700
him
late game.
not die when jumping on people.
Yeah, survive the jump.
So you're not even gonna go AA,
Awesome,
bro.
awesome.
You're just gonna proc that
Hachiman
with
next
full
on the
power.
list, and more buffage.
Yeah, Hachiman is kind of a mirrored buff that we saw with Artemis on her third ability.
Yeah.
Hachiman's Heavenly Banner. Similarly, just a
matching
little
that
bit
to
too low
Artemis's
damage that,
3.
a
They're
little
trying
bit not
to.
as impactful in the lane as that we would like it to be, so we're going to be buffing it there. Also scaling a little bit, 55% scaling.
Adapting
Not that
goes
high, it
like
does trigger you to the
33 and
attacks
2
benefits,
on
but we
Fenrir
wanna just
Worlds,
bump
they're
that
like,
up a little bit across the board.
Let's fucking buff 'em.
Awesome. The next on the list, and this is just me being dumb for like 2 seconds, is Hell buff. But when I looked at it, I said Hebo, but spelled weird. We have a Hell buff. So
I guess you could say that.
yeah. So what's
So-
happening with Hell?
For Hell, she has always had this protection reduction
Shit.
on her second
Mindy's
ability,
coming
Dark
back,
Stance
boys.
Hinder,
That's it.
but it was a very low
Mindy's
amount.
coming
so
back.
it would kind of, to the point where you were leveling this ability up last usually, even sometimes after your ultimate. And
Yeah.
so what was happening is you were getting to this top end of the protection reduction, but at that point, flat prots don't really matter as much anymore.
True.
So what we wanted to do is give her a
Mindy
little bit more
crying
application
already,
going
dude.
into
He's not
the
even playing
later
the game
stages
yet.
of the game, and have that also be a percent reduction as well. So it's both now. It's you get the flat, you get the percent. They're
Percentage.
both better at different times. So once you get to that late game, you'll still be feeling like you're shredding people.
Yeah, nice consistent shreddage throughout the game. Love that. So next up, Hercules.
Hercules is an interesting one because it feels like he's always really good or really bad, and he's been
Scary.
not so strong for quite a while.
Increases base
One
damage.
of those things, that he kind of has needed, especially since like the 9.5
What
times,
is
just, like, a little bit more
attack
damage,
speed?
especially against his minions. So driving strike is going to be
What?
getting a whole bunch more damage, specifically on the base damage, of course, to incentivize him building on the warrior side. But also the spicy one here is
Oh
mitigate
my
wounds. His
God.
healing ability is also going to be gaining a buff effect, similar like how we saw with Fenrir.
This
He's
buffs
gonna be
Jungle
gaining
Hercules, by
25%
the way.
attack speed at all
And
ranks,
obviously
in
Solo
addition to
Hercules,
the
but
other
Jungle
effects it
Hercules-
provides.
All
So
right.
Might
now
whoop
when you
your
pop
ass.
that, you're not kind of just being like a defensive heal bot. You now want to be aggressive with
Yeah,
it too.
you're being a
'Cause
bonk
what
bot.
else do you want a Hercules to do other than just like use his combo? And
Remember,
then
as a
just start
jungler,
smashing?
you would
And then
still
run
get
it.
the
I'm not gonna
5%
mention my cooldowns
cooldown
right now.
buff.
Cooldowns
Passive
going to
buff
go
for
down
being
2
a
seconds
warrior.
flat, quite a bit.
That's a
But,
lot.
Yeah, that is a lot.
Hurricane's poo-poo,
Awesome.
but this is
He
a
is
weird
needed.
change. So, like,
Yeah, that is
like,
fair.
that's
I
not
haven't
what's
missed him a lot
poo-poo about
because
Herc.
the
Herc's
bonk,
poo-poo
but
because
you know
he
it's
just
fine,
kinda
it's fine.
stands
I'll
there
just
after
adjust.
he uses his kit.
Swimbot's also getting a buff.
Yeah, so Hunbat is in a very interesting place where he feels really, really
buff?
great when you get to that team fight stage.
What
and
is
you're able
this?
to use Fear No
If
Evil.
he gets attack
But
speed,
up until that
it's
point,
over,
he kind of
boys.
just feels
It's fucking
a little
over.
bit like an alt bot, and we want to give him a little bit more flexibility in
Got
how
it.
he uses his offensive tools and his defensive tools for that matter. So Somersault's
Okay, this
getting a little
doesn't-
bit more
this is-
damage, so
this is
you
nothing.
are
We're
able
good.
to land
We're
that
safe,
jump on
boys. We're
enemy.
safe.
Not only
This is nothing.
are they taking more damage, you're also slowing them for a little bit more as
safe.
well. So you have even more chance to
This is a-
follow
this is
up
a
on
baby
them
buff.
with the monkey bounce or the overhead
Yeah.
smash, which both do deal a lot of damage.
They
So
dish it out.
the whole combo altogether is feeling a lot better if you're able to land this jump.
As long as you can land
What
the
up,
jump.
Kill for it?
That's
so.
the question.
It's hard. That is a skill. It's a skill. All right, so King Arthur on the buff list for next up.
Yeah, so King Arthur's got a whole bunch of stuff going up.
A whole bunch of
There's a
stuff.
couple of reasons why. So King Arthur's again
Because they're
he's-
nerfing
when
Bluestone and
he's
Glass
good,
Shield.
he's good. When he's bad,
Why?
he's quite bad.
Yeah, he's
It's
out.
quite
because
bad
they're
right now.
nerfing his
Also, you've got to
items.
keep in mind whether it's the minion tankiness changes, whether it's Glad Shield and the subsequent damage reduction. A premier item for him.
Yeah.
He kind of needs a little bit of an extra love. So damage in several different places. He's going to be getting increased damage on his hamstring
Yeah,
specifically.
his items are
on
ass.
his battle stomp. And Twin Cleave, which
Well,
is a little
not
bit more of an
ass,
interesting
but
one, isn't just
they're-
damage straight up,
they're
but
not
it's
the
going to
same.
be an increased protection reduction debuff, which can stack up to twice with that Twin Cleave.
Yep.
That's a lot of
Yeah.
extra
Across the
damage.
board helps him in lane.
So
It's
he
a
can
lot of good,
clear
lot of good
poke
changes to
more.
help account for some of the item changes and other stuff that we have going on throughout the rest of the year 10. It's been a while since I've said that. I had to work one in. Kuzimbo up next. Love seeing Guardian get a buff.
Yeah, so Kuzenbo is a lot of fun to play in lane.
So fun.
But the biggest problem is when you're not able to get those sumo slams off very consistently, you kind of have to play a little bit farther from range when
That's
you
to be
get
a nice
into
quality
that
of
later
life
stage of
change,
the
make
game.
it better.
Yeah.
So being able to more consistently CC people from range is going to be the biggest goal of this change in any kappa. And it's basically giving it more slow when you rank it up to up
Yeah.
to 30% and then decreasing that cooldown. So again, playing around those shell spikes, getting your cooldowns back by getting hit, you've got more kappas again.
Yeah.
More Kappas. Hooray. So continuing the Guardian trend, Kumbhakarna also getting a buff.
Ooh,
Yeah, so
this
some
was
interesting things there. So
crazy.
we were looking at his passive, and his passive is it's kind of binary in a way. Like you either know what it does or you don't. And
Yeah.
maybe he lives, but the chances that Kumbhakarna lives through that
Cripple.
passive is probably not that high. A
little slow.
And while we didn't necessarily want to make that effect stronger, where it's like,
They
hey,
gave
he
him
lives
a
100%
cripple
of
and
the
his
time.
Yeah.
We just
cooldown
wanted that
or his
effect to be
passive
more
has
of a
such a
choice
low
more often.
cooldown.
Got it.
3 minutes
Oh
for
my
a
God.
passive cooldown like that is it's pretty high.
Bro,
we're-
Kumba's back,
We're reducing that all the way to
Bacchus
2
is
minutes.
back.
Still a pretty considerable
here we
amount of time,
go.
but now it
Yeah.
won't feel like every time you engage you have to worry about it. It's still going to be a meaningful decision, but allows him to really consider.
That's a
when he can
huge
use
change
those
because there's a
bonus
lot of
movements.
times where you're like,
Also,
oh, if I get by
Broadly
the root, who
Strike
cares?
will
I'll
now
just
be
dash
applying a
away.
cripple in addition to its root effects.
Yep.
Nice.
So now it's a little bit more worthwhile to charge up that big swing.
Yeah, to get it
Exactly.
all the way
A little
back.
bit more rewarding.
Whoa,
Nice.
whoa.
Moving on, we
That
have
was-
some mage stuff going on with Morgan Le Fay
whoa,
also getting a
whoa,
buff.
Yeah,
whoa.
Morgan Le
Wrong-
Fay has been a little
wrong,
absent over the past few
wrong hand
matches,
movement.
and we have kind of realized that this has to do a bit with her
Whoa.
ability to kind of finish people off. She's great
Yeah.
at poking, great at dealing
Incredible.
damage from afar and peeling herself off, but when it comes to actually killing people, she has a bit of a struggle with that. So one way that we're going to be doing that is by increasing the power of, or not the power, sorry, the scaling on Shroud of Wildfire, that initial hit. So
Yeah.
once you get that bang off, it's doing a little bit more damage, and then of course in consuming power, this is going to also be increasing that damage coming from the, I believe it's both the pull in and the swing out.
No, I think we just went with the mark damage. So
Oh,
the
okay,
mark
yes.
damage is going from 5% to 10%.
Yep, so
Got it.
that's if you're able to get a lot of those marks off by using all of Morgan Le Fay's various abilities and various forms of sigil mastery, if you're a master of the sigils, you might say.
You've mastered the sigils.
We
You're
didn't
gonna
also
be
want to
doing
go
more
like too crazy with that because we understand that sometimes it feels a little bit more incidental. It just felt kind of inconsequential. At the
Yeah,
moment, so.
you wanted to carry the weight, but not be like, oh, if you do everything right, you win, hooray! So cool. Moving forward, Nike getting a buff.
Yeah, Nike's definitely not been having
Yeah,
a good time for
not
a
been
little while.
Nike's day.
So honestly,
Nike.
just a couple of easy buffs there. Valiant Leap increasing the base damage. It's pretty low for what
At
that
least
really
it's
does.
nothing too
Base damage is
crazy.
gonna increase that across all ranks. And the ultimate, we went back and forth
Bro,
in its strengths before.
there are so many
Now we're gonna
gods that
just
are
be decreasing
annoying
its
that are
cooldown
good
from
now.
100 to 90. It deserves just the normal.
Just with
ultimate
items, let
ability
alone these
cooldown.
buffs.
Yeah, nice and easy. All-around up next.
Yeah, so if you remember a year ago, which I know very long
Very
time
long
ago
ago.
for a lot of us, we
year
did
ago, that
an
was 5
adjustment
days.
to critical strikes and
Yes.
how much bonus damage that they deal. And so Olaran was
And
also
remember,
affected by that
Spectral
because
doesn't
despite him
work
being a
on
magical
Olaran's
character, he
autos
too
'cause they're
has
magic.
critical strikes.
Yeah.
So we've decided it's finally time to give that a bit of a push back into the more powerful direction for Olaran. And so now his crits, instead of dealing 1.3x damage, they deal 1.5x damage.
Nice.
Oh.
A little more, just a little sprinkle of damage in there. So Surcat also on the up and up. What's up
Hey.
with that?
Yeah, Surcat, we've
Hey,
been addressing a lot.
show
And I
me.
think, we've talked about this in other patch notes based on how we've shifted her previously.
Yeah.
This time we want to just go a little bit more in line with some soft, simple buffs, and then we're going to continue to readdress her. She's always going to be one that's we're going to keep in mind. This
Okay.
might not be the last time you
Two
see her.
changes
We just
good.
want to do the small things, especially in
Two
relation to
changes a
all
massive
the other
quality of
changes
life
that's coming
change, so
up.
it's easier to hit a
We just
double
didn't wanna
two
leave
into
her
a
out
one.
as well. So Madness Duration on Cobra's Kiss is going to be 1.4
But
seconds
that
flat in
ambush
all ranks.
change-
allows her to use that and be a little bit more flexible there. And ambush cooldown's gonna
really a
decrease
big
from
deal
18 to
'cause the 3
16. Again, a
sucks.
little bit more flexibility there. 18 seconds.
Ambush
for-
is by
for
far
that
the
ability
worst
Is honestly
ability.
quite high.
It's a long time, yeah. So cool. So getting to doom, this one's for you. Scotty getting some buffs.
And it's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and some cool
spicy.
buffs, yeah.
These are some awesome buffs for Scotty. So first off, let's talk about Calder because Calder's the real god here, right?
Oh, yeah,
I'm
truly.
just kidding. But for Calder specifically, Scotty's passive,
Oh my
he's
God.
going to be regenerating more health.
Yes,
more
perfectly, my
frequently.
boy.
So how it's going to work is instead of every 5 seconds you get 1 pip of HP, now it's every 4 seconds you're getting 1 pip. So a little bit faster if your dog needs some healing. He's coming back a little bit sooner.
Yeah.
Up
You know
next,
what way
though,
to
we've got
make
Piercing
Surcat make
Cold. So
sense?
this is the one.
You
and
don't
so this is
stealth
going
until you
from
land on your
14 seconds
3,
to 12
but the
seconds. Just a little bit more
cooldown starts
consistent on the
ticking once you
clearing.
land.
This is
So
also
you
a
can be
very
in
good
stealth with
self-heal
another
tool 'cause
3
it's
up.
got a slow on it. So being able to have that tool up more often, especially for a character that is kind of lacking in range and mobility,
Yeah.
is going to be really helpful.
I know,
for her.
Cyclone.
But that's
I
not
know.
the spiciest change
Yeah,
yet. 'Cause
extremely
we've
low.
got one more here.
One
They told me as soon
so
as I started
Winter's Grasp,
streaming.
the ultimate ability,
Yeah.
is now getting an initial hit, and you might say, "Oh my God, that's a lot of damage." And while that is correct, it is also coming away from the damage over
God
time.
damn.
So now instead of having this very long, if Calder dies especially, it's not the most consistent
Damn.
damage to get off. It's now coming a little bit up front and still a very significant amount
Bro,
in the damage
Yeah,
over time.
800
duration.
But now if you actually do
810
get
damage
the
with
Calder
130%
toss onto
scaling.
the dog yeet on the right person, now they will be taking some extra damage up front as well to make sure that they don't have to sit in it for the full duration of the snowstorm to actually get that damage off.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that is a spicy change. Just got to make sure you land that dog eat, like you said. So
Yeah.
very important. So Beck up next as well on the buff train.
Yeah, just as needed a little bit of love, so we're going to go
Yeah.
simple here. Sickening Strike, increasing the base damage on that by
Dang, that
10 in all
slow
ranks.
change.
A
What
little bit
the
more utility
fuck?
effect for the ultimate,
Yeah.
lurking in the water. so
Oh
we're gonna
my
actually
gosh,
increasing the
that
slope
ult is
from
gonna be
25%
so
flat,
annoying,
which,
bro. They made gods
is
really
alright,
annoying
so
with
a
this
little bit more
patch.
sizable, 30% scaling to 40%.
They
so it's gonna be a
really
lot
made people
more
annoying with
dangerous
this patch.
actually for the persistent effect of that, and not just all about the explosion.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, great for zoning or great for utilizing in those late games, especially if you're chasing somebody down or zoning somebody off.
Yeah.
That'll be really good.
Yeah, and we're also increasing the protections there while he's in that ultimate, so that if you are just smacking him instead while he's in that, he's
Yeah.
a little bit more survivable.
Yeah,
Yep.
he'll handle it a little better. So next up, Vamana. Right
Another
into the buff.
spicy.
Another spicy
I'm
one.
the
Spicy.
spicy
Yeah,
ones
yes.
today. All right, let's talk about
keep
Vamana.
going.
So Vamana is a character that has a lot of problems when it comes to dealing with certain relics. Cursed dog. And so one way that we have decided to kind of get around this counter, of course we're not completely removing a counter, is to remove the healing
What?
over time from this ability. You no longer heal from this ability, but you
Whoa.
can get some healing in a different way now. While this ability is active, you're getting 30% physical lifesteal while you're big, so this counts
That's
for
a
the
lot.
entire duration.
That's a lot.
And then additionally, we're increasing the shield from 1% of your max health per 2 seconds or 0.2 seconds, sorry, 2% every 0.2
Yeah.
seconds. So doubling the shield basically, no health regen, but again, shields can still be countered by your Sunders, by your Curse Donks. You're just not
Mana is gonna
getting
be
perma
nuts.
damage increased against because you are healing for this amount of time.
Yeah.
Now you can feel a little bit more survivable against those, and you don't just instantly lose to one
Bro,
relic.
there's
And if
so
you want
much
a
in
little
this
bit of that healing
patch.
back, you have to do something active for it at least.
Yeah,
you gotta
exactly.
work for it. You gotta be in the fight.
You
so.
still got
are
healing
these
potential, but
changes,
it's not
dude?
the same as before. It's a little, it's shifted.
You
might
heal through
say.
violence now. So. All right, we have made it to the final
It's the
buff.
final one here.
No, it's
The
not a
And that's
nerf.
Zablanc.
Bonk does not counter the
Getting a
mana
buff as
now.
well.
Yeah, this one honestly is pretty spicy.
Ooh.
While
It
the
is.
ultimate effect is active, no, it's not just that blind effect. It's not just the increased range. Jablanc as well, and that will be now gaining a attack speed while the effect is active.
This is
So
a lot of
That-
attack.
20% scaling all the way to 60%.
That's a lot.
That
You're
is
now
a
going to be going
lot of attack.
swinging a lot faster.
What
Splitting
the
points in this
fuck?
ability has never seemed so good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
What
and
the
people were worried that the
fuck
blind
are they
effect just wasn't
doing?
strong enough, which honestly is pretty strong. Now you have to
Yeah.
be terrified of when he's in it.
Bro,
too.
all right,
Yeah,
Shablanc
'cause
is the best
he
hunter in this battle.
flinging those bullets,
by
so.
far.
Shoot, I'm still the person that's like ult. Stop.
Shablanc is broken.
Ult. So I just
That's
can't
sad,
believe
Shablanc.
the
Muscle
ult
memory
is-
kind of
Yeah, it's
effect, yeah.
trained. So. Whew, all right,
That's
deep breath. That was a
crazy.
lot
We
of stuff
did
we
it.
just talked
Oh,
about. We
geez.
did it. We
Yeah.
made it. I'm super excited about it. There's still more to come, obviously, but that was
There's
a
a lot
lot
more
of
to come.
balance. Yeah, there's a lot
They
of
should
great
not
things
show
to come.
skins. They should
So that
show
was a
them,
lot
like,
of balance. A lot of things
never.
are changing. If you want all those
be a
numbers, you want to
surprise.
recap, you missed anything or showed up late, check out the patch notes. Everything's going to be there, same as what we've just gone through, but with
There's
a
still
lot
the
more
new
numbers
God,
if you feel like reading
and
those
there's
and
still
doing some math.
skins.
But next up, we do have community news. But before we get into that, how about a fun little video for y'all? Check it out.
Fellow traveler,
Oh my
stay for a
God.
spell, for there are tales to be told. Stories of time, stories of seasons. These are the
my
stories
God.
that bind us all,
Getting louder.
forged in the fire.
I just
of
went
an
from
eternal
full volume to hear
conflict.
them to bottom volume to not hear this.
Raise the lands of gods and men.
Oh my god,
Through the
dude. I think my
flames,
headphones just
rebirth
like,
gives
fucking
way
blew
to
up.
Change and the rise of monsters. The sunlight pierces
Holy
the ashen
fucking
horizon,
shit.
nurturing the barren lands and welcoming new life. And for the souls that were lost, they will be carried and find their way to what awaits us all. And what awaits us all? A celebration of our deeds in this journey we all share. Our stories
Oh my God.
connected by the ebb and flow of time like the seasons. We are renewed. When we meet again, what tales will await us all?
Holy fuck. Watch. They're gonna be whispering.
A super cool trailer full of teaser mystery. So hope y'all guys enjoyed that. That'll be a little bit of a teaser that y'all can pick apart and figure out what might be coming.
that's supposed
in
to tease
year
all the
10,
new
which
gods
We're starting
throughout
off,
the
kicking
year.
off next week, which is crazy. It blows my mind. Smite has been around for 10 years, and
Literally,
I'm gonna
Smite
repeat that like
2.
1,000 times because it blows me away. It's been
this
such
is-
a long journey. But we have more to go here today. We've been through so much already, but we're gonna kick off community news and share with y'all. Joined with me now, I don't even know how to talk anymore. We have Lermy, who was hanging out earlier, and another friend who was hanging out earlier, Titan Ajax,
I'm back.
ready to rumble. So let's get into some community news, though. So I'm going to start off with the Year 10 pass. You know, each year we've had season passes in the past, but now we have the Year 10 pass. Name change to honor the new mode that we're doing things, but also full of content. Just like all the other years, all kinds of incredible things you can get with it that I'm going to go through right now, starting with obviously, you get all the cool skins that come with the new gods that come out. And if you don't own that god, you get the god too. And the voice pack. So you're going to get all of that for every single new god that releases in Year 10 for Smite. Already cool. You're also going to get an additional Tier 1 skin with that, the emotes, Wave and Clap, and a bunch of other stuff, including 3 exclusive cosmetics to this Year 10 pass that you can only get through the Year 10 pass. And those are the Calamity
Why
Cat
did
Soul
Hindu just
skin,
get his
which I think
message
we have
deleted?
the art for here. Let's do it. Oh, look at that.
Look at her.
It says
Wow.
Year 10. Look at the kitty.
I love the kitty.
I love it so much. But yes, this is exclusive to the Year 10 pass, so super duper worth it. You'll also get the
Isaiah
Calamity Cat
told
loading
me.
screen and the miraculous title,
very excited,
which is
dude.
A miraculous
You have
title.
no
It's also the
fucking idea.
miraculous title. You get it. So
on my stream, this is
so
like
all of that
Christmas and my birthday at the same
plus,
time.
That's like 3 pluses if you're keeping track. You'll also get a special bonus of 1,000 gems. And as I mentioned
While they're doing
earlier,
this, I'm gonna go see what Lincoln's doing.
That's a big one.
that's a lot of them. Yeah, that's a big number of gems. Plus, as I mentioned earlier, if you don't own the Ultimate God Pack, you'll get every god that comes out with the new year. So that all the year 10 gods you will also have access to as they release. So definitely make sure to pick that up. It is super awesome. I mean, the skin and the 1,000 gems alone, but the content for every single new god that comes out this year. And as you might have just seen with that teaser video we showed, a lot of cool stuff on the way.
yeah.
So get excited for that. To continue in the community news, we have something else really cool and exciting that I'm so pumped to show you, and we're calling it Smite's Temple of You. Smite has been around for a long time, and we have some members in the community who have been playing for just as long. And to celebrate that, we have a cool little video project that we've thrown together to help celebrate those stats. So what you're about to see is a demo version. These numbers aren't real, so you'll see Lermy's name here. Not real numbers, but it's what it will look like when y'all do it. And let's just let y'all see the video first.
Gods and goddesses, welcome to the Temple of You, the monument to glorify your divine exploits. Allow us to celebrate your greatest accomplishments in the first decade of Smite. A testament to your triumphs, trials, and tenacity. You have many loyal supporters. Shall we bless your most devoted acolyte with your recognition now? Followers from all walks of life. And some showered with riches beyond compare. You're not the only god of your caliber. Here are the other deities in your pantheon. The halls of history will echo with tales of your conquests. Ah, the Gilgamesh to your Ishtar, a battle for the ages. The songs of your conquest will ring throughout history, or until the season ends. You certainly love to rain terror upon your enemies. Who says kind-hearted gods don't show force when needed? Ah, it appears you are a force of good. The most powerful gods can also be the most benevolent. You are deserving of our deepest gratitude. You watch from the heavens as champions fight for your favor, and to the victors go the spoils.
Nice job.
Are you not entertained? Your accomplishments shall stay legendary for eternity, but your lore is just beginning. May your conquests continue in the first season of Smite, Year 10, the Season of Monsters.
You rock.
And that is the Smite Temple of You. That's kind of crazy. It's the big overview of like your history of Smite with all those cool numbers. Yeah, again,
Love it.
those numbers those were just made up because we just wanted that for the demo purpose. Figured we'll share all the stats on Twitter and everybody will be sharing their stuff anyway. But so to be a part of that, pre-registration kind of happened during SWC, so January 13th. That's a couple days ago now. But if you were able to pre-register, then you'll be getting an email at some point between the 15th and the 23rd that details some of this stuff.
Oh yeah,
so keep
I
your eye out
registered for
that.
this. When do we get
If
it?
you missed pre-registration, don't sweat it. January 24th, I'm double checking because I don't want to lie to y'all. January 24th, just go and participate in it. You just keep an eye out. We'll be sharing ways that you can do this, but you can go participate, get your video, and share it with people and see your history in Smite, the chunk of Smite that you've really taken a hold of. So I think that's really cool, and I'm excited to share mine and then look at my coworkers and be like, man, I got to play more in 2023. So anyway. So that's cool. And then one more shout out that I want to give is for the Year 10 celebration event going on right now. It's been going on for a while, so we're actually getting near the end of it. So if you haven't hopped on this, make sure you do that.
I want to see what it is.
So easy. Play 10 games. Play 10 games. Just hop in. 10 games of Smite, and you earn a tier 4 skin chest. You can even get like Toonie Terracilla out of that. So like good skins
Some
are
hot
in that
ones
chest.
there.
That's really
so
cool.
that's a really good chest. A free battle pass, or if you own it already, 10 levels for the battle pass. 10 free pick your own god chests. So if you don't own the god pass, choose 10 gods to try out, you know?
Yeah.
And then 10 account and match boosters. So that's essentially 10 days worth of boosters for your account. So
awesome.
and all of that is just by playing the game. Just hop in, play some matches, don't worry about it. So that's that wraps it for basic community news. We got some merch news now. Nothing crazy. Just make sure to check out the Skull Store. We got all kinds of incredible merch there, especially coming out of SWC and all the hype. You know, support your favorite SPL player. Look at some of that merch that we have there and pick something up to buff the wardrobe. You know, I'm all about that Smite wear. So always make sure to grab that. As SPL news go, now this is really cool. This is something to get hyped for. We just came out of SWC, which was huge. And now we're moving into something else pretty cool. We have the Smite Salt Year 10 Celebration Tournament. So this is a tournament that anybody is welcome to join in. This will be taking place January 28th or 27th through 28th.
This is the amateur
Started
league,
with the
guys.
wrong
All
date.
this.
But anybody can join. Sign-ups are open, and there's a 200,000 gem prize pool. So hop in, play your
Alright.
heart out, and earn yourself a couple
All you
gems
pro
along the
players
way
who
if
need
you,
a
if you
jungler.
can rough it out. So
Hit me
again,
up.
happening. You can look out for more
It's
information
online,
for
I'll
this
play in
soon.
it.
But this is happening at the end of January. So super excited because that's just going to be a fun event. Again, open to anybody. So.
It's gonna be on the new map too. That's awesome.
Yeah.
The brand new map that we went over at the beginning, and if you missed, you can go check it back.
Oh, wait, I don't think pro players can play on that.
It'll be fun. So
All you non-pro players.
next up, we're moving
up.
into the quality of life, and I'm gonna let these wonderful people here take care of that because I've talked enough already right here. But I hear we're kind of having a fun little update in quality of life.
True
What's
as I
going on?
love. You're non-pro
this is
right
a big
now.
one.
It's a big one.
We're going to be increasing the Smite player level cap. A long time ago, we increased it from 30 to 160. Now you're going to be able to level all the way up to 2,000.
That's up
Yeah,
there.
big numbers.
That is huge.
That's so
This is gonna
This doesn't
only be
affect
cosmetic.
anything
It's
at
not
all.
necessarily gonna affect anything in the game. It's just to
Yeah.
show off how much you've played Smite.
Yeah.
Built into your account now.
Bro, and leveling is slow.
It's not gonna alter matchmaking or affect anything else. But the other thing, the good thing to know is that it only applies to players who've already
know,
gotten
Bobby.
over level
So
160. So we're not going to be
skins, we
applying a
got
new
Surtr.
curve that's going to change the
Surtr,
path from 30 to 160. You're still
Yeah.
if you're still on that trek, keep on fighting the good
Nah,
fight.
bro,
Yeah,
I
still
think
on
I'm
it.
like
after
level
160,
280.
you're going to notice that you can start get levels a little bit more rapidly,
Like, think
working
about
all the way
that.
up to level
I've been level
2000. But let me
160
say,
for 8
it is
years.
quite a climb.
So hard.
I was about to say, because
pretty
what if
sure I'm
you're
only
already
level
level 160
280.
and you've been playing for a while?
It will automatically adjust you. So any experience you've been earning
Highest
over
level is
160
level- is
has been saved
400?
and stored in our databases and will
That's so
automatically
many
adjust. We already
games.
tested it with Lermy. And what level did you end up?
I think it was around 219 or so.
I
so
did do this Smite
not
recap.
even
I'm just
close
waiting
to
to
that.
get
She
it.
I feel
plays
like
a
I played
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we had tested. We ran some data queries to make
That's
sure that we
crazy.
looked at
Someone's
who was
level
playing the
400?
most in the history of
Yeah,
Smite and trying to avoid them from hitting cap on day one. I think somebody out there effectively played enough games to level from 1 to 160 23 times.
That's so
That's
much.
so many
fun.
games. Good on you.
And they're going to end up being like level 782 or something like that. There's still a lot of room to grow.
Yeah, dude.
we wanted to
Ajax
when we did it this time, we
triple
wanted to make
the
sure
number.
that we weren't hitting cap again for a while.
Yeah, we're gonna be sitting on this for a little bit.
So gonna be really excited
I
to
don't
see
think
how
anyone's ever
where the
hitting
pros
cap.
and the streamers end up at what
Unless
level. It'll
they-
just be a
they
really fun
boosted
way
the
to show.
XP
Kind of
again.
like the Temple of You. This will be another big
Yeah.
part of that.
So that'll be really cool. Wow, 23 times. If you're
I think I'm only
watching this
280.
and like still
on
playing
PTS
Smite
when
right
we
now,
logged in, I'm pretty sure I was.
it up.
Thank
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That
Yeah.
you are what I would consider a pillar of the community. So,
Absolutely.
cool.
challenge.
Well, that does it for community news as a whole. But we've talked about a lot of cool things, and now we are on to a spot of the show that I always love so
Oh, yeah,
much.
all the
We're
XP
on the
boosters
cosmetics,
will
we're on
actually
the
work now. I
skins,
forgot
the new
about
stuff
that.
to
Something
look
beautiful
at.
to look at.
Starting with a brand new battle pass kicking off with year 10, and that
Map
is
is
the
amazing.
Boss Monster Battle Pass. Part of the Season of Monsters. It makes sense.
Yeah,
So the
perfect theming.
Exactly. The first skin in that line is Infernal Winds Kukulkan. Okay.
What a banger to start off
I was
with.
about to say that it looks so
I think
different.
I saw this somewhere.
I
but
just
don't know
love how
where.
we get to have these reactions to this amazing art on every show. You know, the team just doing awesome work. Kukulkan, like you've never quite seen him before, huh?
Yeah, no, not
that
exactly.
guy does
Oh,
look
was
like
this
the
in the
final boss
keynote?
in a video game.
That's
I gotta
what I
say.
was thinking.
He does, very much so. So we don't have a turnaround
Like,
for this one,
they didn't
unfortunately.
show the
You'll
magic
have to wait a
skins yet,
little
no.
longer, and by that I mean like PTS right around the corner. But to see it in game, but we do have a voice line, so let's hear that.
The scent of despair and fear is thick in this realm. It is time for the apocalypse to begin.
Sheesh. All
End
right.
of the world and such.
I was about to say, I'm
Yeah.
going to double up on that. Sheesh. Like, yeah.
Apocalypse, huh?
Yeah.
Okay,
Is that
all
what he
right,
did?
let's get going.
It's in such a convincing tone. All right, so that'll be the first skin you're going to see. The second skin, Web of Fate Arachne, also in the Boss Monster Battle Pass. Eyes? Lots of
wow.
eyes.
Yeah, we wanted something a little bit elegant and otherworldly
the
to kind of
fuck?
balance out all the various archetypes of boss monsters that
Yeah.
it can be inspirations from many different games. So Arachne was a great choice, and this is a really cool, unique art style applied to her.
Oh my god, look at those eyes
like
all
that.
over the place,
Arachne
like you were
skins are
saying
ass,
earlier,
so
but
this
they
is awesome.
really stand out on this design.
They
The color
really
palette is
do.
beautiful.
It is, and I'm always a fan of like that half face, other half giant eye thing. Like that's peak monsterage to me. So let's hear the voice line on this one.
Gaze upon perfection.
No, sir. No.
That has
no,
RPG
no,
villainous
Yeah.
for sure.
It really does.
You can feel that. Even the extra is there and is extra.
Yeah.
no.
And then when she said gaze, she has what, like
That hurt
50
my
eyes there,
eyes.
so she really means
She was
it.
talking.
No
Yes.
sneaking up on that boss.
I didn't even know that was possible.
So the next skin in line will be Crimson Conqueror Guan Yu.
Whoa, this art is
Oh, that's
so
cool.
nice. Wow, that is wallpaper material.
That is wallpaper material.
It is. It's great. I will mention that this one is the revisited skin. So this one was in a previous battle pass, as our battle passes are. 3 brand new ones and one that's a reinterpretation. This is from the boss. What did we call the first one? It was boss
Final
something.
boss.
Final
Final
boss.
boss.
We
There
did
it
the final
is.
boss battle pass. Now we have the boss monster. So
It
the
is a
other
wow
3
now.
are not so humanoid.
Yeah.
Guan Yu with his horse and steed still just barely makes the cut.
True.
Yeah, but this is one heck of a recolor, and it's also in the
It
free
is.
track too, so you're getting this just by playing the game. You don't have to buy
Exactly.
anything.
Just for hanging out and playing. So awesome. The last skin that we're going to see here in the Battle Pass is Corrupted Commander Ternunos.
Ooh.
They're not showing
Okay,
us
that's
game.
the purple though.
That is very nice purple, like you said.
And
don't
like
trust the
scary
card art, bro.
goat thing over there.
Whoever
on the
does their
right.
card art
Oh.
is way
gotta
too
turn
skilled.
people
Turn
to
people into
something, right?
goats.
Into scary goats, like
Yeah,
looks like.
they're scary this time.
Their card art is
Yeah, this is
clickbait
really
because
cool. I
their
love all
artists
the
are
metal,
fucking. Yeah, see?
that
See?
contrast
horn.
Kurnonos'
I'm fine with the
usual
skin. He looks
nature.
kind of like chalked
Wow,
up.
those
but
like textures and
See?
materials are gorgeous. Look at all that engraving on his armor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is some awesome drops that you're gonna get from slaying this.
their card artists are
Right?
nuts.
All these boss monsters probably have crazy loot.
All right, let's hear the voice line for this one.
They will all bow down to me.
Fair enough.
He
Short,
looks
sweet, and
dusty,
to the point.
bro.
A lot of bowing
Like he
to be
literally
done.
looks dusty.
So again, those are all part of the brand new Battle Pass, the Boss Monster Battle Pass, as long as
That's
a
what
full
my
track
shoes
of
look like when I
cosmetics
don't wear
and
them
other
for a long
things.
time.
And that'll be releasing next week with the update. Always crazy to say that every update show that's
Next
right around the
week.
corner.
Yep.
So next up, now this one is near and dear to a lot of Smite fans' hearts. Continuing the theme of kind of the lore and history of Smite, we have a chest coming out with the 10.1 update named the Denton chest.
Yes.
With Denton Bacchus.
He returns.
He's
He
finally
returns.
here.
Look at
You
him.
can finally play as Denton. For those of you who are just joining us in the newer years of Smite, Denton was a Cyclops character that was never a playable character, but was used in a lot of fun end of lobby, end of match animations and marketing
Yeah, he's in a
promotions and
lot
other
of
stuff like
animations,
that.
bro.
He was
That's
kind of like
awesome.
an unofficial mascot, kind of goofy and silly little Cyclops guy.
Yeah. You
There
would
was
see
a
him
lot
in
of
so
love
many
for him in the
animations.
old days, but he got slowly phased out. And with 10.1, there was
Yeah, that's why
like
they buffed
we
Bacchus.
wanted to look for these types of characters and really, shine a light on them, bring them back, do them justice, all new art, and now you can finally play Denton as a god on Bacchus as a skin. It's just it's so fun. I can't wait to
Yeah.
say. I can't wait to see this one out there.
Somebody needs to
Yeah,
cosplay
so
that. At
we don't have a
Next Worlds.
turnaround, unfortunately, so I have to pull the rug out from under you there. You'll see him in PTS and live in game, but we do have a voice line we can
Oh,
share.
you
Let's hear
got it.
Denton talk.
Denton!
He's very well spoken.
If
Very
that
well
isn't
spoken.
Peak Denton, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. So again, if any of y'all who have
pretty
played
good.
more than 10 gods, you had to have come across a end of
Sounded
match
like
screen
me,
that had
what?
Denton in it. So a piece of
Relax,
Smite
buddy.
history coming into the game. Absolutely love to see
Relax,
it.
buddy.
So we're gonna do a quick jump ahead into the future here. February 7th, there'll be a bonus chest coming out, and that will be the Ice Wraith chest with Ice Wraith Geb.
Ooh, I'm excited to see this one. Whoa.
Oh, that's
Whoa.
horror.
He's scary.
Oh,
Geb's usually
yeah.
a nice guy, but now he's an ice guy.
I know, right?
Thank you for
With
that.
Geb, I did expect something, sometimes a little bit calmer, but this is awesome.
Yeah, this is definitely steering away from that. It has Ymir has a lot of these vibe skins where he's usually already aggressive. Here's a more aggressive take on that. But you're right. This is kind of a 360, a 180 for Geb.
Oh, 360. Oh, yeah. And his elemental form, I think,
the
works
head
really
brings
well
it all
for
together.
ice.
Like, the head makes
like
it
this,
sick.
you know?
Without
Ice
the head, it would
elementals,
just
you
look
see
like
a lot
Ymir.
of cool creatures like this.
Bro, you're gonna
across
think
the
this is
game
Ymir,
in
100%.
fantasy space, and this is just
You're
really
gonna run up
unique
on this
way
from
to
behind
work this into Gab.
and
love
think it's
the
fucking
just
Ymir, and then
the
realize it's
crystals,
just a
right?
Geb
They've
who's gonna
got
shield and
all
run
this
away.
Nice gradation going on. It really makes it feel complete. Like this is just an ice creature that you come across.
Yeah. And the floating skull, I don't know.
I told you guys past tense will be 3 hours.
It's creepy, but it's cool.
It is.
Called it.
Let's hear the voice line for this one.
Humans must kill.
So definitely not calm.
Nope. He's
Another,
going on a rampage, I suppose.
More bestial take we went on this one. With
Yeah,
him. I think
I'd
makes
say.
a lot of sense. If he was all regal and calm, I think that'd be a little unfitting.
Yeah. So we've seen a lot of really cool things. Again, that'll come out February 7th.
More skins,
but
please.
what's coming up next? You might have seen it if you were watching during SWC, and I hope you were. Lots to see.
Oh, this is magic.
But up next, we have an incredible crossover that so many people at the company have been hyped about since its ideation, since it's the original form. But before we get into it, how about we share a trailer with y'all to see it real quick? Check it out.
Across the
Ooh,
multiverse,
fuck you, Hi-Rez. I got you.
we are known.
I got you. I'm blowing my ears out again.
Some call us saviors, others a scourge.
Bro, people were going nuts at the event for this, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Across all worlds, we share a
Bro, they saw
single
that shit, and
name.
people just started fucking, like, cranking it. They were going nuts.
Planeswalkers.
I know now what it is, you potatoes.
I mean, incredible. Like, we've been waiting for that for so long to finally be able to reveal and talk about Magic the Gathering in Smite. It's huge. It's incredibly huge. So, like, listen, I've played Magic a lot. If you hand me a deck, I can work my way through it. I can have fun with it. But I think we have two experts over here, a lot more than I am anyway. So how excited are y'all about it?
I don't know how they're going to compete with the Avatar.
Very exciting. I've been
crossover.
playing Magic since the
Like, these skins,
90s.
I don't know how they can compete.
Yeah,
Off and
nice.
on. It's a very popular game, I think, in the game dev crowd.
Yeah.
Game developers really appreciate Magic's deep lore, their way they manage their rule sets and their pacing and their releases. Really, they're like one of the first live release games, right? Constantly releasing new content,
Yeah.
new sets, new theming. They've been doing a lot of amazing stuff for a long time, and it's just so awesome to
Okay,
get to
shut
work
up,
with this team and explore this other game world in the world of Smite.
Yeah, especially for a game so rich in lore, it's incredible. And yeah, Lermy, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, as a more recent convert to Magic the Gathering, it's just so incredible to learn about, like AJ was talking about, all this deep lore that comes behind it. And as just employees of Hi-Rez, we have a little group going every so often when we get together and play Magic on the weekends sometimes. It's just such a fun game to play, and I'm so excited for all of you guys to get to experience what that's like too. Just get a taste of it, of course.
For sure, yeah. And I mean, much as to what was said, like, as I was getting started at this company a couple years ago, I don't even have like nice modern decks anymore. But I had coworkers who was like, "Hey, that doesn't matter. Come out, like we'll hang out. I got a deck you can borrow." That was one of the first times I actually hung out with my coworkers outside of work. Was playing Magic, and I mean, I've played with you, AJ. I've played with other people, so it really is such an amazing IP and such an honor for us to be able to do this. So. It's going to be an event like crossover events of the past, but this one has something we have never done before as well. This event spans 2 updates. We will be releasing a total of 10 skins. Like, this hand isn't free.
And it was still hard to narrow them down. They got so many cool characters.
There's so much to choose from. Like we have, as always, we have a bunch of people from the company that just sat there, and it was a war. It was an unceasing.
It was a
war.
process.
Yeah, of like
it really was.
We want this, and like there was no negativity about it. It just really was. Who can we best represent? Who's gonna come in and feel
so many
and
cool
adapt?
characters.
Yeah. So, but 10 characters, which is a lot, across 2 updates. So that'll be this update now. You'll get the first 5, the second 5 coming in the next update, which we'll talk about when we get there. Enough for today already.
Oh, they're not going to give us all 10 today?
And this will be an event. So as you get through it, there will be, there will be planeswalker and creature skins, kind of, a little bit of both. And there will also be cosmetics that you can get. And you can, you can roll chests for these. You can direct purchase these. But like a lot of other events, you work your way through it. I don't know anything about Magic. More prizes, the more things.
Hopefully the skins look cool.
Of the event. There will also be a set of free quests, free planeswalker quests throughout the event as well. So you can chain through these and work through them, as the event progresses. Some now, some in the next patch. But those will be free to anybody. So make sure that you're hopping in, checking out those quests, and earning things for yourself, because we like being able to share, and that's kind of at the heart of Magic is bringing people together.
That main fire chick they showed looked dope.
But
so I'm sure
I could talk about this all day, but where
game.
would I be without pushing us towards actually looking at these incredible skins? Starting off with this one, and I have chills if you know who I am in the Smite community, Karn Atlas.
Look at him.
Look at him.
Wow, this just translates so well to Atlas too.
It really does, and it looks so good.
Karn, one of the
he's got some arms
earliest Magic characters that we're working with. He's been around in the Magic universe since the early sets.
Yeah.
In the late 90s, and still a focal point. He was just recently a big piece of the Dominaria United set. He had a big role in the story and a very spicy new card.
Yeah.
That had some very unique mechanics. He's known for his manipulation of artifacts, which are a very important part of Magic for anyone who's watching. Is like, of course we know this, but want to make sure we give a little bit out there for those who aren't familiar with that. But the Magic universe known for the 5 colors of mana that correspond to different types of magic, and also artifact, which this is where Karn comes in. So we definitely wanted someone that represented the artifact nature of Magic, and we just felt like he fit Atlas really well with that body type, the big, strong iron golem, and
with
then
no connection to Magic.
Are actually, there's multiple Magic cards that depict astrolabes that can be very
skin
powerful
is not
artifacts.
something I would,
so the idea of Karn
care about.
picking up Atlas's astrolabe and using it as a weapon, Karn has been known
I'm sure
to
if
use
you
some
understand
very
Magic,
interesting
it's dope.
artifacts to help defend his planes that he's been on and defeat evil, and we just worked all that in together to create our Karn Atlas.
Which
new map is amazing,
absolutely breathtaking, especially as an Atlas player. Like, I don't have all of the Magic the Gathering lore. I know a bit. Like, I used to have. It was really bad, but I had an all artifact, no color artifact deck I used to run. It was all mirror based. They were all old cards, but
the mirrors.
Yeah, right.
Those are cool.
Wow.
Those are cool little guys.
But yeah, like just seeing this, it fits so well and is just an incredible skin to look at. Even
From today,
if I knew nothing
I'm not
about
gonna
Magic,
do them for a
coming
while.
in and looking at this, it is a breathtaking skin. So let's hear the voice line for it real quick.
I could not save my own world, but I will save this one.
Big protector vibes.
He very much is. And it was just such an interesting process working through these Magic characters. They've had a lot of different depictions on a lot of different cards.
Yeah.
Especially Karn, who's been around for a long time.
For as long.
We working off the modern visuals of him as much as possible, and translating that to 3D is also a very unique take, because most of Magic's properties all take place within a 2D artistic space, either printed on the cards or in the games like Magic Arena. So we're just had so much fun. Exploring that and interpreting that and working that into a 3D action-focused gameplay.
Well, and you know, I think with all of the work that we did, you know, on the art team especially, and all of our teams to make these come to life, it would be a shame not to see it in game. So let's take Karn in game and see what the model looks like in action.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and of the
Hello. No, you can't touch my keyboard. Your hands
yeah,
are
he's
gross.
looking nice.
That is such an awesome. I mean, everything down to just the way that like I guess you wouldn't call it armor if he's.
It's like his body.
Yeah, like his body. Just the way that his body has all of those artistic details on it is incredible.
You wanna wave?
Yeah.
And that astrolabe.
And that asteroid.
Put in your hair.
There's every single one of the Magic skins
You're
is
farting on me.
loaded with references to the game. There are visual effects that are referencing specific cards. There are voice lines referencing specific cards.
Yeah.
A lot of different stuff for Magic fans to see. One of the main inspirations for the astrolabe was the card Chalice of the Void.
Yeah.
Atlas being a cosmic character and having these kind of gravitational pull type of effects. That made a lot of sense with the Void. So we have this black and white Void style, which is, you know, also something we have in Smite. So we got a really great connection there between Magic Universe and Smite Universe. And it fits Karn super well to have this, you know, powerful artifact that he fights with.
Yeah, I love the colors for this. It's kind of like there's a lot of that, like you said, black and white, but it almost there's like some silvers mixed into there. I don't know, it's just entrancing to look at.
You can also see little bits of liquid metal.
Yeah.
Which is also a feature of Karn. If you're a more hardcore player like myself, you're very familiar with the main way Karn is played in the
That's
game.
not Lincoln crying, dude.
Is able to tutor up artifact cards from his sideboard, one of which is one that turns everything into artifacts. And therefore becomes unusable because Karn can make artifacts be. So he can pretty much negate any card in the game by using his passive ability, which makes artifacts not be able to be activated and turning things into artifacts using the liquid metal. So we got that reference in there too. Also, his ultimate references as another specific part in Karn's storyline. So you get kind of a rainbow here. You get all 5 colors of magic.
Yeah.
Kind of referencing one of the older storylines where Karn was on the team known as the Weatherlight team, who worked together to create this thing known as the Legacy Weapon, which essentially was a 5-color powerful magic beam that destroyed any permanent in the Magic universe. It also has a card reference to it, so when we have this giant laser beam on this character, we're like, oh, this fits perfectly. This was an actual artifact from Smite's one of Magic's older storylines, and it fit the skin super well.
And you love when there are that many, and I guess it makes sense with how huge and diverse Magic is. It makes sense that there are all of these opportunities, but that's one thing that, as somebody who has a very basic knowledge of the game, I've respected about watching this process unfold with some of who I would describe as hyper fans within our company, because I wouldn't be able to make that connection. I don't have the history or the knowledge. So being able to see that stuff come to life and hear you give the explanation for it,
you can't touch the keyboard. Your hands are too dirty.
People who are willing to take from such a rich and diverse lore and pull these things out and make the skins so much more than just a surface level thing, I guess.
Absolutely, we wanted every Magic player to be able to see all of this detail and that went into it, and a lot of that was part of the process. You know, trying to figure out which characters in Smite are going to match up with which characters in Magic.
Tell them
It was so hard. It really was so hard to pick because there were so many cool ones, but I'm really happy with the set we came up with. We tried to get a really good diversity of newer Magic characters, older Magic characters, all the different colors of mana, as well as artifacts, all the different Smite classes.
He is taller than Reezy.
Really trying to mix up so there's something for everyone. Yeah, I'm so excited to show all these off.
Let's keep moving then. Next in line, we have Liliana Vess Nuwa.
Oof. This one's near and dear to my heart because when I first started playing, I was a mono black player. And the first mythic that I was ever told to make was Liliana the Veil. And that card goes absolutely crazy. So I cannot wait to be playing as Lily in Smite here.
Nice.
And there's one thing that I have to point out. Go back and look at the Atlas art and continue to look as we move forward. But you'll see that if you watch the cinematic for Surtr at the Smite World Championship, and if you haven't, then you might see it again soon. But all of these characters are showing up during the Surtr's Ragnarok, so the end is coming. And you can see here, she's bringing Anubis. It looks like Thor and Bellona.
Right.
She's raising them up. And if you saw in Karn's, you'd see a statue of Atlas, funny enough, in the background. And so all of these card arts take place on the battleground that is undergoing the apocalypse, essentially.
Well, most of the characters we've chosen are planeswalkers, right? Which in Magic means they can walk between different planes of existence.
Yeah.
So we kind of invented some of our own, not officially MTG canon story.
It just works well.
That we're having this apocalyptic event. Surtr and the Season of Monsters, waging war against the gods, and imagined as if, what if the Magic characters actually planeswalked into the Smite universe, and how would they act, how would they behave? So some of them are more heroic, some of them a little bit not so much. Yeah. Liliana, she likes to play both sides.
Walk the line.
She's kind of an anti-hero, so you see her there resurrecting a bunch of gods, and you're going to see a lot of death magic in her abilities and her powers. We paired her with Nuwa because of the clay soldiers.
Yeah.
Nuwa really uses these minion pets that she can command and spend time on the battleground in a way that no other god in Smite does. And we wanted Liliana to be able to have that ability for very iconic, raise dead, zombify, or command the Dread Horde, if you want to get even more specific in some of her lore, that we really felt was extremely important to her portrayal in Smite.
Yeah, and I mean, she came packing with 5 black mana already, so 5 black lands locked and loaded, ready to play. So let's hear the voice line for this one.
Oh, a battleground. Perfect. Plenty of options for a necromancer.
Oh yeah,
the card art displayed that well. So again, like with the last one, so much work and effort and love went into this. We're gonna see it in game. Let's hop in and keep viewing these.
Oh, she's so pretty.
She is.
I can't get over it. She's so pretty.
Again, with the purples, I'm a sucker for anybody with purple in their character design. So
well, Liliana, an absolutely iconic design from the Magic the Gathering team, really wanted to make sure we got her into this event. She's the representative of the black mana characters, planeswalkers. Black mana uses a lot of death magic and discard spells. There's also a lot of purple used in the card arts of various magic. So really, I don't have them all on hand. I should have double checked my notes even deeper. But we had at least one specific card reference for every single magic character's every single ability.
That's so crazy.
So there's a very common concept of magic, like Death Clouds, Death Fog, that kind of fits to her one. There's her clay soldiers, which are reskinned as the Eternals from the War of the Spark, and Liliana's absolutely epic moment in battling Nicol Bolas.
Minions.
So we have her summoning Eternals as her zombies of choice for her sort of raise dead themed clay soldiers in Smite.
Yeah. Again, it's just watching the inspiration for these skins come to life. Oh wow, that's awesome! The big ring of purple.
Yes, that's a reference to the card Damnation, which is a board wipe.
Card. Love that card.
Yes.
It makes sense to use a board wipe for a global ult.
Other cards that inspired Liliana was Liliana's Caress, where you can see her using this purple magic to kind of put the hurtin' on someone, to use a technical term.
Yeah.
Also a card, Killing Wave, and other sort of mono black board wipes. Like this, a very common term in Magic, which means something that destroys all creatures or damages all creatures.
Everything.
Nuwa's alt is so much like a sweeper or board wipe from Magic. So we thought that was so cool. Oh, we got the Neath bot jumping into the action. But yeah, this was just a really cool way to show off that type of effect, which is common to the black Magic.
That is so
Stay
awesome.
Out of my way.
Super excited to see that, but there's more to come with Magic the Gathering. And next on the list, we have Chandra Nalaar Pele.
All right.
Oh, this
that's
card art
so
is
cool.
sick. It's got little Surtr minions.
The fire imps.
Yeah.
Which, depending on which way you know them from. Soon to be what Lermy said. But
spoilers.
Yeah. Chandra also extremely iconic.
Oh yeah.
The Gatewatch team was certainly a big focus for us because they've just been a big part of Magic. And a funny thing too, a lot of these skins and this whole process started design well before even the release of sets like Dominaria United. So we didn't know at the time Liliana was coming back or Karn was coming back. We picked a bunch of characters we just knew were really iconic.
Yeah, they were
like,
great fits.
People are going to know these. Magic players are going to know these. Smite players are going to like these characters. And it's just been awesome how the recent Magic releases have lined up really well with our selection so far. Chandra getting a card just before we started this whole discussion in the Innistrad Crimson Vow set. And so we focused on her as one of our initial picks, and we have a lot of fire characters in Smite.
True.
So we were like, what would fit Chandra best? And Pele just was a very natural fit because there's a lot of energy, a lot of movement. That's the way Chandra fights.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, very recognizable, like you said, because even as somebody, again, who has played Magic but isn't as versed in it, Chandra and...
What? I subbed! I'm subbed!
Space. And, I mean, yeah, here's Chandra right here, looking
I
good.
subbed today, so we didn't get ads.
Important thing to note about this is she is in her idle stance.
Yeah.
So that means her hair is not on fire. But when she uses her abilities and while she's firing her abilities and while she's in her buffed ultimate state from Pele, she will have her hair ignited. So you'll be able to see both that. Both.
Oh, there it is.
Yes.
We got the turnaround for it too.
Yes,
Oh my
and the
gosh.
flame on mode.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That's
That looks
sick.
so good, too. And it's such a cool transition because, yeah, it really nice and calm. The hair looks good. And then, yeah, that snap into fire. So let's go ahead and hear the voice line for this one.
These skins all are super basic.
Hope they're ready for it to get a bit hot in here.
I love that. Short, sweet, and to the
How
point.
about missing
Yeah,
something?
she's a little more of the casual of the planeswalkers, right? But it's really great for a variety of the characters, which, you know, Magic is pro at.
Oh, yeah. Variety
So there's a lot of
all over.
unique differences, even though these characters are teamed up, you know,
hear
in
me
many
out.
ways.
Hear
Her
me
and
out.
Liliana, and their tones are very different.
The next crossover
Awesome. Well,
is all the top streamers.
I think that we should hop in game and see this one, too. You know, I want to see the hair catch on fire. I want to see the transition.
and it sells better than all these.
Oh, that's so
Ooh,
cool.
And we're going straight into it.
Yes.
That's so awesome.
Dang, that looks nice.
Yeah, that, like, aura effect.
So that's her Pele's speed boost.
Yeah.
Oh, and then when it boosts up.
This was inspired by and this and her ability too were kind of inspired by Magic cards like Pyroclasm, Whip Flare, these idea that's red spells that deal a lot of damage to all the small creatures around her. Ability 1, I believe, is a Phoenix. You can see that kind of bird shape. So
Flapping
there's a
on
card
the way
called
up.
Chandra's
Those
Phoenix.
are cool.
Hold this for me.
There's all that was worked into it. There's your Pyroclasm type effect, which worked super well for Pele's Magma ability.
Yeah. I at one point had like 5 or 7 Pyroclasms. I don't know how I ended up with so many. I did drafts and it just kept showing up.
It's a good card.
It is a good card.
And so the ultimate also has some red lightning worked into the initial hit, which you can see in cards like Lightning Bolt, one of Lermy and I's absolute favorite cards in the
Oh,
game.
yeah.
Classic.
A
Or
powerful
Chain
card.
Lightning. And then also you see a unique anim set specifically for Chandra Pele because Pele has weapons, so we had to change that, right? So we got rid of the weapons. We instead have like close range fire attacks that are
Yeah.
more magically casted. And so she's got her share of ranged and melee type projectile attacks and AoE, which is just a really cool way to show all of the different types of red spells you can cast in Magic.
Yeah, and just a great homage to the nature of fire in this character. You know, it plays with all the elements of it, and I just can't. Every time you're using abilities, I'm watching the hair change and the stance change. You have that combat mode and the passive not on fire mode, and it is just so cool to see that transition back and forth.
And that ultimate,
So pretty.
it does look good. The ultimate makes a lot of sense with cards like Chandra Ablaze or Chandra Awakened Inferno. She's known for this like ascension to being on fire and having this really powered up state, which makes a lot of sense with Pele's ultimate and her passive.
Yep. Super, super excited, but there are still 2 more. The excitement will never stop.
Oh, keep them coming.
And next up, at least for this one, obviously we'll have 5 more in the future. I'm getting ahead of myself. Next up, we have Atraxa Thanatos.
So this is the important one to mention. It's the only one that's not a planeswalker.
Asterisk.
Although the Phyrexians are able to go from plane to plane via their portal technology, which they tend to use in other sets. But
Yeah.
Isn't there like a Hades
we
skin
wanted
kinda
to
like this already?
highlight the Phyrexians. I could not imagine
They're
this
so
battle pass
cool
without
looking.
a single Phyrexian, especially now that we see Magic's release plan having a huge Phyrexia-focused multitude of sets.
Can't wait.
Which is really awesome. Atraxa being also one of the most played cards of the Magic Commander format, which is also why we were excited to pick her. You know, there was a couple Phyrexian creatures we were torn
What are we
between.
talking
There's
about?
the Praetors, which are very iconic and popular too.
Yeah.
But then there was also Atraxa.
This is
Atraxa being
basically
the most
rocket science
played
to
in
me.
Commander, one of the most played commanders of all time,
Of all that.
according to multiple websites worth of data. So we wanted to have a shout out to the Commander community as well as getting a Phyrexian and she fit Thanatos so well because Thanatos is essentially an angel of death.
Yeah.
And Atraxa is one of Magic's archetypal angels, which if you're familiar with Magic, you might know that angels is a big facet of Magic history and gameplay, but corrupted by a Phyrexian, or completed, as they say.
Yeah.
So not corrupted, but made better, depending on what perspective you have.
Yeah, who you ask.
Essentially turned into this eternal, powerful being that is part metal, part organic, and just overall extremely cool, and
titties?
shows up
What to
across
say.
Or are those another set of
various
arms?
Magic storylines in many places.
Super cool. The two tails, the design, there is such a strong presence with this skin. And as you have to remember, that's a Thanatos skin. So that's like an incredible change of pace for the character. It embodies
Arm
that
titties?
character's natural design, but brings a whole new look to it that if you're just admiring the character at the surface level, you might not notice, So let's go ahead and hear the voice line for this one.
I am the voice of the Praetors. I am Atraxa.
Nailed the introduction as well. All right.
Working on her voice was really fun too, because we just knew that it was going to have this villainous, corrupted angel feel that it just fits, the art so well.
Yeah. So again, Magic the Gathering is it's been such an honor to work with this. We can't not see it in game. So
we've got it.
We're going in
Yes.
game for all of them.
Let's go in game.
Oh, with the bow.
Nice timing.
That's
so
epic.
good.
Wow, this is absolute peak. Like, I will be using this Thanatos skin probably forever because it's just that cool.
Yeah.
Atraxa's like, I guess head, crown, I don't know what you'd call that, but it has such a presence. Like the bow as the head came back up, that just watching that whole
Oh, there it is again.
Yeah, it turns the head up and you see all of that and all the ornament. It's just incredible to look at.
Well, a props to the Magic team for the initial design and all of the artists who have done Atraxa cards in the past that are just gorgeous. And props to our team for reinterpreting these characters into 3D and working through the models, as well as our illustration team who got to illustrate Magic characters at a very similar, type of illustration quality that Magic cards themselves are printed in. So it was really fun because we even call our Smite illustrations our cards, right?
Yeah.
Card art. So it was just really fun to work through that with the illustration team. Amazingly talented group on the Smite team, some of which we've also done some contract opportunities for Magic cards as well. Shout out to John, who recently had a Magic card release. As you can see, she uses her iconic staff, which has a strong reference to the Phyrexia symbol, which is kind of a circle with a vertical line through it. And you can see a lot of visual effects that are references to the Phyrexian glistening oil, which is kind of this
crazy.
magical sludge
Ooh, very sludgy.
Very
that
sludgy.
is used to fuel their
Completion awaits.
evil artifacts. And then you also see some good hints of green in there, and that kind of calls out a lot of the Phyrexian effects, like the infect effect, which is very powerful in Magic.
Yeah.
An alternative way to kill your opponent, which is pretty rare.
I am the hand
To that one.
Oh yeah, you lose the infect
When we play,
when you play Cube.
when we play Cube.
High Res Skilly has a amazing vintage cube.
That's incredible.
That
yeah,
is
it's cool.
extremely expensive collection too, by the way. He is, and we are very grateful when he lets us play with it.
completion awaits.
That's where a lot of this experience, a lot of our more recent gameplay experience comes from.
Yeah, it's crazy that Magic is not only a game in a universe and a history and lore, but it's also it's a collection piece. Like, there are collector pieces riddled throughout the Magic universe. Like, you could not play the game at all and have an art like a shadow box filled with all of these incredible cards you've collected exclusively because you could stare at them for hours and get lost.
I've
They're
met many
just that
people who
beautiful.
just collected the cards and never really played the game that much. You
Yeah.
know, but me myself, I've always been a real power gamer in Magic, so I had to do a lot of I had to go do a little bit more research on some of the lore, and I mean, hopefully, none of my summarizations today are too off because Magic does have extremely deep lore, and I had to do some catching up on that. But
You can see that symbol you were talking about, I think, in the middle
that's
of
the Phyrexian symbol.
Phyrexian symbol.
Cards that were also inspired with Atraxa is Yawgmoth's Vile Offering, Phyrexian Crusader, Phyrexian Tower, Phyrexian Obliterator.
They cannot.
My personal favorite, Phyrexian Dreadnought. not one that really worked out with this skin, but just wanted to throw that shout out there because it's one of my favorite cards.
Shout
of all
out to a
time.
favorite card.
It's one of my favorite cards, and it's extremely fun. But just to show how iconic this villainous group of characters in Magic are, I just don't think that the event would be complete without them.
I mean, I agree entirely. It's such an iconic.
So, she is our creature. An important thing to note is that we have actual Magic card frames in the game to make the cards look like Magic cards in the loading screens and in the event UI. So you'll notice that Atraxa will have a creature frame instead of the rest of them having a planeswalker frame. You'll also see some
I've missed nothing.
excerpts
I
of
fixed
the
my
lore
furnace.
that we
I
kind of
legit fixed my
designed
furnace
for our version of the
before
Magic
they
characters
showed
in
off one
Smite,
skin.
written on those, akin to the Magic flavor text, which is a really fun thing on most Magic cards. I mean, it's absolutely amazingly designed game Magic, the way that they make it a competitive gameplay set that has pro applications, it has casual ways to play, and that each set tells a complete story through the art and flavor text of the cards.
Yeah,
it's amazing how it all comes together. So we did a version of that for Smite as well through the event UI and through the card art.
They do
which you'll
this
be able
with
to see
every
out on
crossover,
PCS,
guys.
and,
Every crossover, they
I'm
do
sure
this.
we'll get shared out on socials and things
They
like that.
overhype
as well
it
as
to sell it
flavor
because
text
they
on
need
it.
the money.
Yeah,
they need this to do
the
well.
Smite side episode of the Magic universe, our fun little fan episode, is just
It's like when I have a
incredibly
sponsor
cool,
for a week and I hype them up over
it's
and over
been an
again.
honor to
Same
work
shit.
on for sure. And we're not done yet.
We
There's
got one more.
One more skin that we can talk about today. Hang on, you'll see more in
Bro,
the
I
future.
saw all your
But for
rubles.
today, we have one more, and that's Jace Bellerin Yu Huang.
Oh man.
Yes. So we really wanted Jace, and his blue magic, and this kind of, it's generally involves psychic powers, right?
Yeah.
Telepathy and manipulation, cloning, illusion. That was a little bit difficult to find a character in Smite that really felt like Magic's blue.
Yeah.
We have a couple characters who dabble with a little bit of that,
Yeah, who
maybe
walk
like
the line a
the
little bit,
Morrigan, stuff like that. But this recent addition to the game, Yu Huang, and his Taoist, very very meditative, right?
Yeah.
Very mental. Really, just once we started working with it, we were like, oh, this is actually going to fit
Yeah, this is
really
coming together.
well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Jace is very stoic, just like Yu Huang, so he's very reserved. So overall, came out like a great pairing, because as you can see in his background art, you get the Chinese references in the architecture in the distance to call attention to that it's a Yu Huang skin. And also, of course, he's still doing his part in the battle against Surtr and Ragnarok, blocking, counterspelling this meteor that was thrown at him. And there he is.
Absolutely love the design. So regal looking, and just the detail work that goes into, because, with armor, you get a lot of hard shapes and lines, but even when it comes down to cloth like this, I mean, there's armor inlaid in there, but even, like the overlayered cloth, the leather belts, the straps, it's crazy how much detail goes into these. And obviously, big shout out to Magic for the original design and for creating this. And it's so cool having seen cards, native to Magic, to see this transferred into a 3D element and still just look so incredible.
Yeah, as a recent convert to
since
the
we're watching
blue
this and nothing's
realm
happening,
of things,
go like
I
this
have,
tweet for me.
I'm so excited
blow
to
that
play
tweet up.
one of my favorite planeswalkers on one of my favorite gods in the game.
And I have to say, the Magic team was an amazing partner throughout the whole process. They gave us great feedback, great guidance. They also were very respectful and understanding of, Smite still needs to be Smite, and it needs to work in the gameplay space. So they were flexible on certain things, like sometimes Jace has a cloak that kind of wraps all the way around his shoulders.
Yeah.
But in 3D animation, you get a lot of stretching and stuff like that, and other
clipping, and it
rigging
just
and
looks-
clipping issues and stuff like that. So we did redesign his
You have to
cloak a
wait
little
till
bit.
the 24th,
but,
that'd be crazy.
It looks
Instead, if you
awesome.
didn't do it already, I think
And
you can't do
the
it or some shit, or
Planeswalker's
maybe I'm
clothes
trolling.
can change sometimes when
Maybe-
they're visiting
maybe it's
different
on their
planes and stuff like that.
Twitter, I don't know.
Excellent Jace is very different than Ravnica Jace.
We're still not at
There's a lot of room for exploration there, and he looks amazing. And I also love that he kind of levitates a little bit, because blue is very well known for flying in Magic.
Yeah.
So just all around fit really well.
Bro, you
Shout out
just
to
popped
Fog
off on
Wall,
that tweet.
I love my walls. So
love you guys.
let's hear the voice line for this.
Let me guess. You're thinking you need a game plan.
Nah, Rogue, but I'll deal with that off of Twitter. I'm
He
not.
already knows what you think.
I don't think it's their fault.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's 3 thoughts ahead. Not
Yes.
steps ahead, 3 thoughts ahead.
Definitely.
So, I mean, we've done it for all the others. You know we're doing it for this one. Let's hop in game and check out Jace.
Oh, he looks
Yes.
great. Wow.
And like you said, so meditative. Like you can already tell just by the stance and the way the motions are
Really
so
fucked up.
flowing and elegant.
Right. And, Magic known for wizards and warlocks, sorcerers, that type of, archetype. Wizards, I'd say, is probably the one that you see a lot of cards with that type on now.
Yeah.
Jace is like, he really embodies that archetype visually, which is really cool for the event as well as for seeing Smite. So we've got him spawning clones of himself
Yeah,
for
that's
that
so
attack,
cool.
which, that's an extremely common thing for Jace to do, is to make clones. You can see that across a couple different cards like Spark Double and some of Jace's most recent Planeswalker cards. We have, throughout his abilities, we have some of the glyphs and runes, which you'll see in a lot of his cards, such as Jace the Mind Sculptor, Jace's Archivist.
Yeah.
His magic has this type of almost like lettering.
The
to
image,
it.
the visuals on the
So
abilities
we
are
have
good
that
on these. They aren't insane,
worked
but they're
throughout
good.
the kit.
Ooh, and then Yukon has some dragons, right? Whoa.
That is true. So Jace has a sidekick character here. So, the concept of making illusory creatures is also a very common thing in Magic. There's illusory bear, or phantasmal bear, phantasmal dragon.
Yeah.
They're effectively illusion, blue versions of other
the new
creatures.
god.
They're
the new
effectively
god.
powerful in
Over
their
this.
aggression, but they are easily dispelled. So for Jace's dragons, he summons these illusory eels, which are based off of the card Jace's Mind Smite. So there's actually a specific card where Jace has this creature pictured on him with it.
That's so cool.
That's all I hear,
Another
bro.
direct reference.
It's a little
good,
bit of a
Reggie.
deep track card.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It's from an earlier core set. It didn't see much competitive play, but the fact that it was a specific reference to a specific card, and the combination of just kind of the idea of illusory phantasmal creatures being a key part of blue, as well as another key part of blue being like his root, a lockdown. Blue is often known for tapping creatures down.
Yeah.
Tapping means they can't attack or block or use activated abilities. It makes a lot of sense, like, to use the root, like that, right? So we saw a lot of close connections between Yu Huang and Jace. We've got levitation, we've got phantasmal dragons or eels.
Bro, we've seen every ability 9
kind
times.
of
We're good.
reinterpreting the idea of tapping down something through blue magic as a root,
Yeah.
and we have summoning clones. Like, it really all came together so well.
And just that seems to be the prevailing theme through all of these, is every time an idea was locked in and at its base level, the amount of research that went into making sure that there were references to everything that you got a chance to look at it's incredible. And like you said earlier, our team was energetic and excited about this. I had just from the conversational stages of this plan, I knew it would be that way. But then, Magic coming in and being such an incredible partner and working with us to really make this be, as good as it could possibly be, made the process not only more enjoyable, but I think all the better in the end, because it was 2 people with an obvious passion for a material coming together to make an incredible crossover event. And this is only the first half of it. Y'all will be getting more.
I know.
in the
I'm so
future.
excited to show you all the other 5. Also, some other quick shout outs. There are some really cool cosmetic bundles you'll be able to get, which
Yeah,
I
there
don't
are.
believe we're going to be showing all today, but they're going to feature a lot of really iconic things from Magic, such as mana symbols, Black Lotus, the Mox cards on a loading frame, some really cool stuff. I don't want to spoil all of them because some of them from the second release, but there's a lot of those are specific references to
there's no more
Magic
skins,
cards and
right?
Magic game actions and things like that.
Yeah.
The event screen, like we said, has all designed like a Magic tabletop space. Has really good ways where you can view the cards. You get to see the those illustrations you saw today. You'll see actually on a Magic card template with the frame and flavor text.
So cool.
Yeah, it is like really cool. And just huge shout outs to Aggro, who unfortunately is a little under the weather, couldn't be here today.
True.
But he was a huge help. He's also a really big Magic player. He's a relatively recent convert as well.
Yeah, but
we
very
got him into the
knowledgeable.
Magic a few years back, but he is super into it. He's also really good at it. He's already day 2 at SCG, which I've never done. So he helped a lot. He did a lot of the voice pack writing,
Yeah.
and he was also a big part of the playtesting and feedback session. And just there's so many artists. I wish I could name them all, but so many people across the whole card art illustration team, especially John Neumeister, Shane and Chris on particle effects, the audio team did so much work. The modeling team to make these characters just
come to life,
just be the coolest new thing in Smite, and I think a really amazing representation of Magic characters, and ones you usually don't ever see a full 3D animated like this. So
yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah, another huge thing to look forward to, and I am so excited to see this. But we've come a long way in the show. There's a lot we've talked about, and it's been, if you've been along for the whole ride, thank you. It's been we're just loving being able to share all of this.
Dude,
but there is one more thing we have yet to talk about, and that is the brand new God coming with the launch of Year 10. And why don't you check out the cinematic to see a little bit more about that. See you in a sec.
Have you prepared for judgment, monster? Unworthy.
Cinematic is sick. Cinematic is fucking awesome.
Is death. Each day, each millennia. Eons pass, and yet I cannot. When will it end? How much more am I doomed to suffer? No more. No more.
Clumsy, I will not be mean. Don't worry. Only positivity around here.
Are you prepared for judgment, monster? I just want this to end.
This is Clumsy's God. Clumsy's made some sick ass shit. So. I have high hopes. This is Clumsy's last God, boys and girls. He's moving on up. He's gonna be the boss of everybody now. So now if any God is bad, it's his fault, not just his. I'm telling you, this is like Thanos shit. God in a card.
Life is death. But this is not where I fall.
Dude, he's
This
fucking
is where
badass.
Monsters rise.
I read the little like breakdown of the God they posted yesterday, and it sounds like Soul Lane, like spamming is gonna be his thing. So fighting and messing with people all the time.
Video. I always love these God cinematics because they're always full of action and that juicy lore.
Your mic close to your mouth, Dandy,
So,
please.
yeah, excited to get into Surtr, our brand new God, to kick off Year 10. Familiar to a lot of y'all in the battleground, but we'll get into that in a minute. I am joined now by two more guests, a familiar face and a familiar face. We have Titan Clumsy and Titan Lermy.
Hello again.
I tried to combine your names. I almost said Clermy.
Oh no!
My brain is rotting. There's so many things that have happened that like it's a deflated tire.
Yeah, we've been here for
How is Clumsy in here?
Years. I had a birthday. I had a birthday during one.
But
of those
also in
things.
there.
So, but no, let's get into Surtr.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess just at the very
sir?
top of it all, why Surtr? You know, why pull him out of that fire giant pit and throw him onto the God selection screen?
I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head right there, right? It is year 10 of Smite. We wanted to do something exciting, something that hits like the nostalgic core, something that Smite players themselves would really enjoy, something that players that don't really know that much about Smite can still see as like an iconic figure. And who else but our own fire giant? In fact, who is Surtr? He is the fire giant.
Yeah.
So he's being elevated from just an NPC boss that's been, as you saw in the cinematic and stuff, he's just been hit over and over the head again and again.
Oh, yeah.
And now he's going to be joining the battlefield himself to just, wreak havoc.
Yeah. Well, that's incredibly exciting. I know that we have the card art to look at here as we continue talking, so let's check that out as we get into it.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
gosh.
I mean, a little bit about
This dude's
Surtr,
about to be
he's the fire
beefy.
giant. He's the lord of the fiery realm of Muspelheim.
Yeah.
And what does he do? His purpose is honestly quite singular. His lore is very straightforward. He brings about the end of the universe in the Battle of Ragnarok. So this is him setting the Yggdrasil tree alight and aflame, which ends the universe, ends the world, because that is Yggdrasil does its purpose. That is what it's there for.
Yeah.
But unbeknownst to him, and as the Phoenix usually goes, once things are kind of in flames, new things are risen again. So while he ends the universe, it is reborn. But Surtr's purpose has been fulfilled. He destroys everything.
And I mean, obviously incredible to look at, but as we look at this and we get to see a turnaround here in just a second.
Look at
Okay.
I've seen y'all design
Big-ass
gods from the
legs.
ground up. I've seen y'all work through the process of bringing something from out of Smite into Smite. What was different about this? Because
a little
this is a
cape.
character that
Right.
had existed
There's
at
a little
least in some
cape, dude.
capacity on the battleground. So how was it different?
That's a great question, because he's existed in several
Is
different
he- is that a
ways,
little
whether
cape, or
it's
is he
in,
just that big?
The Conquest map in a few different iterations, whether he was even
That's
in
the
the
real
adventure at
question.
one point as one of the bosses there.
Yeah.
We really wanted to make sure that we brought the depictions that we have shown as Surtr. We brought the lore accuracy as well of his charred flesh, which is a massive component to him. His bright and flaming sword. We wanted to make sure that he evokes those Norse feelings that you'd expect,
horns are
especially
fucking
from his
gigantic.
fiery realm of Muspelheim. You can see the fire exuding from his horns, from his sword, from his flesh itself.
Yeah.
We wanted to make sure that when you look at him, you saw kind of like the evolved version of the NPC that you kind of have been fighting over and over again, right? He doesn't, even though he may be smaller in stature, although he is still quite big, he doesn't look any less impressive. Those were the high-level goals we really wanted to hit, and I think the artistic teams have done
extension
such a
is an
fantastic job.
auto-accepting
The concept art
thing.
killed it. The 3D modeling
For,
really brought it
for
into
points
life.
or
You can see
whatever
a lot of the
for
materials on his
claiming shit.
chest and torso
Claiming stream
area.
loot.
His beard looks sick. He's got kind of like the Emperor
Just say his
Lord motif
belt
with a little
loop
bit of
is
a
a
broken
cock-
crown
okay,
going on
dude.
there.
Yeah.
We really wanted to make sure that he stood out apart from the other gods.
Yeah, speaking of standing out, he is rather tall compared to
He
a
is
lot of
rather
them,
tall.
right?
I mean, giant is literally in the name.
Yeah,
so.
he is a Jotun, right? Absolutely. So that's a little bit of his lore as well. He is a giant.
Yeah. So let's let's hear a voice on real quick. I just want to hear what.
Please
this
no
sounds
echo.
like.
Clumsy, please.
The horn resounds as the battle for the end of the cosmos begins.
Good job, boys. Good job. Good job.
Like you
That's
said,
a
to
W.
tie into that
That's
lore
our first
there,
W.
It's Ragnarok. It's the end of days.
It's the
and
end of days.
He's bringing
First
it.
W, let's
So,
get it.
I mean, this is a new god reveal. You know what's happening next. It's time to hop in game and check out
Oh,
Surtr
yeah.
live and in action,
Let's
and
do
on
it.
a cool new map. The cinematic reveal.
Nice.
Bro, wait, he's
man.
running the
I
camera,
stretched.
right? Like he just did that.
I mean, he's gotta be
With the
fit
kid.
to go
It's
after
funny as
sitting
fuck.
still for so long.
I was going to say, you have to be limber to bring on the end of the world. So this is
Yeah.
huge.
Big
So
as
we're gonna. It
fuck.
looks like we're just going right into it, checking out his abilities like we usually like to do.
What
Yeah.
the? F-
Oh, it's time. Here we go.
Oh, that's so crazy.
Nice.
What the fuck? What? He can throw the minion.
Oh my gosh. So, like always, so many things
What
going
the
on
fuck?
here. I just, especially the meteor.
Bro,
that's-
what in
that's-
the
that-
world
that's
is
a- that's
going
a lot
on?
to take in. So we'll see that one more time, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah. So we'll break things up now. So
Yeah.
we saw the entire kit as it is. Let's
Look at
break
the image
things
they used for his
piecemeal.
All right,
image.
and yeah, I guess we'll start with the passive. So his passive's called Obsidian Flesh, and what's going on with the passive then?
Right. So Surtr's flesh is made of obsidian, and basically when he loses enough health, okay. Well, I guess things to notice is that he is a warrior, right? He's a physical based.
Oh yeah,
warrior.
he can pick that shit up, right?
Melee basic attacks, although with a little bit increased range. But when he does take
He's
enough
hot.
damage by that passive, you can see a
Let's
little
give me a
bit
heal
of
over time.
obsidian fragment kind of splits off of him.
Yeah.
And Surtr
Yeah, his
himself
card
can
art's
pick
funny.
that back up to regenerate some of the health that was lost over time,
Bro,
as
what
well
the
as a protection
fuck? They
spell.
stack.
Thing to note as well is that enemies can actually step over those fragments to destroy them. So if
Okay.
you're versing a
Oh.
Surtr, just make sure when you
Oh,
see,
enemies
when
can
you're
kill him. All right,
when you're
that's not OP.
Hitting them and you see them
Actually.
get low, you want to tread over those.
It's like,
fragments.
why does this keep
It's a
popping up?
dancing lane,
It's
you
a
might
dancing
say.
lane, which is pretty cool.
Make
It's
sure to
also his
stomp
main
out.
form of self-sustain and regeneration. So you really want to deny him those if you can, and he really wants to pick those up. It's his own little mini game.
Yeah, and again, always an opportunity for conflict too, because you can try to predict. Oh, they see that, their instinct is to stomp it out. I'm gonna take over and attack that.
His attack speed is low as fuck.
He needs this sustain. He's gonna go for that. I have to take advantage of that.
He has no in
And
hand
going back a step as well, because we talked about the melee
damage.
basic attacks. If Surtr, you can see Surtr has actually a 4-hit chain.
Yeah.
Look,
And if you look
it's
right there,
zero.
the first hit is a standard, second and third hits are cleaves, and the fourth hit is a heavy hit. The second hit's also kind of a weak.
Oh, that's his in it. Oh, it's his power. Okay, I'm looking at it wrong. Good save,
So
good save, good save.
standard, cleave, large, slow hit.
Awesome.
But yeah, let's move from the passive and the basic attacks to the first ability, Flames of Muspel.
Let's do it.
So Flames of Muspel is singular in purpose, and what it does is it is a basic attack stim. We've seen a few of those before, but it has a couple of unique effects. In fact, it has quite a few interesting
Oh
things.
no, bro!
We
This
can't just do
with
things simply, right?
animosity
So,
at
Surtr
Warriors,
sets his
animosity.
sword ablaze, and when he next hits an enemy god, it deals bonus magical damage.
Oh, it's magical.
He's
Ooh.
a warrior.
He is a physical warrior. We talked about that before, but
How
yes, this is there's a little bit of a transcendence here. He is going to be
That's
dealing
gonna be
bonus
weird.
magical damage. There is a physical burn that's active as well, because if you have a fiery sword that's hitting you, it's going to set you aflame a little bit. So let's go back to that in a second.
Okay.
So he deals physical burn damage as well as a bonus magical damage proc. Also, you can see he's the Lord of Muspelheim. He's got to bring his fiery horde with him. That's what he does to break the Bifrost Spirit. So this
Awesome
ability
minion.
actually spawns a fiery imp that will attack enemies for a short.
There's no
period of
health
time.
bar though,
That's
right?
a throwback in itself.
So you
too.
can't
Exactly.
We've seen Surtr in
Fire
in
imps are back.
previous eras
Bro, they
of
were
Smite.
terrible.
Have some connection to those little fellas.
Yep, we wanted to
Look
kind
as
of bring
annoying
that
as
idea
ever,
back
too.
again. So one of the goals for our version of
Wait, does it have an
Surtr
HP bar? Where?
as
Am I
a
blind?
playable character was to make sure that we harken back a little bit to what he is like as an NPC.
there
But
it
we
is.
didn't want to
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
directly draw all inspiration from them.
Yeah.
That's not
What's
very
that timer,
exciting.
like 5
This
seconds?
is his next stage in Smite. You want that inspiration, that history.
I wonder how much health it
foundation,
has.
But this is a new phase for the fire. Giant.
Exactly. So
Sure.
one final thing that this ability does, other than the fact that it's unique and does bonus magical damage, is it actually is a stacking mechanism. So if you kill when the debuff is on an enemy, that flame debuff, that damage, if that enemy dies while that flame damage is on them via yourself or from any other sources to make it a little bit easier to stack, you actually gain that bonus magical damage proc increases in damage every single time. So you can keep stacking that up to 200 times, I think is the last number we went with. It is an obscenely large amount, and you have obscenely small
never happen,
fragments
though, right?
of damage you're
How
going to
would
be
that happen?
increasing over time. So this is a long game. You can continue to empower your bonus magical damage proc because it doesn't scale.
There's no
you
way
can't
you're-
buy magical items or anything like that. So the more you utilize
I guess.
Flames of Muspel
That's pretty dope.
to kill lane
That's a
minions,
lot.
kill jungle minions, kill enemy gods, you can empower further uses.
Oh, I
of
guess if
Flames
it's off of
Muspel.
minions
Like
too.
you said,
Okay,
this
okay.
works on
Yeah, you'll get that pretty high then.
So get those last hits, get that extra gold, and most importantly, get those stacks, because you want to be hitting hard with that magic.
True. It's
That's
fuel
gonna
for
be
the
pretty
fire.
fucking sick.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Let's move on to the second ability then. Giant's Grasp.
So Surtr is the fire giant. What does he want to do? Well, he wants to pick things up and throw them around. So we want to do something a little bit unique here. So as you can see, he's kind of has a two-targeter mechanism. The first time he picks something up, if there is nothing around him, he will just grab a meteor from the earth itself and chuck it forward, stopping on the first enemy and stunning it. However, if there is a lane minion around, which we don't actually have spawned right now,
Oh, you can
he'll
throw
actually
lane
pick that up,
minions?
and it'll throw through all the different enemies and stopping on the first god hit. Now, if we
What?
spawn a fire imp from his one, you can actually pick that up as well as the third option, which works very, very similar to the lane
AoE
minions.
stun, tell me.
Except it stops the first enemy, stuns them, and does an AoE explosion.
Oh, it's just AoE
Now,
damage.
note that damage from the throw
That
and
clear will be
explosion will
good.
not damage the same target, but you can do that through a minion wave and still explode on that, and it'll deal bonus damage there. So, 3 things you can pick up: either nothing, which spawns a meteor,
Yeah,
a
crazy.
lane minion, an enemy lane minion specifically.
At least
and
if you
not jungle
miss a minion
minions.
for some reason, it
Not
still
that
gives you a
great in the
meteor that'll
jungle,
stun.
but you can give him a try. And then finally his fiery imps from the AO1, and well, maybe from somewhere else too.
Ooh, all right, super cool. Always love being able to just yeet things. So Emberwalk comes up next for ability number 3.
Yeah, so Emberwalk is kind of that like movement speed utility. Surtr expands a fiery ring around him of embers that provides him movement speed. If he hits enemies with it, it also deals damage and slows them, and it expands and contracts. So the expansion and the persistence of the ring deals damage once, the contraction does damage a second time. While that ring is active, if the enemies are within the actual like outer ring component itself, they will take ticking damage as well. But if they're inside the ring, inside kind of that donut shape, they won't take any damage from that persistent tick. They'll still take the expansion and contraction damage, but they're actually not going to be taking the persistent damage. That way, Surtr can kind of keep them in like that sweet spot, which his basic attacks will also be able to reach him because he's got that extra range.
Yeah.
But you kind of want to make sure that like, hey, you're kind of keeping people near you, or you're trying to like, chase them down with that movement speed buff.
Usually it's always if they're closer, it does more damage.
Yeah, great kiting mechanism. You want to keep them in the zone as you're, running after them, or they're chasing after you.
Also, the more enemies you hit with this, the more movement speed Surtr gets up to a small cap too, and that's enemies, not just enemies.
Everything's simple so far, but like
in team fights or
also unique with the throwing and everything. Like there's nothing that's hard to understand. I feel like,
which is if there is a passive fragment out, Ember Walk will actually automatically pick that up.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay, that's sick.
So that's there. You can see that picking up.
Oh, nice.
So that way, if he's got that active, he's in a team fight, he's getting smacked a lot, it'll automatically kind of just pick up.
Super handy. All right, so we've made it to the piece du resistant.
Yeah, there's one thing that we haven't seen yet that I'm kind of looking forward to here.
Oh yeah, we got an ult. End of days.
End of
Very
days.
apt.
We talked about it at the
bringer
beginning.
of Ragnarok. Like I want to see this. He turned into a meteor. I
That's
saw it.
That's what happens.
all I'm thinking right now is I could jungle in this very easily.
Rooted CC immune abilities. Surtr surges into the air, infusing into a large meteor. While he's in the air, Surtr is actually immune to all damage and can choose where he comes crashing down. Kind of similar to like what we've seen with like Falls 3. So you can actually kind of move as you're falling. Now, before you actually fall to the ground, several mini meteorites split off, dealing damage, kind of actually focusing enemy gods too. So if there's enemy gods nearby, it will home in on them. The enemies can try and move out of the way too. Or it'll choose randomized locations if there's no enemy gods and no enemy minions. You can see there was one meteorite.
Somebody said not to, but this looks like I can jungle it.
And these meteorites do a little bit of damage and spawn those fiery imps that we also saw on Flames of Muspel. Now yourself, Surtr, you're the large meteor. If you come crashing down and hit an enemy, you'll actually do extra damage and knock them out. So it's got a little bit of a CC component as well.
That is, that is an incredible ability to look at. Like, I feel like every god that comes out has one thing about them.
That ult is actually nuts. Like in the middle of a team fight, bro. Oh my gosh.
To come out for this, to see what that changes, and for me, that's what it. I mean, the imps will be cool to see if they have a different look whenever skins come out in the future. But like, I want to see what a skin meteor looks like, because that is just such an incredible, unique ultimate ability that. I'm just excited to see this not only in play, but to also see what kind of beautiful ideas our amazing teams come up with to make that really shine, or shine even further in the future.
Yeah, there you go. So that is Surtr, the Fire Giant, the first god of Year 10 Season of Monsters. I'm super excited to see players play him.
I really like the minion throw,
I guess,
dude.
To wrap this up, I just have to ask
how long can you carry a minion
around?
around?
He had this awesome kit.
Could I scoop a minion and like run into mid lane and stun somebody?
But like, where has he seen the success, and what are y'all looking forward to seeing in gameplay from this character in the game when he comes out?
So like you said, being a warrior in Conquest, you're going to expect him to see in the solo lane. And because
3 seconds,
he's pretty interesting where his 2 can be body blocked a little bit. His 3 is probably not the ability you want to level up to max at least, but you do want to start with it because it's kind of your only cleaving ability. You also really want to, like Glimmer said earlier, focus on gaining those stacks of Flames of Muspel because it's something that's
your
really
one is probably going to be your big damage dealer.
Certain players are like good versus amazing.
And that's why solo would probably be better for this.
You're also not being selfish around it. Like if you're just doing this in lane nonstop and you're not joining team fights, you're not really helping out the rest of your team.
Yeah.
I wouldn't focus on maxing it because that's not the goal. If you get to 200 stacks, congrats. There's no achievement for that because that's just a little bit too much.
Yeah.
So he's a little bit of a lane bully once he gets enough levels online, once he deals that magical damage, because that's also pretty important. He is a physical character, so you'd expect to itemize physical defense into him. But that magical damage proc from Flames of Muspel means he's kind of bypassing that. He's like cheekily getting a little bit of extra damage from it too.
It does affect you pretty well. And then once he goes to late game, he's pretty good at being a backline bully. He's not much of a peeler, as you might say. He's not a tourist, that's for sure. He's more of a, I'm gonna look at your squishies and either I'm dying or they're
He
dying.
does have good auto attack range.
That's incredible. And I'm
It
looking
seems
forward
like.
to seeing, especially with, like always, what the community does, and when the pros get their hands on this, what they'll do with that as well. Because I'm a very casual player, unlike some of my cohorts here, and I'm always excited to see what people who really have. Like when Smite is their craft, what they can make with
He
this
never
kind of stuff.
once went over the wall.
I've seen a lot of fun.
So
in
I wonder if
action,
he can make it
and,
over
looking
walls.
forward to seeing that myself.
Or how that works.
Surtr will also, like with all the other gods, have skins that they come out with, including Azure Flame Surtr, which is the standard recolor. The
fire.
Oh,
that's so
isn't that
cool.
awesome.
Wait, this recolor might be
I love
fucking
this
fire.
because while working on Surtr, I haven't seen all of the different variations. So seeing the card art specifically, that's just sick.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I always love these action card arts because you can see he's sweeping people
Yeah,
away.
look at them go.
The little guys.
That's him using Flames of Muspel on the minion wave, just cleaving them away.
So along with this, we will also have, and we have the card art for this, the Ascended Surtr. So this is part of that Year 10 pass that y'all heard me talk about in the
I
community
know this
news
one.
section.
I like this one a lot. He's got that neon teal green.
Aw. He almost looks
It's
like he's
sick.
from I guess it depends on the depiction, but like Helheim, with
Sure.
the
Yeah,
blue
good
colors.
call out. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
So
sick.
look, he's breaking free of the chains. He's leaving the fire giant pit.
You can't hold me as an NPC any longer.
Nope. Select me in the screen and let me get 53 kills. We also have, and I know who's going to be going for these soon, the masteries for Surtr. So let's get a preview of them here before you see them in Twitter
Nice.
threads.
Gonna be rocking that from day one.
He's angry. Oh, you're going to be rocking the third one as well,
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna be shiny.
You'll be locking this one from game 3.
Okay, well, I can't get that many worshippers. in the
Nice.
game.
We're seeing it in game.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I love the way his sword and his beard and his horn
Dude.
changes.
Yeah.
That's one of the nicest golden skins I think we have in the whole game.
The blues are just so deep too. They have and it's such a contrast from all of the reds in the original
and the
skin.
magma's white, it's white hot. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
Oh, sweet.
That
Then we go
is
back to that fiery
so
red, but I
cool.
mean,
Yeah,
the
it
red, gold,
highlights
and black.
them.
It's so
It really
iconic.
does.
Wow.
Those are some of
Okay,
my
here we
favorite of
go.
the black and gold.
Here we
Alright,
go.
It's
Yeah,
on
it's
the
like
way.
when-
It's
You don't want to
creeping
speed up the turnaround, but at the same time, I kind of want to
Look at
see
how
what's going to
magma-
I mean,
happen.
this one's
Sort
always
of.
gonna look nice, right?
It's
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's always a beautiful color palette.
there we go.
Oh,
We're
that-
back to the white hot.
Yeah,
that is
those
perfection. I
mastery
love
color
the-
skins are pretty dope.
Sleeping.
Honestly, This one's
you're
better
gonna
than they used
be
to.
playing and
Yeah,
grinding
I'll
for
be
that.
playing all day long, not only because the entirety of Year 10 is coming out, but Surtr is coming
my
along
gosh,
with
that's
it.
so true.
And, wow.
And one thing I noticed too is with the first skin, that it was like the gold and the blue, the fire was still red, but for this one, even the fire is that
nice,
that white
good call
color.
out.
That's so cool.
So just attention to detail on that. You got to earn the flames. Always just such a good-looking skin.
Yeah, I can't wait to use that. I'm
Yeah.
so excited.
Yeah, you can't wait to use that day,
Day
one. I'll
one,
see the Twitter
exactly.
thread. It'll be
Night
day
one,
one,
hold
12th
on.
hour.
No,
I
okay.
have it. So, oh man. Well, again, incredible. We've
what's the
talked about
scaling?
so many things here.
Yeah,
It feels
okay.
like this show started in a different year. Like I feel like 2024 is right, but it's just how much we had to talk about. And this has been a huge year. Or it's going to be a huge year. It has been season 9, but now we're in year 10, the big 1-0. And, I'd like to lead off by thanking the community, especially those of y'all who have been around with us since the beginning. Like, y'all have given us the opportunity to continue
His
to grow
ult's
and start
got
doing these
really high
crossovers
base
and expanding
damage.
our game and making crazy changes like this. But I'm going to ask y'all for help, too. PTS, no waiting for Friday. It's going to be right around the corner. It's coming today
It's
because we
tonight.
want to get in
Sweet.
there. 'cause there are
PTS
so
after this,
many
baby.
things to test
I
out,
can't wait.
We're looking forward to that feedback. If you love
PTS,
something,
my boys.
let us know. If I see it on Twitter, I'm going to be like, hey, yo, they said they love the art. The artists will blush and cry and be happy because they love hearing that. If you don't love something, also let us know. If
ETS is
something's
up
broken
right
or
after
buggy
this.
or
It's supposed
a
to
little
be.
too overpowered,
They're
you let
trying
us
to get it
know,
up.
and
We'll
that's
hope
what
everything
helps
works
us
out.
Make this game as great as it is, and that's what helps us move into this 10th year is y'all's support and how incredible the community has always been. So again, look out for
So my
PTS
stream is
news
going to
coming
stay up. We
very
are going to
soon.
go play
We wanna get y'all
PTS.
in there ASAP to start testing all of this incredible new content. And other than that, I look forward to seeing all of y'all on the battleground.